Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joel Dehls. And this is now episode 231. In this episode, we are joined by NFL insider Jordan Schultz to talk about Zach Wilson, Mojo's biggest rises and fallers, if we're worried about the Eagles, if Heinicke can lead the Commanders to the playoffs, Cowboys' dominant win over the Vikings, Travis Kelce, and more. Jordan, welcome on to the show.
Pick a side.
Appreciate it. Mr. Schultz.
Me, guys.
Welcome to Pick a Side, man.
So, NFL insider, NBA insider, used to host a podcast with CJ McCollum called the Pull Up Podcast. I just want to ask you, how'd you become an NFL insider? How'd you start to break news?
The whole thing is relationship based. You know, a lot of people have asked me, like, what's the most important thing about being an insider, or how do you get to it? And it really just comes down to word of mouth and relationships, because, you know, ultimately it's not a very big industry. You know, I mean, it's very easy to get typecasted as one thing or the other, good or bad, you know, honest or not. And so as you start to meet people, agents, players, executives, coaches, if you can start to put a path toward, okay, I'm going to do things the right way, eventually you get typecasted, in this case for better, into, okay, I can trust him. And I think that that's the most important thing, you know. And also I would say it's a two-way street. When I was probably about 10 years ago, when I was really just getting started, I sat down with Adam Schefter because I wanted to know how he did it. And he basically said, you know, what I just told you, but also it's a two-way street in terms of if you just expect information without having the ability to help someone else, you know, maybe it's a contract, maybe it's information about a player who's going to get cut. Regardless, if you can provide that, then now you're of service and not just waiting for those scoops.
So my question to that, or follow-up I have, is how do you make yourself useful? Like, how do you provide useful information to an athlete that they're like, you know what, I want to give this guy my scoop because he's been helping me?
So what I think Instagram, the ability to reach out has been enormously helpful. On one hand, everyone's accessible, and that's great. So, you know, that's the positive. The negative to that is that because everyone is accessible, you have how many guys are getting flooded with DMs every day from fans, from sports writers, from reporters. It is so, like, you have to find a way to differentiate. So what I decided to do was I'm going to be the insider, at least in my mind, the first guy to really do it through the lens of the player, through the lens of the athlete, to try to showcase what's going on under the helmet. Because I felt like, you know, with all due respect to everyone else, I didn't see that. I hadn't seen someone really attack the industry through the side of the player, because to me, that was like the great unknown. You know, what if you could become someone that not only executives, coaches, and agents, you know, confided in, but what if you could become someone that players actually trusted, and how much more beneficial would that be for them, and ultimately, you know, you as well, to create that genuine friendship. So what I did was I started slowly just reaching out to athletes, and oftentimes not only pros, but college athletes, and even now to an extent, you know, high school guys that are 4- and 5-star guys that you could see having a path toward the NFL. And then it's like, okay, I know that you probably have information coming your way, but if I can give you something different, something that is unique and ubiquitous, then suddenly I become valuable. And maybe throughout time, you could potentially trust me with the scoop. So, you know, I have been fortunate enough to that point, guys, to get a fair amount of scoops through actual players, because ultimately too, teams will leak, agents will leak. There could be a leak anywhere that you don't even know about, but the player oftentimes knows first where he's signing or where he's being traded to. So often if you're able to get that player insight, you know, you can be first.
So you have to create these, I guess, bonds or relationship, for lack of better terms, early on in their process of becoming an athlete.
Often, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's
because,
time. That's dedication.
Because once my thing is, like, once a guy is an all-pro, a Pro Bowler, a star, he doesn't have any reason to he doesn't need help.
Yeah.
Usually, at least he's not going to need help. And certainly, what's the benefit of him to say, I'm going to bring in someone that I haven't really met, Jordan Schultz, whoever else, to become, someone I trust? Like, what's the benefit? So what I try to do is, identify players early. It's how I've established relationships with a lot of guys that are now stars 3, 4, 5 years ago when they weren't, or maybe they hadn't even been drafted yet. That's when I start. Now, obviously, there are relationships you have with agents, and that agent can introduce you to a player that's now established, and that's a different type of deal. But overall, it's really beneficial to create those friendships early.
So not only are you a reporter, but you're also a scout in a way.
A scout?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly, because you're like,
I was gonna say, you got to identify that these guys got that potential.
Exactly. But that's where, like, having relationships with teams and scouts can now become effective, because I'm not going to be able to identify why a left tackle in the 3rd round is going to have value in 3 years, or why, I'm trying to think why a non-power 5 right guard is going to be a 2nd round pick and be a really good player. I don't know enough about identifying that. I don't even know how to identify quarterbacks. We can talk about Zach Wilson. I thought the guy was the next Patrick Mahomes. So I have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of scouting. So as a result, I now need to turn to personnel directors and scouts and coaches to say, what are you seeing? And then oftentimes I can identify players as a result from that.
You're not the only one that was hound Zach Wilson.
Patrick Mahomes.
And
how did we miss so badly on Mormon Mahomes?
I have no idea. And what's funny is that draft class was my first time sitting down and watching each player, going through the film. And I was this guy Zach, I love his game. I really love it. I have no idea why he turned out how he turned out, but let's start with that first, and then we'll get the scoops that you've had, because I know that Zach Wilson is the hot topic, and everybody wants to talk about Zach Wilson, and they want to hear what we have to say about Zach Wilson.
Who are you?
They want to hear what you have to say, buddy.
You have to say, bro.
They don't want to hear what I have to say, because I thought the guy was going to be an all-time player.
I've gotten a
I'm
lot.
going to give you I have a good quote from a longtime scout. I'll pull it up in a minute, but go ahead. Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of DMs. Yo, bro, I can't wait for the next football podcast. I can't wait to see you cook Joel, man. I'm tired of this Zach Wilson talk. But yeah, for sure. Let's hear this.
It's funny that people are messaging you that. The Jets lost to the Patriots 3-10. We're both now 6-4. We're last in the AFC East.
Sorry, God.
Looking at Zach Wilson, 9 for 22, 77 yards. He had 3 interceptions dropped. I hold those into account.
Yeah, rightfully so.
51 passer rating. It was just an awful game. I think it's pretty obvious that I was wrong about Zach Wilson. I feel no pleasure saying that.
Yeah.
I don't.
I bet.
Overthrew Berrios in the flat. He threw it high to Mims early.
The Mims post one was brutal. Yeah, that was bad.
Brutal.
You had Mims wide open on the touchdown. You didn't throw it either. Robert Saleh came out today and said, we're not committing to a quarterback for Sunday for Chicago. And by the way, I did short him on Mojo. I'm up about a couple $100 because of that news. Because I had a feel, because the Jets press conference got delayed, right?
Today.
So I was like, it got delayed for a reason. I'm going to short him because I feel like they're going to come out with that news. And they did. And the price, it just dropped tremendously.
Yeah.
We
let us swear on your pod? We are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike LaFleur drew up a good game plan. This was all on Zach Wilson. And when talking about him, 4 of his 9 targets, he was 4 for 9 on targets when his receivers had 3+ yards of separation. You just look at Mike LaFleur and the success he's had with Mike White, Josh Johnson, Joe Flacco. I have the numbers right here. With those 3 quarterbacks who are backups, their completion percentage is 63%, 16 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, 256 yards per game. Mike LaFleur with Zach Wilson, 55% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, and 180.7 yards per game. Now, Zach Wilson, I could take the poor play. To me, maybe I would have found a way to defend it in some sort of way, even though before the press conference, I was already done with Zach after watching the game. Especially the Marcus Jones punt return touchdown. Of course, it ended that way.
Yeah, I had to.
That typical Jets.
It's a Jets way to end the game.
Yep. Specifically against the Pats.
But when
Did you see, I'm reading this because I'm cherry picking off a stat, but did you see the comparison over the first 20 starts from Zach Wilson to Jamarcus Russell?
Yeah, it's ugly.
It is shocking.
There's no need for that tweet ever to be put out there.
They're both they're both 71 under 71 passer rating. Wilson has less touchdowns and more picks.
Jesus Christ.
Wilson has basically the same record in completion percentage. It is shocking how close it is.
it is.
And the yards per attempt is basically identical also, unfortunately.
Yeah. Also, he 2.77 inches per play in the second half. 9 punts, 10 completions, I believe it was.
Other way around.
And then my favorite stat, negative 21 passing yards in the second half. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm gonna read off a stat from a scout. He said, one of the worst quarterbacking performances I've seen in the last 5 years. No command and no feel. So when you hear that as a Jets fan, what are you thinking?
Just sadness, honestly. Because I'm gonna now take you guys in the audience into a loophole into my life, right? I watched this guy's highlights. I loved it. I was coping with it last night. I sent Joel Zach Wilson preseason highlights and said, this guy, man, I could have sworn he was the guy at that point. I used to stay up late night watching his BYU interviews, and I'm like, man, I love this guy's character. His character, his football skill was there, but the character, my oh my, he's such a great person. He delivered DoorDash. That's how he got his money in college, and even though people labeled him as this rich kid, he delivered DoorDash and all this stuff. Then in the press conference, they ask him if you let the defense down. He says no. They asked him about the receivers' frustrations. He says that, well, sometimes they do stuff that I want them to do differently. And I'm just like, wow.
It's bad.
He said no quickly, too.
Bad.
I can get paid a lot of money to be this guy's PR guy and tell him exactly what to say so the media can perceive him as this great leader, outstanding person. The truth about Zach Wilson is that he's going to be a bust. It is what it is. He is a bust.
Correct.
Right? Okay, right?
Correct.
But he's still he's a bust so far.
You're holding out hope
There's-
on Mormon
yeah.
Mahomes. Is that what's going to happen?
don't know
here,
what-
Jordan?
I hate to say that he's not finished. He'll get more opportunities.
He will.
Listen, I'm not defending him.
He'll start on the
think
Carolina
he-
Panthers next year.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing about Wilson is you have a pretty good team and you're in the playoff hunt at 6-4. So do you actually decide, let's go with Flacco since he played decent for us earlier this year. Let's go with Mike White. He flashed last year. Because if you're starting Zach Wilson, he's not going to help you win games. But at the same time, you want to get him developed. I don't even know how to answer that.
I think at this point you just can't get him developed because it seems like he's not reading the field. He doesn't have a feel for the pocket.
Correct.
He's inaccurate.
Correct.
On all of his throws, it seems like. The Jets have drafted bust after bust after bust when it comes to the quarterback position. Whether you talk about Sam Darnold, you talk about Geno Smith, you talk about Mark Sanchez.
Damn.
Mark Sanchez gave me my best moments as a Jets fan.
He's not a bust in my eyes.
You can't. No.
Mark Sanchez, although he didn't turn out to be a great quarterback, I look at that era and I have a smile on my face.
As you should.
And I say, Mark Sanchez, thank you. Thank you for being a Jet.
God bless him.
Geno Smith had no help. His best wide receiver was Jeremy Curley. Sam Darnold's best wide receiver at one point was Jermaine Kearse. For the majority of that time, it was Robbie Anderson. We see right now how he's gone downhill for the most part. Now he's in Arizona. He's still not able to get his production up. Those quarterbacks, I can at least say at one point in time, were in a horrible situation, and they were put in a position to fail. Zach Wilson is put in a position to succeed. Zach blamed his throws on the wind. Mac Jones was fine. Mac Jones was
was.
fine.
He
was crazy.
really
He
good.
completed 80+% of his passes.
At the minimum, he was just hitting the easy ones.
Yes.
And that's all.
He was being
that's
smart.
all the coaches were
The
asking
weapons
of him
after
to
the catch
do.
for breaking tackles.
Yeah.
Ramondre had a great game.
And at this point, you have to take away the starting job from Zach Wilson. He has to earn that spot back.
How do you earn it?
All right.
You real quick before you
No,
go.
I
The only way you
like it.
earn it
I'm
is
it.
if Flacco
Yeah.
or Mike White lose it. That's the only way Zach Wilson's going to go out and earn this job back. But go ahead, Joe.
All right, listen.
Well, here's two things. One, to your point, Robert Saleh is someone that, his foundation is built off of like best players play, you earn your way. At some point, you'd have to think that he's going to go do exactly that. Say, Zach, you're not QB1. You haven't earned it. And in fact, you've done the opposite. So let's bring in someone in Joe's case, for example, who kept us afloat earlier in the season. The other thing, and this is more important to me, is that I'll just tell you this, there are players inside that locker room that don't want Zach Wilson starting. And I think it goes, you look at the quote and it says, okay, yeah, I didn't leave I don't feel badly for my defense. I didn't let them down. That was bad, but it was already trending toward that. That was like the icing on the cake, because there are certain players that believe not only is he not the best quarterback on our team, but the vibe and the lack of juice that he's bringing us is bringing us down. So to me, there's really a no-brainer. It just comes down to, do you go with Flacco or White? I would go with Flacco, considering he's already played this year.
So over this past month, Zach Wilson, lowest PFF grade passing, 5.9% turnover-worthy play rate. That's the worst. 62.7 adjusted completion percentage. That's also the worst. And we were talking about Mojo. He also has the highest dip in price as well. Now, we're talking about a quarterback change. Now, this is where I have a struggle as well. Do we want to go from Zach Wilson, who has been bad, extremely bad, to Mike White, who also happens to be a bad quarterback, and Joe Flacco, who he flashes somewhat during these first three games, but in totality, not the greatest either. So your options really become, do I want a bad quarterback? Do I want another bad quarterback? Or do I want another bad quarterback? Me, if I'm the head coach, I understand we used the number 2 overall pick on Zach Wilson. Whether Zach Wilson's benefited or become a detriment to the Jets is another conversation. But you have to understand, you use extremely high draft capital on this guy. In year 2, we're going to be 12 weeks in. Now, do I want to immediately take that and throw it away and kill his confidence? The confidence probably already killed, but I feel like I would rather take the gamble on my number 2 overall pick than Joe Flacco, who at this point in time has nothing more to really give or lead a team to winning football, or Mike White, who had a great game against Cincinnati and then after that really came back down to earth.
Can either quarterback be a game manager, Flacco or Mike? Because Zach Wilson right now cannot be a game manager.
Flacco can, which is
Flacco
why
And that's all we need.
Flacco can. If
Zach
the defense
Wilson
is going to play that well,
Exactly.
you might as well go with Flacco.
Zach
Because
Wilson can't game manage.
He's not going to hurt you like Wilson has hurt you.
And not only that, but I just look at some examples here. I don't know why we should not bench him. Bill Belichick benched Mac Jones on Monday Night Football. Mac Jones has come back from that and he's responded. He just had a great performance against a top defense. They didn't score, but they're moving the ball all game long. Even your guy Tua, Brian Flores is pulling him left and right every other game. You either have the confidence or you don't.
But that was rookie season. Year 2, he did not pull him not once.
Yeah.
That's even worse. Your rookie year, you're getting pulled. That doesn't
year
offer
when
Ryan
confidence.
Fitzpatrick, he already had success with the offense. There was really no reason for that point in time to really put Tua in at all. It kind of was a shock to all of us that he was going to make his debut that week. I believe who was that against?
But he got pulled at
Tennessee?
times when he started the game, he was playing
playing
poorly,
bad,
and Flores
correct.
just pulled him.
Because Fitz had a kind of.
But that's what I'm
magic
saying
to him.
is that a quarterback's either going to have confidence or they're not. If getting pulled just shatters their confidence, they're not made out to be an NFL quarterback anyway. Zach Wilson has to have his job taken from him and say, listen, now you're on lifeline. Your starting quarterback career's on lifeline. You have to now make up for that. At BYU, he did it. In his second year at BYU, he wasn't good. That entire summer, he was battling for the QB1 spot. He won it in the summer. Year 3, he broke out. So in college, that job was taken from him. The same thing in the NFL has to apply. You're not playing well. that was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. I'm a Jets fan. I've seen a lot of bad quarterback performances.
A ton actually.
That was one of the worst.
Was it worse than his performance 3 weeks ago against the Patriots?
It
at
somehow
home?
might have been worse.
It was
for sure worse.
Yeah,
For sure.
It was
This is like
definitely
Greg
worse.
McElroy type of
He had
performance.
300
Like,
plus yards in that game.
He did.
For Jets fans, not everything is down and gloomy. It seems like every loss and every win this season has had such a huge swing in emotion ever since Zach has really come back. That win against Pittsburgh, where fourth quarter comeback, we go crazy. The loss against New England, everything's burning down. The win against the Bills, we're a Super Bowl team. Now a loss against New England, Zach Wilson's a bust. So it feels like every win and loss throughout this season has had such a swing of emotions just at this table. I can only imagine what it feels like in the locker room for the quarterbacks, the coaches, the coaching staff, what they're going through week in and week out. But I think the good thing you could take away from this, if there's anything to take away, we have an answer. We know for sure Zach Wilson is not a franchise guy. The worst place you could be in the NFL is not knowing if you have a franchise guy. The worst place is being fifth. Maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not. And we go into this offseason not knowing if we should make a move at quarterback. That was the discussion a couple years ago when we had Darnold and we had the number 2 overall pick. Should we move off Darnold? He might be a franchise guy. He had a handful of good games. But now we know Zach Wilson is not going to be that franchise guy, which is fine because this roster right now is ready to compete. Unlike years in the past where the Jets roster was depleted, and even, in my Jets chat, they were comparing it to the Jags a few years, 5, 6, 7 years ago at this point with Bortles when they had a great defense, how they kind of just let it go to waste because they never improved on the quarterback. This roster is young. You're not going to have to pay anybody on this roster for years. It's ready to compete. We have the right head coach in Robert Saleh. Now it's up to the front office and Joe Douglas, who I have a ton of faith in, even though he did get quarterback wrong, to go out and make an upgrade at quarterback. If you have just a game manager, we're talking Joe Flacco would be an upgrade right now. If you have a Jimmy G, a Derek Carr,
Okay, now we're talking
anyone of this caliber, this team is damn near a playoff lock at this point.
You went from Joe Flacco to Jimmy G. Yes, there's an upgrade there. But then you went to Derek Carr. That's a significant upgrade.
But those are probably the most available quarterbacks
going
in the
into this
offseason.
offseason. But I'm talking right now, your option is Joe Flacco.
I made a list of the quarterbacks that I want from 1 to I have 6
7?
names here. 6 names here. So 1 to 6. First one is Lamar Jackson. We all know that's unrealistic. The second one is Geno Smith. I think it's unrealistic because Geno Smith is playing at such a high level. I don't think Seattle moves off from him.
I agree.
Then we get to the realistic options. Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Gardner Minshew, and then Teddy Bridgewater. I've always been a fan of Gardner Minshew. I feel like when he's played, he's been good, but he hasn't had an opportunity. I don't know why, but I think he's a good quarterback. And what scares me about Jimmy Garoppolo is that he has a 1-year deal. He enters free agency. Now we have to pay him a contract. And what does a Jimmy Garoppolo contract look like?
It's not that hefty.
I don't know. Given the numbers he puts up in an offense that is very quarterback friendly, he could demand a pretty hefty price.
How sure are we the Niners want to move off Jimmy G?
I'm not sure. In fact, I think the Niners feel like they might be able to sustain with Garoppolo. I mean, we'll have to see the rest of the season, but I can tell you that the Niners are not convinced that he's not the guy because they know they can get him for much cheaper. And with that in mind, that has to give you pause for Trey Lance. Now, I think there's a lot of people that really like Trey Lance, but this is less an indictment on him and more, hey, can we get Jimmy Garoppolo longer term here and pay him very, very little money compared to the rest of the quarterbacks in the league? They're paying him, 8 point something this year?
Yeah.
And as a result, we can keep building the rest of the team because Lance is only going to be in his 3rd year next year. You still don't have to make a decision. So they're not convinced that he's not the guy in San Francisco.
So I want to ask you, Jordan, what do you think right now Joe Douglas is doing in the front office? Do you think he spent a number 2 overall pick? He, for more or less, tied himself to Zach Wilson, but he sees how good this roster is and how bad Zach is. Is he, looking week 11 in the season? Is he already looking in the offseason, who can we upgrade on? Do you think he's going to give the rest of the season?
Yeah, teams are all absolutely. They're always looking at. I mean, you have your scouts, and you're already evaluating for next season, next offseason, 100%. Joe, by nature, is a pretty aggressive guy. You can think about his pipeline coming from Howie Roseman, who's ultra aggressive. Phone's always open. I call the guy 7-Eleven. Joe Douglas has some of that wheeling and dealing to him, and we've seen him have great success with it. So there's no question that they're already evaluating potential, solutions or I should say, replacements for Zach. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but they're absolutely having those conversations.
And it does feel like more of the veteran route rather than a rookie, either trading up or waiting for the fall. That's what it feels like.
But wouldn't you? I would argue the Jets are ahead of schedule. I mean, it's 6-4 this early on in Joe's tenure and Robert's tenure, LaFleur. I think they're ahead of schedule, which is a good thing.
If you're the Jets, what quarterback would you pick to replace?
I like the veteran idea. I do. You mentioned all those guys. Just trying to think of who's the most gettable.
Derek Carr right now has to
Carr and Bridgewater are probably the most gettable.
For sure. For sure. I feel like Carr makes the most sense.
Minshew to a degree, but Carr and Bridgewater for sure are guys that you can go out and get if you want. And you know, the Raiders are such a dumpster fire. I don't think McDaniels is going to be fired. I really don't.
He's not.
But I would be shocked if Derek Carr was there moving forward. I don't see how that's possible. So to me, he's very gettable, and you could find a way to have them eat some of that contract. I got to look. Let me look at those numbers, because let me ask you this: is Derek Carr? You look at Derek Carr and say he makes us into a contender or a playoff team. How does that upgrade it?
Playoff team for sure.
Playoff team, I think.
I mean, Elijah Moore comes back into the mix. Now we're actually talking about him being a solid option.
Well, Derek Carr, he would be the second best quarterback in the AFC East.
No, he would not.
So here it is.
Yeah.
Carr has an out after next season, but essentially he's got 3 more years at a significant price. So you would have to have the Raiders eat some of it. It's not a terrible idea. I haven't looked at it. You'll have to tell me how are the Jets on cap right now?
We should be fine off the top of my head.
We should be fine, but if we're paying a quarterback $30 to $40 million, that puts us in cap hell. That's why it sucks missing on a rookie quarterback, because now,
of course,
you have to go get a veteran. It's so much.
It's the ultimate. Yeah, we saw Kansas City with Seattle. You're absolutely right. I would push back and say, what if the Jets decided to address quarterback in this draft, and they tried again. They tried to hit again. Let's say they picked Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, whatever. What if they went that route and traded Wilson? And what could you get back for Zach? I'm curious what you guys think.
I mean,
like a 3rd round pick.
Douglas finessed a 2nd for Darnold, a 4th for Chris Herndon. So I'm sitting here thinking a 4th or 5th right now. But with Douglas, he could probably get a 3 from somebody. I don't know if Zach's worth a 2nd.
I had this thought earlier today. I doubt this happens, but this is just me being unrealistic and thinking that Kyle Shanahan was a big fan of Zach Wilson coming out of college. I know they have Trey Lance. So
Zach for Trey Lance?
So Zach probably doesn't go to San Fran, but I don't know. If there's somebody that can save Zach Wilson's career, it is Kyle Shanahan.
This is true.
But why would they give up on Lance?
Imagine where you guys would be
if your
quarterback was Justin Fields or Tua or another one of these young guys that's had really good success.
Or who?
Tua said
Justin Fields. That would be amazing. I would love
I'm
Justin
just saying,
Fields on the Jets.
You were low
think
on
about
Fields
how much
too,
different
so.
you're looking at the franchise if you would have hit on Wilson. That's how narrow it is in the NFL, though, and that's how hard it is to evaluate quarterbacks.
Yeah, it is.
If only you guys had Tua as your quarterback.
Or Justin Fields. Respect him. He said that.
No,
well, Fields we actually had a chance to get.
No, Fields was.
So Jordan, recently you broke some news about Kyle Pitts. You broke some news about Hollywood Brown and Adoree Jackson. I want to touch on the Adoree Jackson news, because how does this affect the Giants' playoff chances going forward, losing their best corner?
Adoree.
I don't
want you to get IG busted or whatever, TikTok busted, so make sure you change it. So here's the deal with Adoree. It's 3 to 5 weeks. It's an MCL sprain. He was playing at an all-pro caliber level, and it's a killer loss. And the really unfortunate part is he gets hurt on a punt return. As a team, you got to protect your best players. And even though Adoree's a really good punt returner, he should not be back there. I mean, it's crazy. It's one of the few mistakes the Giants have made, and this impacts them drastically. Now, they would have to really, really plummet to miss the playoffs. They're at 7 wins. I think they're at the 6th seed or the 5th seed. They're in really good shape. But not having him down the stretch is a huge blow.
The
Massive.
schedule late is tough.
It is tough.
It
Tough
does.
schedule.
It could go 1-6.
And Jordan, what
real.
happened with Kyle Pitts? I know after the game yesterday, it seemed like there was some optimism around it. Heard like it was just a sprain, and then it comes out that he ended up tearing his MCL. So what happened there?
Yeah, so we thought it was that he had avoided a tear, and we were optimistic. That's what I was told. And then, today we find out that I was told he had an MCL tear, and basically he's on IR. Atlanta's 5-6. They're in the hunt in the NFC South, and I bemoan Arthur Smith for not using Kyle Pitts in the way he should, but it's still a killer blow. It's really unfortunate. So that hurts as well a lot. If you want some good news, Hollywood Brown, I was told is really close. He's feeling much better. He's not playing tonight on Monday night, but there's a real chance he plays next week. And if Arizona's going to make the playoff push that they had hoped for, it's really about him and Hopkins.
On paper,
and I should say Rondale Moore.
Rondale's had a great year.
Yeah, Rondale.
But Hollywood's still the leading receiver, almost 500 yards, despite missing a few games.
He was on a career-breaking pace before he got hurt. He was on pace 1,500 yards.
It's like Kyler makes your wide receivers better.
Kyler's really good at football.
K1's actually amazing at football.
Okay, to finish off your guest appearance, we appreciate your time a lot. I seen a tweet from you that you would put Geno with or above Tua in the MVP race. I want you to explain that for me.
I think that both of those guys have completely overachieved in terms of what the expectations were. There's really no doubt about that. Geno, to me, is not only is he having one of the best years of his career, but it goes so far beyond just the numbers. I think he's first in the NFL in terms of, I want to say, completion percentage. Yeah. He's top 5 basically in every category. But also Seattle, to understand his success, you got to take a step back and realize that over the last few years, as Russell had reached a certain stature, this superstardom stature, that he was dictating the franchise. It was really about Russell. It was about number 3. And everything that they did was about him. And you go back to what Pete Carroll said, him not wanting to wear a wristband. These are all little slights at Russ. And so with Geno, I was in Seattle. I'm from Seattle. I was there a few weeks ago. Spent the afternoon with Geno and DK, and I wanted to understand how they're having this success and why it's sustainable. And what I took away was, number one is Geno's level of preparation, what he learned from not being QB1 for basically 8 years. You talk about the Jets and the Giants. Enormous. You cannot, I don't think he would take back what happened, even though it was extremely hard for him professionally to sit, because he learned so much. And he did learn a lot from Russ, and they do have a very good relationship. So his ability to get these checks at the line, his preparation, and then also his relationship with the offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. I don't think Russ allowed Shane Waldron to do what he needed to do. Like, it was about Russ, and he was going to change the plays. It was going to be his show. In Geno's case, they're at complete lockstep. The synergy between OC and quarterback could not be better. And as a result, there's a level of trust. And then you get DK and Lockett. And then I asked Geno about the other guys, the tight ends. And he was saying our 3 tight ends, even though all 3 of them together or equally individually might not have the best stats, they are incredibly effective for us in different ways. And then just the rookie, Kenneth Walker, he has brought to them a whole nother dimension of juice. So you add all of that. You ask me why I put Geno with Tua. I just think his ability to not only be the comeback player of the year, but consistently every game have these monster performances in the clutch, make big time throws. And, when I talk to scouts and coordinators about it, I've heard the same thing. Like, this is a different player, and you could say the same about Tua, but I absolutely think Geno belongs in that conversation as a result.
I do too.
Yeah, and you brought up Tua. Drew to the left of me, huge Tua fan.
I am.
I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. We've been having debates over a year now about these two guys. Yeah, going back and forth, who would you rather have? Then Joel over here brings in Zach Wilson, of course. So sorry, had a little stray. So curious, what are your thoughts on Hurts and Tua? Obviously take huge steps this year. Both brought in wide receiver ones. We see year after year that has a huge help for any quarterback, regardless of age. So just to touch on those 2 quarterbacks and kind of, their development.
Absolutely. Think about A.J. Brown and Tyreek Hill. how much they meant to both of those guys. I would start with Tua. I don't know if how much what percentage you would say this is Mike McDaniel, but I can say that he's been enormous for him. His scheming is great, but you add Tyreek Hill, that changes everything. Also, here's the thing about Tua. So I caught up with Nick Hicks. That's been his quarterback guru. And he said that 2 years ago, it was all about the hip and getting him just able to play. This last offseason, it was about arm strength, repetition, building that arm strength so that you can throw the ball down the field more. I mean, he's never going to be a Mahomes or Josh Allen Herbert type. That's just not his. He doesn't have that innate ability. But he has drastically improved his arm strength, and that's created a lot of these big plays. In terms of Jalen Hurts, I just think having the opportunity to go through a full season and now have a second year with the OC and also have A.J. Brown, that's the ultimate bailout because he's going to win a 50-50 ball. So both of them have been much better. They've been more accurate. If I'm going to say who I'd rather have, man, that's extremely close. I might go Tua just by a hair because, man, I don't think whoever says they saw this coming, an MVP, more power to you.
All right, I like that. I like that closing statement. I'd rather that than they're lying. They definitely could not have guessed this. I appreciate that one.
No, I didn't. But I can tell you that internally inside the Eagles building, they believe that Jalen Hurts had this in him. They just wanted to give him the opportunity to get there. But his leadership is second to none.
Absolutely.
That guy is
absolutely.
I mean, he is stoic. He's special. And you saw it against the Colts. I know he didn't have the best drive at the end of the game, but he's going to give you a chance. And as for Tua, the guy's 25 years old. I mean, he's just getting started.
There's one thing about Jalen Hurts that you can't ignore or you can't deny by any means, and that's his intangibles. 100%. Yeah. Sure, you have the rushing ability, and that's one of the main reasons why they stuck with him, but the intangibles really stick out more than anything, and it gave him that belief and that trust that you can believe in Jalen Hurts to progress as a passer because what he does is care about the grind. Now, I'm happy you answered the Tua or Jalen Hurts question because, we're a debate show. We want absolutes. We want answers. So you were talking about Tua being in the conversation or Geno being in the conversation with Tua for the MVP conversation. But that also means that with the MVP, we understand that I'm a Broncos fan. I understand I'm wearing a Cowboys jersey. I'm a Tua supporter, but I am a Broncos fan.
Supporter with the Broncos fandom and
Ezekiel Elliott, shout out to him, Ohio State legend. I respect Ezekiel Elliott's game. So Patrick Mahomes, he's not one of my favorite players by any means, but I can acknowledge and I can respect that he is playing at an MVP level right now. So, by association, are you grouping in Geno with Mahomes and Tua for that MVP conversation also, or is Mahomes just in a category by himself?
No, I think Mahomes has now asserted himself into his own category.
Okay.
And then I think after that, I mean, I still wouldn't put Josh Allen out of it. I think Tua, Josh Allen, Geno, Hurts, I think they're all in that conversation.
Okay.
They're all in that second.
By the way, Tua's only 24.
He's 24.
You guys are all probably his age. I mean,
yeah, we are.
Tua's older than me, thank God.
Think about So I'm trying. Who else are we forgetting for?
No, I think that's a very firm list.
Tyreek Hill, people are going to make an argument for him.
Yeah, that's a great statement.
I think he's consensus offensive player of the year.
Correct.
Sure, this is
correct. Saquon having a bad week this week against the Lions really did alter it.
Saquon's in it though.
No, Saquon's got to be in there, but Tyreek Hill is just his impact on the field is just second to none. But the Geno to Tua thing with me, you said a lot of things that benefited that Geno does extremely well. His preparation for every game. That's something you can't take away, in the fact that all the adversity he's gone through to be as great as he is or he has been this season is a credit to Geno Smith.
I believe he's 83 in Madden now.
But we also that's big
huge.
stuff right there. That's big stuff right there.
That's fire.
He's gonna get paid. I'll tell you that much. But he's gonna get paid.
The reason why I put a little bit more stock into Tua is that he is extremely close in all these categories with these guys at the top of the list, and he's missed 2 games. Yeah. And his team's at the top of that division, a division that not many thought.
Are they second or third?
No, they're first right now. Right now, they're the second seed overall in the AFC. That's a division that
it's at the point where you're surprised when they don't put up 30.
Yeah,
this is probably top 2, arguably the most explosive offense in the league, and I'm saying that where Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback in the NFL. That's how great Miami's offense has been.
I agree.
I give credit to Tua. You give credit to Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Mike McDaniel. Everything that they're doing right now is clicking. And, of course, as the quarterback in the National Football League, you get a majority of the credit. So
It's getting cold.
It is getting cold.
Getting cold.
We'll get to that December.
Now it's,
That
exactly.
stock going
Getting
down.
cold. That
Thanksgiving,
football
man.
weather
It's
coming
football
up,
weather.
man.
it's a good thing he plays in Miami.
That's very true.
Right? And that's
Very,
why
very
beautiful.
true.
it's even better that they're top of the division because now maybe they get a home game or two and he doesn't have to worry about that inclement weather that,
Well, they still
that
got.
I won't ignore.
They still gotta go to
I'm
Buffalo.
I'm going
worried.
to pick a side and say Tua is legit. How about that?
Ooh. Yo, clip that right there. That's a beautiful statement.
So you
Alexa
wouldn't say
Rance.
he's going to turn out to be Jared Goff?
Oh, no.
No? Okay.
Because, Jordan, you actually
the biggest-
you understand and know the game of
It's
football.
not Jared Goff or Carson Wentz. No.
No. He's
Jared
definitely
Goff
not.
has had great 2 seasons.
He did.
Yeah.
He was great.
And also, let's shout out my guy, Taylor Heinicke.
oh,
That's
yeah.
my dog. And I want to give him props. I mean, he is a baller. He is not the most talented, but, dude, you cannot say – you watch Taylor Heinicke and you're like, I do respect the guy.
Yeah.
That's as best as you can put it because he doesn't do anything overly great, but he doesn't do anything overly wrong. He does a job.
He would be an
He
upgrade
would
over
be-
Zach Wilson.
I was going to say he'd be the perfect fit for the New York
Absolutely.
Jets.
He would be a
So
huge upgrade.
Zach Wilson is the 30th best
for the
quarterback in the league.
Jets.
Zach
29th,
Wilson's not
28th?
Zach Wilson's not top 30 quarterback.
So he's okay.
No.
It's
No,
him
bro,
or Kenny
Zach
Pickett.
Wilson's a
Kenny
top
Pickett.
50
Really?
quarterback.
Yeah, he's the top
Top
50.
50, that's
He
pretty
could-
accurate.
He could be one of the bottom backups.
Because you know what?
It's
I'm really
crazy how
thinking
he's
about it right
fallen
now. I would take Teddy Bridgewater over him. Trey Lance
Absolutely.
and
I would
and
take Pickett.
Jimmy. Yeah, Pickett probably. Are you taking Mitch Trubisky? Honest question.
No.
The question is, are you taking Rudolph?
Oh, okay. That's where I draw the
no,
line. That's where I draw the line. That's where I draw
Jordan,
the line.
Jordan, how do you go? How do you go from Mormon Mahomes to Mason
Mason
Rudolph?
Rudolph.
That's what I want to know.
I'm taking Pickett. I'll go Pickett, Wilson, Rudolph. And
Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Oh, geez.
Jordan, we want to thank you so much for
Thanks,
being
guys.
on the
I
show.
appreciate you, man.
Jordan, give him a round of applause.
Thank you,
Jordan, real quick before you go, is there anything that you want to shout out?
I would just say, I'm on the Score now, doing all their good stuff as their NFL insider. Hopefully you'll post this and you guys will see all my socials, my Twitter,
Yeah,
my
we
Oh
got
yeah,
you.
we
Instagram,
got
my
that. We got
TikToks.
that.
Just trying to grow it and continue talking shop with you. I'd love to do it again. It'd be fun.
Shout out to Jordan Schultz for being on the podcast for 40 minutes, I believe it was. I don't know about you guys, but I can't get Zach Wilson out of my mind.
Really?
I can't get Zach
I'm
Wilson
shocked,
out of my mind.
actually.
The way that game ended, Zach Wilson, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
There's something to say.
There's
a
definitely
lot to
something to
say.
say. Yeah.
It's garbage.
And we haven't even gotten
Hot
to really
shit.
his press conference after the game because that's what pissed me off more. You can be bad, you can be
No.
terrible, but you can't go into the press conference after and not take accountability and not say, I let the defense down, I let my guys down, because there's no excuse. We could talk about the wind. It's Belichick. It's New England. I get all of that. 70 passing yards and 9 completions under any circumstance is
crazy.
just not going to be allowed.
In the second half, there was more snow in Buffalo than passing yards by Zach Wilson.
Was there 0 passing yards? Or there's -7 or something?
Yeah.
-7?
Yeah.
Buffalo had like 31 inches of snow.
Yeah. No, almost 6 feet of snow.
Yeah, that's like
That's 2 yards. All right. All you had to do is
6 feet, was
70
it 12
inches?
inches
It's
in
like
the
70
foot?
inches,
No.
72 inches.
12,
Part-
24,
part of me right
36,
now-
40,
60, 72.
72.
Come on. You don't know your 12 timetables?
I just did. There's
I know,
12
but
inches
off,
in a
off
foot.
The, off the head, I'm saying. Like
No,
12
I
times
was.
7.
I didn't know. What's the name? Feet.
feet to yards conversion.
No, I didn't know it was that many feet that snowed. That's
Oh,
what-
in Buffalo.
Yeah, I didn't know
okay,
that.
yeah,
many
Oh,
no,
it,
feet.
so
it was ridiculous.
Damn, Zach sucks.
That's why I would never live in Buffalo.
I don't know who
It's
would.
too much snow.
It's freezing.
Yeah,
up
I'm
there.
not trying to Buffalo.
All they
It's
have is
cold down
Josh
there.
Allen.
Freezing.
I mean, that's a decent reason.
To live up there.
You wouldn't do that?
Part of me is
I'm right here.
conflicted about how I want to talk about Zach Wilson because there's a route that I can go where I just basically tell it how it is. You know, he played poorly, but before I get to that, I just want to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. And people are going to listen to that and say, yo, how can you? You know, he was so horrible and bad. From a human perspective, I do feel for him. Like, just as a person, for someone that was in Utah, that went to Utah,
You are
and then went to
serious.
New York. I am serious.
Okay.
Someone that grew up his entire life in Utah, a secluded area, going to the biggest market in the world where everything is under a microscope. It's got to be tough. So that's the human perspective that I'm willing to give him, because I do feel for that. There's a lot of pressure, especially when you're the quarterback for the New York Jets. I rewatched the Commanders and Texans game yesterday. Davis Mills is pretty bad too. And he wasn't as bad as Zach Wilson. I'm not trying to make that comparison. Okay. But what I'm saying is that if Zach Wilson does this in any other place that's not New York, the story is kind of getting swept under the rug.
If he's still the number 2 overall pick, people are still calling
Davis
him a bust.
Mills is not a top 10 pick. Why would you compare them to?
I'm watching the Would You Rather Zach Wilson. Oh my God.
I don't ever want to hear it.
Oh my God.
Because I know I picked Zach over Jalen because I had to.
Over Jalen?
I had to.
Over Trevor? Oh my God.
When did we post that?
Yeah, why'd you have to?
He said I had to.
Why'd you have
to?
For Zach, is Zach Wilson quarterback of the Jets? Like,
That
I love
doesn't mean
Jalen.
but you don't. You usually don't. You usually keep it 100.
I know, but Zach was at that time as a passer. He was further along than Jalen.
How long ago was that?
This was last December, probably. Yeah.
He looked for that one.
When was that?
I
posted,
didn't. I mean,
Drew?
all I had to do was type in "Would you rather Zach Wilson."
When was it posted?
First, July 14th.
July. Oh, this past year.
Yeah.
Oh, not earlier on, or later, I should say.
That was the benefit of the doubt I'm willing to give him.
The thing is, Zach at the end of
y'all want to hear this? I'm sorry. I'm playing it. I'm sorry, Joel. I'm sorry.
Go for it. It's
I'm sorry.
It's embarrassing.
Take out to
For this upcoming season, yeah, Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz.
Oh,
Let's go.
So you know what time it is. Would you rather? Zach Wilson edition. Gonna ask you a bunch of guys. You tell me who would you rather. Here we go. First name, Jalen Hurts.
Zach Wilson.
For this upcoming season, yeah, Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz.
Never in doubt.
Zach Wilson.
Never in
Ryan
doubt.
Tannehill.
Never in
Zach Wilson.
doubt.
Jameis Winston. Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Derek Carr. Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Baker Mayfield.
Zach Wilson.
Trey Lance.
Zach Wilson.
Trevor Lawrence.
Zach Wilson.
Oh
Zach,
my
Matt Jones.
God.
Zach Wilson.
I would take Matt.
Trevor Lawrence one is crazy.
Yeah, the Trev one's crazy.
Hey
Larry-
man, good
yeah.
The
stuff.
the
You
other
save
one,
face.
yeah, thank God.
save face.
Thank God. There might be like an older one then or something. I feel like I said that at some point. I don't know.
I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, but let's just call it how it is. Let's just call it how it is right here.
You said all that to just say, let's call it how it is.
How are we calling it? Because I don't know which way you're calling it. You're giving the benefit of the doubt. You said he played bad.
Listen, I was wrong about Zach Wilson. It's as simple as that.
Sucks.
Do I, up here right now, feel a bit embarrassed for all the hyping up I did of Zach Wilson? I definitely do.
You should.
It's somebody that I thought was going to turn into a good quarterback.
You thought he'd be Tua.
And-
That's a shame.
From my perspective, I was absolutely wrong.
Yep.
Almost every scout was too,
L.
because they had Zach Wilson high as well. So to me, that was just an eye opener that it's very hard to evaluate the quarterback position, and I messed up. There's no doubt about that. I just want to take you guys through the emotional roller coaster that has been the Zach Wilson fandom for me, because he gets drafted. He's somebody
Not a
that I
happy ending.
watched in college, and I loved him. I said, yo, this guy's my favorite quarterback.
We were watching an interview with Zach Wilson when he was at BYU, and Joel is actively crying as we're watching this, by the way.
Yeah, that interview sold me as a Jets franchise quarterback. Zach Wilson becomes a Jet, and maybe I should have just seen this coming from the beginning, because I went to the Jets green and white practice that they host yearly, and at that very stadium that day, I bought a Zach Wilson jersey. And it's so ironic because before I bought that jersey, I've bought Sam Darnold's, I bought Mark Sanchez's, never Geno Smith's though, because he wasn't a first-round pick. And after Sanchez and Darnold didn't pan out, I told myself, I'm not buying the Jets quarterback's jersey because I have to see them pan out. I got ahead of myself with Zach. I have a photo on Instagram that's captioned, I may have prematurely ruined Zach Wilson's career by buying his jersey. So do I give myself some of the blame in this? I do, man. 2021 preseason, he looked like the man.
2021 preseason has to go.
I know it's the
Come on,
preseason.
what are we doing?
But I
What are we
look
doing?
at that Zach Wilson. I look at
Joel,
how confident he
Just
is.
let him.
In the preseason, he was the best rookie quarterback. And I'm just looking at myself like, man, if this guy looks like this on Sundays, we have a quarterback. We have our guy. The regular season comes. He throws a lot of interceptions. The Titans game happened. I can't lie. The Titans game was the highest that I've been as a Jets fan in years. That was my favorite game.
That game or the Bills game we just had?
Yeah, but the Titans game for me was when I saw Zach Wilson rip that ball 50 yards.
Tearing up.
He's about to cry.
The excitement I had, I was with my dad. I was like, yes. Zach Wilson's our quarterback.
He's about to cry. This is L. This moment right here. Crying over Zach Wilson.
Imagine.
It's crazy.
Imagine.
He's not that good, bro. He's not that good, bro. I'm sorry.
I can't believe the Jets missed on the
Oh, shit. Bro is in pain. He is hurt. Oh, shit. Yo, he's really hurting for real. Like, damn.
Bro.
Zach did it to him.
Wow. You know what, man? I'll be honest. I want to come up here and I really want to be sympathetic for the guy.
Try, man.
You know, because I
gonna be here.
I root for the Jets. Like, I really want them to succeed. These are my two of my best friends. I hate to see the Jets not be successful. But when I think about all the times that I was called foolish for thinking of supporting Tua Tagovailoa, that it made it difficult to want to see Zach succeed. And now Zach is, unfortunately, probably the worst starting quarterback in the league as of right now.
Do you really think there's one worse than him?
Kenny Pickett, maybe?
Honestly,
I think Pickett's better.
Let me think of names. Mariota?
I would rather Mariota. Like, as hell.
He's fucked. That's the only two I got. Brissett's been playing good.
Yeah, Brissett has been playing
I'm
well.
sorry.
We already said Heinicke
Matt
or
Ryan,
Schultz.
Ellinger, when he was playing.
The only thing I feel bad about, honest to God, is that since you're my friend,
Davis
I
Mills.
want him to be successful. That's really it.
Yeah.
But the disrespect that you showed me in the past when it came to my opinions on another AFC East quarterback, that's the only reason why I can't be all, on the same level of sorrow as
I understand the
discrepancy.
I understand
issue.
it. I do understand it, because of course, there's a rivalry there naturally.
There is.
I thought Zach Wilson was the guy. I know I said those tears. That's how much I believe Zach Wilson was the guy. Every game this year, I've defended him. The Patriots game was the game for me. That was the last straw. I just couldn't anymore. And then the press conference took it over the top. I don't know where it went wrong for him. I don't know, because I do believe he's talented. I just don't know if he's reading the field correctly. There's just
a lot of questions.
The intangibles are just not there. And this is where I get a bit serious about this matter, because of course I'm not in the locker room. I'm not practicing. I don't know what's going on there on a day-to-day basis. I don't know how hard Zach Wilson's working. Maybe he's working very hard and he still hasn't been able to figure it out. I don't know any of that. But just me assuming, looking at how he's played, I can make the assumption that he hasn't put in the time in to be a great NFL quarterback. Because we've seen quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts who have come in and they've put in the time. We had Darius Slay on the pod and talk about his leadership. We've seen him want to get better, and he has.
Here's another example.
We've seen Justin Fields do it too, and he got better.
Weeks.
Well, Quinnen said at his press conference they see Zach, because the reporter asked him, did Zach clear the air with you guys, obviously after remarks about the defense, and he said, no, Zach doesn't have to. We see how hard he works. He comes in and works just as hard as the rest of us.
That sounds like...
So Quinnen is a leader on that defense.
Yeah,
He's a leader of the team. So him talking highly about Zach resonates with me.
It does, but I want to say that to say this. We do this podcast 2 times a week. We put a lot of work into this podcast. We all have lives outside of this podcast. We all work our hardest to put on a show every single time we do this podcast. So for me, what bothers me about Zach Wilson is the thought that he's not putting in the work to be a great NFL quarterback. That's what bothers me.
Joel, you're losing me, bro. Joel, you're losing me. You're losing me. You're losing me. You're losing me. You're losing me.
It sounds like a disappointed dad. Like,
Bro, no.
No, we're not.
Forget about that.
We're
just
not
compared
comparing.
doing a
We're not,
podcast
We're not.
twice a week to being an NFL
Reel it back
quarterback.
in. Reel it back in.
Oh my
Reel it
god!
But
back
that to me, I don't know, because he's
There's
talented.
nothing to defend. That's it.
I
He's
just
good.
I
No.
feel like if
You
he
fell in love with him, bro. You fell in love with him as a prospect. He went to your favorite team, and then you, at that point, you have to root for him. And it's been hard sitting up here for the last 2 months, being a diehard Jets fan who is very indifferent about Zach, and talk to Zach about you. Because I feel like I could have some very honest conversations about Zach with 80, 90% of Jets fans. But when it came to you, it was always positives, always rainbows with Zach. And that's why we never saw eye to eye, because I could say, I could give him his praise. But when he plays bad, it's starting to be consistently bad.
So
when you're consistently bad and every once in a while you have a good drive, a good fourth quarter, a good first quarter like you did against Buffalo, but overwhelmingly it's bad, that's when we've had these disagreements on the show.
Let me ask you. Now, I know prior to the show we spoke about the ship sinking. Excuse me. Are you going to bring him along with you, or are you choosing to allow him to big bro you right now? Joel,
I'm glad you brought that up,
thank you.
very
because
confused.
Dehls, you act as if you haven't been a Zach Wilson fan, and you haven't been rooting for Zach, and you haven't also been projecting this breakout like me.
I've definitely been rooting for Zach, yes.
I've definitely been higher up on the projection, but you also projected him to be very,
I did.
very, very good.
Drew, how quick was I out of the Zach? It was, I'll be honest, Drew, it was like 2 games into the season. It was very early. It was very early. I remember sitting here and we were talking about Tua, and he said, would you rather have Tua or Zach? And I couldn't answer, and I had to hide my face because I didn't want to answer. That was very early on in the season after the Ravens game. Zach coming into this year, I was very high on. I
2
was
weeks in,
with
you
the
were cooked
offense. Then he has the injury, which a second injury, his second year in the career, second injury where he's going to miss games. He comes back against the Steelers. He had a rough first 3 quarters. A couple drives really didn't do it for me. I forgot the game he played after the Steelers. Who did we play?
I forgot. No, it wasn't the Bills.
Patriots.
Bengals?
No, Bengals was before. I'm not sure. But Zach did nothing spectacular this season. Zach never showed flashes. And with this offense and what we were
went to see
seeing,
that
facts,
one.
when we were seeing with Joe Flacco, the way he was playing for 300 yards, however you want to cut it, we were getting blown out in a couple of games, whatever, throwing for 300 yards, and I don't see Zach have anywhere near the same sort of production, tells me very quick the type of quarterback he is.
That's respectable. I understand your perspective, but you also have takes of you saying you take Zach over Tua.
I'm sure. I
You
know.
also have a take before the
Bro's
draft.
taking you down with him.
Before the draft, you tweeted, I have it in my phone. You tweeted that trade Sam Darnold. Either you want to trade back and keep Sam or keep the pick and draft Zach Wilson. Because sometimes I hear you come on the show and say, we should have had Justin Fields, jokingly.
I was very high on
Hey,
Justin
hey,
Fields.
hey,
I have
hey,
tweets saying
hey.
take Justin Fields that too.
Hey, no doubt.
It's rich coming from this guy over here who has 2 different opinions on everything.
No doubt. Justin
Jets
Fields.
fans arguing.
Justin Fields
Needed this.
Justin Fields is my guy. Now I like
How much
Justin
did I get
Fields.
made fun of last year rooting for Justin Fields?
lot.
Get
A
clowned
lot.
by him for rooting for Justin Fields. How often?
A lot.
Justin Fields.
Now he's a Justin
has
Fields
improved.
truther.
No, I'm not. Justin Fields has improved, though, and I can admit when a quarterback has been super impressive
Extremely
to me.
better, yeah.
Fields has been
You
remarkable.
can't talk to me about Fields when I was up here praising him last year.
Yes, but you also thought Zach Wilson would be making this type of leap. Don't lie.
I didn't.
You know you
but you were adamant at making this
You
leap
also
after he
want
sucked
Zach
for a
Wilson
month.
number 2. So let's stop acting like I was the only one wrong about. You were wrong about Zach
No,
Wilson too.
because
was I wrong?
because once he showed
but
me
you were
who
wrong about
Zach really
Wilson.
was, that's when I got out. You kept believing week after week after week after week. You believed.
You stopped believing after the Broncos game.
I stopped believing. What was his 3rd game? I really don't remember. What was that, his 3rd game?
Maybe
this
the
year?
All right, so
Packers
you guys went Baltimore. Well, obviously the 3 games: Baltimore,
Yes.
Cleveland,
It was
Cincinnati.
Pitt-
So then it was Pittsburgh, Miami, Green Bay, Denver, New England.
Pittsburgh, Miami, game-winning drive, good game against Miami.
But
It went downhill.
Look
The Broncos
look at his
game.
numbers, bro.
Of course. I know I'm
252.
saying that.
He had 210 against Miami. He had 110 against Green Bay. He had 121 against Denver.
What are we talking about?
355 against
Yes,
New
you
England.
stop believing like in the Green Bay Broncos game. There's no doubt. It took me longer to get off the Zach
You
Wilson
stayed on
train.
about as long as you possibly could. I'm surprised you're
course.
still even kind of holding out
course.
hope a little bit.
Listen, I'm done with Zach Wilson. I
You're
can't.
done?
I can't
Are
root for
you?
Zach Wilson.
It's funny. It's funny because Joel, you know what Joel said a few weeks ago? He said, Joel, when Zach Wilson goes off, I'll remember you doubting him. I'm remember you. So if Zach Wilson went off, he's going to say, I doubted him. Now that Zach Wilson sucks, he's trying to bring up, oh, well, you always wanted Zach. You had him. Come on, bro.
No.
Come on. We know how I felt about Zach over these last months. I have to root for him.
We agree?
He's the Jets quarterback. I'm going to root for him.
Can we agree to also agree on this one? Agree to disagree, whatever. Can we agree that you thought you were high on Zach Wilson too?
Coming into the year, yes.
Okay, after these couple of games, you left. There's no doubt. Was I wrong for saying that, oh, you're going to see?
You've been the face
for
of
sure,
Zach.
For sure.
If Zach wasn't on the Jets, I don't know. Yeah. I had to be in on him. I had no other choice.
The thing is, it was written in the stars for Zach to be successful. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, you bring in 2 tight ends. I just don't. You draft Breece Hall. You have a solid offensive line that has gotten beat up, but when healthy, it's good.
Breece Hall went
It's
down.
playing
Life
well.
got horrible for Zach,
Exactly.
man.
It was written in the stars for him to be
once
good.
Breece went down,
It
it
showed you
once
the
Breece
real
went
Zach.
down, bro, this offense lacks explosion.
Showed you the real
Without
Zach.
Breece, because Zach can't consistently make explosive plays. He can't. No way. He needs a receiver and the running backs. James Robinson and Michael Carter are not explosive type players. They're not breaking off the runs Breece can. And I love Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, but Zach can't hit guys. He can't hit
Garrett
wide
ain't
open
ready yet.
guys. He can't hit guys in the flat. So when you have no explosive plays and you're relying on running the ball, and hope Zach can make a play here or there, it's going to be hard to watch that offense.
My problem with you right now is that I feel like you're copping out, right?
Ooh.
And this is why. This is why.
Did I not say once Breece went down, we don't want to see what this offense looks like?
For sure.
But this is why.
You were the one that
He was the one that
you were kind of
I
happy.
Yes. It's
I
disgusting.
was not happy.
You wasn't
'Cause
happy
he
because
was
you was like,
not
now we
He's
can
been
see
wrong.
Zach Wilson.
He's been
For
wrong.
lack of better words, you were happy.
He's been
For lack of
wrong, and
better
he's
words.
trying to spin this on me somehow. Like, bro,
No. I'm not trying to spin it. I was wrong. There's no doubt. But you are trying to cop out by saying, oh, yeah, but I wouldn't have really believed him if he wasn't the Jets quarterback.
that's
Come on, bro. Get
I
out
mean,
of here.
obviously, it's
Get
easy
outta
to say
here,
now.
bro.
I like
it is easy to
I
say
like
now.
Trey Lance
like,
more.
Can we?
We said it earlier in the season. I like Trey Lance
I was
more.
wronger about Zach Wilson. There's no doubt.
Big fat wrong.
Let's stop acting like you was
Big
you
wrong.
was like you wasn't wrong.
yeah.
either.
Joel, I'm be honest. You can't just throw that in his face for being wrong when.
No, you were also wrong.
You just can't be the one to do
We
that.
both take
you
the
know,
L.
And
like,
if Zach,
Don't get me
respect.
wrong.
He gets a
as
capital L, though. You get a lowercase
As a
L.
Jets fan, I'm gonna take the L. Trust me,
but
my
you
God.
but you
bro.
tried to say you was wrong,
big
like
fat wrong.
yeah,
Like,
no, you were wrong.
has he not been the face of Zach Wilson, bro?
He gets a capital L. You get a lowercase L. You both get L's
That's what
though.
I'm
like,
saying. We're talking about different types of L's.
no,
That's
but
what
you
I'm
still get an
saying.
L though. Don't
I'm not
try
trying
to
say
walk
I'm
away from
out.
that L.
I'm
like-
100% honest
I'm
with
not
you.
trying to say I'm non-deserving.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying there's been a lot of guys I had preferred over Zach that Joel
Okay,
has not.
okay.
Like Trey Lance.
Simple
Like Trey
terms.
Lance, like Jalen Hurts.
That's still an L right now.
Simple terms.
Who'd
You
you
went-
rather have right now?
I don't know.
No, I'd rather. I mean, listen. You still have the idea.
You have the mystery
idea
box
that
of
Lance
Trey
plays.
Lance.
Okay,
You have
I'll take the mystery
exactly.
box.
Okay.
That's the
you
mystery
go.
box.
But
I mean,
also, be
Fields.
fair. I want your honest answer.
Okay.
Please give me your honest answer.
All I spit is honesty.
If Zach Wilson is on the 49ers and not Trey Lance, are you not high on Zach Wilson?
Dude, I don't know if Zach succeeds with the Niners.
Damn.
Let's keep it a stack.
He's
honest.
reached the all-time low if that's the case.
Bro, we're watching the worst starting quarterback in the NFL.
Stop. Respect Davis Mills.
23rd in QBR. Hasn't been the absolute worst.
You think so?
That performance was the worst this
Listen,
season for sure.
Zach,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still, and
On
with
any
all
given
of this
night, it's
being
like-
said, I would still start Zach Wilson against Chicago. Saleh could say that all he wants, everything's up to evaluation, gotta watch the tape. But Mike White and Joe Flacco, they're not doing anything.
Mike
for
White
you.
was on a 40 interception pace.
Exactly. Mike White's just making
He had
too many
8 interceptions in
interceptions.
like 3 games.
Joe Flacco, I don't know. I give Zach the first half against Chicago. If he's really bad again, then you put in Flacco. But give him a chance against a defense that's not New England. You know what I mean?
Look, Joe,
I
you
played them twice, though.
shot 0 for 5. I shot 0 for 20. We both had bad games.
Jesus.
I had a worse game. I had a worse game, but you still had a bad game.
To be fair, 0 for 20 is historical.
0 for 5 is an off night.
Yeah, like 0 for 20 is
5
like
is off night.
historically bad. like,
What about 0 for 15?
that's still. I think that's still historically bad.
How about 2 for 17?
I don't think that's historical. I think
about
Harden
3
has
for
done
27?
that
3 for
That's historic.
I'm cutting too deep because that was.
I think
what
2
you
for
guys
17.
were.
I've seen 2 for 17 before. So that's not. I wouldn't say historically bad.
Listen, bro, we're Jets fans.
Look,
It's fine.
the
team's got to move on.
I'm glad that there was some turmoil.
And this is for everybody that's
damn,
watching
Kittle's
as
had a big
well,
touchdown.
because oftentimes we get a lot in the comments. It's oh man, Joel just plays the role of contrary and all this stuff. I say crazy things because I really believe in him. You just saw me cry about Zach Wilson. I believed in Zach Wilson. This wasn't something that I just came up here and I was like, I'm gonna hype up this Jets quarterback. I believed he was gonna be a great quarterback.
I know.
And when I believe in these players, I really believe, because at the end of the day, I talk sports, but I'm a fan. That's what I am. I'm a fan that talks, and I give you my raw, real, emotional reaction, and that's my emotional reaction. Zach Wilson, you look at Jordan Schultz mentioned it. The numbers compared to Jamarcus Russell. If your name's next to Jamarcus anything, that's bad. It's hard to see him come back from this. If he does, it's going to be a remarkable story.
It would be.
It's going to be a remarkable story.
Look at him. He's already setting himself up.
That's the E60.
He's already setting himself
I don't want to
up.
hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't.
But
if that does happen, I swear to God, I'm not acknowledging it.
But I don't know if that's going to happen. Like Joe
You
was
don't
saying,
know?
I don't think it's
Or
going to
do
happen.
you know for a fact?
Look, I don't think it's going to happen. Like Joe here is saying, I'm not going to set myself up for that, right? If Zach Wilson does good against the Bears and then lights it up against the Lions, I will still remain calm. I give you my word. I will still
I'm
remain
not
calm.
believing
I
you.
don't believe you.
If he has like a 2-touchdown game and he looks like the guy, I will be like, easy up, Joel. Don't get back in.
It starts with Chicago.
It's for me, and this is it's so ironic because I'm tougher on so many other quarterbacks. Like I am
we know.
extremely
I know.
tough on
We know.
quarterbacks.
I know.
But when it comes to Jets quarterbacks,
Yeah.
I'm lenient.
Your brain turns to jello.
I am going to treat Zach Wilson the same way
Okay.
I will treat other quarterbacks.
I will believe it when I hear it.
Define other quarterbacks.
Just
Because there's like 28 quarterbacks, and there's like 2 or 3 you have in a group that you treat to a little bit different standard.
Hurts into it, buddy.
Not even.
Hurts
No,
and Tua.
Hurts he respects.
No.
I've heard you respect
Two
Hurts.
has been.
He's in a class of his
generational.
own.
Lamar too.
Lamar, facts.
I love Lamar Jackson.
Oh my God. Nope, not having it.
Why do we allow? Like I made it an
There's
emphasis
footage
of
out.
mine. There's an emphasis of mine when I came onto the show. I would put an end to this flip aside nonsense.
thing, buddy.
And I'll tell you what, it hasn't worked. I've come on here and I've to no avail been able to fix the mess that goes on in that brain of his.
Can I not say I love Lamar Jackson to be critical of his game?
No, you cannot.
But I love watching him play.
No.
He's somebody I genuinely like to watch play.
But you
football.
love Zach
Have
Wilson.
you ever been critical of Josh Allen?
No.
Yes.
When?
Come on, bro. I've been very.
Oh no!
critical
Yes,
of
yes,
Josh
yes,
Allen.
yes. He took an offensive lineman over him. Yes,
No,
yes.
but in the
Yes.
last
oh my god,
year.
and that was when he was
there's
wrong.
been nothing. There's been nothing really he can really say now. But before, it was a lot he could have said. He was very hard. Used to call him trash.
What would I be critical of Josh Allen about? then?
Critical of Burrow. I'm just asking anything.
No.
What has Burrow done to make me critical of him?
So these guys are too perfect.
They're
He's
not
had Burrows had a
perfect.
couple
But
off
give
games.
me a moment that I'm supposed to be extremely critical.
Well, the
of.
Why
Steelers
couldn't
game,
Burrow
the
win,
Steelers game,
win
you
in
didn't say
Baltimore?
much about the first
I
game.
didn't overreact. I said it was a bad game.
Why couldn't Burrow win in Baltimore?
He made a bad play to Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen intercepted him.
That's
But
a
I
shame.
don't believe in Zach Taylor's play call. I do believe he's held back by the play call. The Bengals don't. I don't believe in Zach Taylor. I really don't. I don't.
I'm not trying to.
But I'll say Tua and Jalen Hurts. Right? That you mentioned the quarterbacks like
Lamar's
bracket
in that.
because those are the 2 quarterbacks right now that I feel like have to prove something to me because they're in a great situation. So I look at that and I'm like, okay, I have to take these things into account.
That's ridiculous. Like Burrow is
Game-winning drive against his Colts.
But back to the
Matt Ryan
subject,
folded.
Should have blew it
from
off.
now on, the same way I'm
Keep the same energy.
The
That's
standard
all we
I
ask.
keep for other quarterbacks, I will keep for Zach Wilson. If he happens to have 2 good games in a row, I won't overreact to them. I'll stay even keeled. I'll stay stone faced. I'll stay stoic.
So would you start Zach in Chicago? You go to Mike White or Flacco?
I like your idea of having him start the first half, and if he does poorly, sit him. I also wouldn't be surprised if Robert Saleh Wednesday, which he said he'll make his decision Wednesday, is also going with another quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised either. There's a reason why I shorted his stock on Mojo.
And you came up.
Yeah, I
You
came up a lot by doing that. So there's a reason I did that. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I like your idea because it does give Zach an ability to bounce back. And I feel like if that is your second overall pick, you have to give him that ability to at least bounce back.
I agree.
And see what he's made of in that moment. But those are my feelings on Zach. You guys know, that it's been tough.
You're in hell.
Yeah, I'm at peace.
I'd
That's
be
what
in
I'll
hell.
say. I'm at
If
peace.
I saw Tua Tagovailoa doing all the things that you thought that Zach would be doing, yeah, I'd be in hell too.
Tua he's been good. I think he's been
If
good.
that's the word you want to use, then that's on you.
Do you want me to say he's been great?
I mean, I want you to tell the truth.
Tua has been great this season.
Correct.
Yes, but I still don't know if this is sustainable on a year-to-year basis. That's where my worry is.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
Yeah. That's my thing with Tua right now. I don't know if it's sustainable on a year-to-year basis.
It's a shame.
Same thing with Jalen Hurts. I still want to see it more. I do. That's just my opinion.
Weren't
on
you
Tua.
calling Zach Wilson a franchise quarterback and you didn't see anything?
Yeah, that's how I am with Jets
Great point,
quarterbacks.
Riv.
So there's no doubt. But there are quarterbacks I hold to a standard. We just mentioned it. When it comes to Jets quarterbacks, I'm highly emotional because I'm a Jets fan. It is what it is. Yes, I'm biased. There's no doubt when it comes to the Jets and to some things too. But
we know.
I want to see it on a year-to-year basis.
Oh, so okay, year to year.
So instead of moving game to game, now you're on year to year.
Just because Zach Wilson played like shit, now you've
No, it does
officially
depend.
changed your.
No, it does
criteria.
depend on game to game. It does too. It really just depends. It just really depends.
Interesting.
It just depends.
Very interesting. All right.
Like we talked about it last week when we had a Tua segment that the second half of the season there's going to be tougher defenses. If he goes,
I'm ready. I'm grateful,
Yes,
honestly.
if he-
You guys play the Niners?
Yes.
yeah, they do. If he goes through them, and he's playing at this efficiency, my opinion does change. There's no doubt. I've already said it'll move.
Wait, what's your opinion right now? Just so we know, like, what's changing.
I feel like he's in a great system.
Okay.
And he's playing at a great level, but he's in a great situation. And we've seen quarterbacks in this situation be great.
Same with Hurts,
Ryan
right?
Tannehill, he wasn't even in as good of a situation as this one. But he had a 117 passer rating in 2019 and won 2 playoff games with the Titans. And I know Derrick Henry went off for those 2 games. And they were up on the Chiefs in an AFC championship. Tannehill, 2020, had another amazing, efficient season. He was a top 7 quarterback statistically, consensus. But we knew he wasn't really a top 7 quarterback. So there are times when a quarterback is playing well because of the surrounding parts, and
The thing is,
they
Tua
don't hold up to
is
that.
24 years old.
But you don't think even like because with Hurts, right? We
That's the
talked
thing.
about it, and you
Tua
talked
is
about
20.
Yeah, this isn't
Jared
the
Goff
second
was
stop
young
Tannehill.
with McVay.
Stop saying Jared Goff's name and Tua's in the same sentence.
you don't think with
It
Hurts-
needs to stop, bro. I'm being honest. I will never acknowledge it ever again.
Was Jared Goff not in an MVP conversation?
I'm going to be
He was.
honest. After
He
this
was.
episode, anytime you do that, bring up Tua and Jared Goff in the same breath, pretend I'm not on the show. Because it's rude and disrespectful.
Alex Smith in 2018, before Mahomes took over, wasn't
We're
an
talking
MVP
about it.
candidate.
Yeah, but we knew playoff time they would always.
No,
have
I know
to
that's
say
what I'm
His
saying.
numbers
So,
weren't this good.
I know that's what I'm saying. So
Tua is first
He
in
didn't have
so
top-
many
Did he
important
have Tyreek Hill or
categories.
no?
He did,
Like
but he might
Jared
have
Goff,
been-
was he
rookie
ever
Tyreek.
first in anything?
I don't think so.
he was first in passing.
I would say he probably was first at
Yeah.
around this time in the year, maybe not the end, but
Right
throughout
now
the
we're in
season, he was probably
2022.
first.
Back then it was 2017, 2018. He was playing at an amazing level.
He was. Yeah.
I mean, Monday Night Football, the Chiefs and the Rams dueled.
Like, that was an amazing game, but
yes,
let's
yes.
not highlight
Bro,
that as
that was an amazing game. The talk after that game was Jared Goff and Mahomes is going to be a rivalry for years to come. That was the talk after that game.
Back-to-back years of 4,700 yards, 32 touchdowns, 12 picks. That's
That 2018 year was very good. Very good.
That's why it's not a
And then
knock.
the year
to Tua.
after he lost Todd Gurley, correct?
2019. Yeah, that's
And the
when
numbers
Gurley
just
was
were
there, but he
absolutely-
wasn't.
they
He wasn't
weren't
Gurley.
Never the same, correct? That's a shame.
After 2019, yeah, I mean 2020 put up 4,000 yards, 20 to 13.
But even
touchdown
now, he's
reception.
playing well in Detroit. He's not playing bad in Detroit. They
Putting
just
up good
won 3
numbers.
straight games. He has an
Yo, they're sneaky.
yeah.
They're
He
sneaky.
has a above 90 passer rating this year.
He has 83. Oh, sorry, that's games.
That's games, yeah.
Passer rating. There we go, 93.
He's been playing well this season. Like, he's not a bad quarterback, So I want to see it sustained because I don't think the league has figured out McDaniel's scheme. Like, from the Cleveland game, there was, I think, a coach or a scout or somebody on Cleveland that said, Mike McDaniels, for every adjustment we made defensively, there was an adjustment to the defense. So, like, every time they dropped back, like, they had an answer for whatever Cleveland was running. Right now, McDaniel is in that mode where just everything he's calling is, like, just working. So I want to see when a defensive coordinator takes away the stuff that they want to do, if
How do
Tua
you take
can
it
go.
away?
That's not for me to figure out. That's for a defense coordinator to figure out.
I'm just saying that's an unstoppable offense right now. And I'm not just saying that in a very 2020 hindsight type of manner. I'm just meaning you have two guys that are probably the fastest at their position. Not only are they meticulous route runners, they also have the ability to beat you over the top. You cannot stop either of them.
You
The
can't
Niners
stop it
going to be a
unless
good
you-
game because this is their system. This is what McDaniel's bringing over. So this is going to be a great test. If anyone knows, it's going to be D'Amico Ryans.
And then even
It
again,
looks
you mentioned
unstoppable
it.
right now.
You mentioned it against the Browns, right? We didn't even see Waddle and Tyreek be at the forefront of the attack.
They were, but they didn't have the stats to show it. They were.
You understand what I'm saying,
I know-
though? They
I know.
weren't the recipients of why the Dolphins were so dominant. Yes, they
Yeah,
were crucial
but
because the attention goes to them.
The
but it's
Browns
not
are trying to
just-
stop them.
It's just not exactly.
But that's what I'm
correct.
saying. Yes.
Correct. They're trying to stop them, and even still, you think you're stopping them. It's not going to happen because Trent Sherfield can get his. Jeff Wilson's a good enough running back that he can get his. Raheem Mostert is still solid. Mike Gesicki is still a decent option. I refuse to give him that respect.
But
I
the
just
Browns
like
don't
it.
have the type of personnel that their third corner can match up consistently. Like they had
Not
Ward
many teams.
and Emerson.
What teams do?
The 49ers can match up.
Cornerback wise?
Just their defensive line giving Tua less time to throw. How
The
is
thing
Tua?
is, Tua gets the ball out faster than
Like
anyone.
how is Tua going to look when he's pressured consistently?
I mean,
These are all things that I haven't seen this season. You know that, and that I want to see.
Tua's pocket presence has been amazing this year.
But I still can't predict how it's gonna how he's gonna be when he's pressured consistently and they're in his face all day.
And the Bills aren't they one of the better?
They weren't
fronts?
in his face all day.
because Tua gets the ball out.
I'm
to
just
How
saying,
often is
like-
that going to happen, though?
It'll happen against the better defenses, but this is the thing.
There's like maybe
when
3 or 4.
when the defenses when there's a team that
They'll play the
figures
Bills again.
That's a fact.
Play
when
the
there's
Niners.
a
They'll be
team
healthy.
when there's a team that figures the Dolphins out, if it happens anytime soon, I'm not sure. But if a defense has a good game plan against them, that's now going to be copied. around
Yeah,
the
without
league.
a doubt.
And that's what that's what happened with the Bengals, and that's why they're having a slow offensive start this season. Although
They picked
they're
it up,
starting
sure.
to pick it up. That's why when the Rams
The
went
Chiefs,
to
quote unquote, with Tyreek over the top.
the too high
Last year, they struggled to start the year.
with the Rams in 2018 or 19, I believe, when they went to the Super Bowl, they only
Belichick.
scored 3 points because Belichick game planned for them perfectly. The entire league copied it. They didn't make the playoffs the very next year. So that's what I want to see when a team is the NFL is able to figure this offense out a little bit. How is it going to look? And that's my main concern right now.
Which
That's why I'm not
just
ready.
hold on to hope and a prayer.
No,
I'm with
that's
you.
why I'm
Listen,
not ready to crown
It might
him,
not be
you know?
figured out
the,
this year.
the offense at some point is going to get figured out to the point that these receivers aren't going to be as wide open as they are. But there's nothing that Tua has done that makes me think that when the receivers are less open, he's still going to find them. He's still one of the most accurate
throws them
quarterbacks in the
open
NFL.
also.
He has great
That's something
anticipation,
that I
great touch. He could fit it in windows. Like the receivers eventually are not going to be this open. But Tua has proven this year that they don't need to be wide open for him in this offense.
Talk to
succeed.
him. Talk to
Yeah,
him.
true. And he's been phenomenal this season. But I also want to see how that looks like. I'm not just going to assume that there's going to be no change in efficiency in the level of play. I want to see it. And once I see it, then I make my opinion off that. But I want to see it. I don't
we've
just
seen
want to.
it.
I just
Week
don't.
in,
Want, I don't
week
want to.
out.
I don't want to just. And that's also the same thing with Jalen Hurts. Why I'm not just out of just Jalen Hurts franchise guy automatically. I love his intangibles.
Has been playing bad recently, in your opinion?
He's been playing decent. I think the Commanders
I
game
feel like even that, even against we're going to talk about it later, so I'll wait.
Against the Commanders, I felt like
He did
the
everything
Commanders were able to stop the run, and that led to some issues for them, at least offensively.
They made their
to
most
Hurts-
explosive plays. The receivers made mistakes.
Hurts, Quez Watkins, that throw was phenomenal, and that would have put them in position to
The
score.
AJ Brown one was fucking perfect.
The last drive of the
I know,
Unbelievable.
yeah, stupid.
but the last drive of the game, Hurts does run into a sack.
He did.
So that I'm like, okay,
But then he had a game-winning drive this past weekend, Cindy.
yeah, but are you really gonna just say it's a game-winning drive and not add context to that
He had the
situation?
two biggest plays of the drive. The 4th down and a touchdown. Yes, they ran the
What
ball down
was
the
the-
field because the Colts couldn't stop the run and they killed the clock. It's honestly
the fourth
smart
down.
play
What
for
do
him.
what do you mean entirely with the fourth down?
It was 4th down. He called his own number, and he rushed for the first.
And then he had a touchdown.
You're right.
Two
I
biggest
have
plays of
I
the
have
drive.
the I have the 10th drive right here. I actually was doing notes on it earlier. In the beginning of the drive, Hurts, he made the wrong read on the option play,
He did. I know.
He gave it to the running back. I mean,
he kept it.
He should have given it to the running back, and he kept it. And all game long, that was a consistent thing where he wasn't sure about who to give it to the option because the Colts were playing the running back for most of the game because they wanted Hurts to run it because they were having a defender right there waiting for him if he did. He was making the wrong decision on those option plays for the most part. He had a couple bad decisions there. Then Hurts underthrew the goal ball to Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
Which it was DPI.
Why are we calling it an underthrow when it was a flag?
Because Miles Sanders was on a goal ball.
I understand.
It was also
it
would have been
relevance doesn't matter.
That's a throw only a few quarterbacks can make. He's on the left side of the field making it 50 yards.
It was a
down the
DPI,
right
but the
sideline.
ball was not catchable.
The defensive player did not even make it a chance at
Listen,
the ball.
that happens all the time in the NFL. They even brought up
Absolutely.
saying, how can we negate this so it's not such a crazy penalty? Because it's impossible for the defender to realize because you're going back and the guy all of a sudden stops and you're both running full speed. You're going to run into him or at least you're going to hold him.
But that, to Joe's point, why did he stop? Why did Sanders
Because it was
stop?
underthrown.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. The ball was just underthrown. Yes, did they get the favorable call? Yes, there's no doubt. But I also take that into account when evaluating Jalen Hurts' performance.
Hurts has been great
the
all
play
year,
just doesn't
bro.
count. It's
Hurts
not
has
that
been
I
great
just
all
don't count it
year.
no more.
Hurts
The
has been great all
microscope
year.
to the television
And then
when you watch some
after,
people.
and then after the DPI, they just ran the ball the entire drive. They didn't, and it was with the running
How much
backs.
time was left when they started running the ball down after the DPI? How much time was left?
Less than 2 minutes.
Exactly. So you kill the
What's
clock. The
wrong
Colts
with that,
can't use
though?
timeouts,
I'm
and you
just
win
saying,
the game.
For the rest of the drive, Hurts did not pass. For me,
And
at
he
least,
still had the two biggest plays of the drive.
Can I finish? For me, at least, that gave me the impression that the Eagles didn't want him to pass that drive.
Well, they were succeeding on the ground. They
So-
were getting first down after first down.
So they ran the ball, and then Hurts had the 4th and 2 run, and then he had the touchdown. Hurts had the touchdown, but can we also look at the defensive play call on that and say that was a
Again,
horrible
it's
play
just
call?
Every
Well,
time
they
you're
were
trying to,
they were going for the pass. They were in shotgun. They had 3 or 4 receivers out there.
Bro,
They're thinking
Riv, that's
pass,
like- that's
and
like-
then the lane opens up, and that's Jalen Hurts. He's going to go
Riv,
run touchdown and win
this
the game.
is this is the play that went on. The Eagles are in spread, right? Which means the wide receivers are spread out. The corners are covering them.
the play call
It's a
was
light box
There
because
is-
there's all receivers on the outside.
There is nobody spying Jalen Hurts.
Stupid.
He just takes it and goes, and that's the equivalent of somebody leaving Steph Curry open for 3.
Okay, so it's
play
we're,
call.
we're,
Like,
we're
yeah,
blaming
that's
Jalen
like
Hurts for making the perfect
That's
read
what
on the
I'm-
play.
That's exactly
I'm
what
just
I'm
like,
saying.
bro,
losing.
Hurts-
How
I'm
about
losing
we
that
give
play call.
credit where credit is
Because
due?
if there was a
Fuck
QB
the
spy and there's a
defense.
receiver open, he throws it. That's the right play too. But we don't know. The
You could
defense
say-
made a mistake, and Jalen
You
Hurts
can say
took
Hurts made a
advantage.
good play, but you can say that's still bad play calling. You can say
But
both.
Like the way
your
you're-
quarterback took what if he didn't run it and he threw it incomplete or an interception and the replay shows there's a wide open
That'd
lane
been bad on him.
We're gonna sit here and blame Jalen Hurts because the Colts made a mistake? No, the
shouldn't.
Colts made a mistake and they still had a chance with his guy Matt Ryan, who he's been talking up all year. He went 4 and out. He looked old. That's who the Colts are. While the Eagles, the better team, my agenda this season, it's okay, buddy. Next year, my agenda this season, they won the game. Jalen Hurts is having the breakout
won.
year. I don't
They
want to
won.
hear it,
They
bro.
won.
I don't want to hear it.
So you don't mention the great throws Matt Ryan had in the game. The hold up, but the second to last drive, he hit Paris Campbell between 2 defenders on a corner
that
route.
was
He
fire.
set them up to
All
to
he needed
score.
was a field goal in the
didn't
last
play
drive.
Was Matt Ryan bad in that game?
He needed
No.
a
Can
field
you actually
goal.
tell me Matt Ryan was bad
Was
in that game?
Jalen Hurts?
They were.
No,
they
he
both
was
were
all
bad.
right.
I'm
He was all
not
right.
sitting here. You're shitting on
But
Hurts.
you're
You're making
taking
the
a
right
microscope
decision.
and you're watching everything that Jalen Hurts
You're
does.
watching
and
the
you're being
negative
super
stuff.
hypercritical.
Watching all the negative stuff,
Not in a
bro.
negative way.
I'm
You're just
analyzing it. That's
no,
what I'm
you're
doing.
over analyzing.
No, I'm just
Bro, he's been one of the most
analyzing.
accurate quarterbacks in the league this year. One of the most accurate deep ball throwers. He's improved significantly.
He's been amazing for 7
It's
out
like
of 9
also-
Yes,
games.
he's been great.
He was great against the Commanders. If A.J.
was.
Brown,
He
he
was.
put a perfect
His receivers
50
failed
deep,
him.
that would have been an extra 50 yards and probably a touchdown for him.
But
If
Wes
Quez Watkins
Watkins
doesn't fumble the ball, that's gonna be a touchdown. Like there's so many things
Dallas
that even
Goedert
and that
fumbled on
and that's
some
a game
stupid
that people
stuff.
people are labeling Hurts as bad when that is he's not the reason they lost that
Nah,
game.
I don't think he's the
The
reason.
Commanders one? I don't think so either. I never said he was.
Riv just said he's been good 7 out of the 9 weeks. That's
He's been
why
great.
I pushed back.
He's been great.
It's okay to say he hasn't been great every single game. You're telling me here, like, yes, I know it's a good decision by Hurts to take the ball and run it as well. But I can also come to the conclusion that, wow, the defensive coordinator that called this play that wasn't like if I was playing Jalen Hurts, that's not what I call.
I know,
you know
bro,
what I'm saying? So
it's
that's
first
what I
and
can
goal.
also
It's
look
first
at.
and goal. We know how this Eagles offense was moving. Like maybe it's not specifically that game, but their offense all year has been one of the best in the league. First and goal, they could run the ball, they could throw the ball. Like they likely would have scored a touchdown there. That's all I'm saying.
They got stopped in the red zone earlier in the game. They got stopped multiple times and it forced them to take field goals.
What do we talk about? Jalen Hurts' intangibles in the big time, in prime time when he has to make a play. He
Intangibles
made
matter
a play.
as a quarterback.
Talk about that as a leader.
This is where we have the disconnect. That game-winning Eagles drive, you are pointing to Jalen Hurts as, yeah, that's all him.
Because that counts as a game-winning drive for him.
On his stat sheet.
It does.
Yes. But when I'm watching the game, I don't look at him as the catalyst of that drive.
So who was the catalyst?
The running game.
They had a big DPI.
And who's
He's
one of
a
the
part of the
main
running
aspects
game.
of the running game?
It was Miles sent, bro, to get to the goal line. I look at the running backs that were running and were gashing the Colts.
Is that not the smart play call?
I'm not saying it's not a smart play call, but I'm saying that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not.
Stop.
That's why I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is the main catalyst of the drive.
Joel's saying I would rather Jalen Hurts be impressive than the Eagles win the game. The Eagles are saying let's win the game.
Wait,
I
so
never
are
said
you saying that
That's what
Miles
you're
Sanders getting
implying.
the ball was a good play? But are you knocking Hurts for not getting the ball on that drive?
He's
For the
not.
most
He's
part?
not giving credit.
I'm just not saying, oh my gosh, the Eagles won only because of Jalen Hurts.
No one's
only
saying-
because of Jalen
who
Hurts'
is
greatness
saying
in that
that?
last drive is
Joel,
the reason
Joel,
the
enough
Eagles
with the
won.
manipulation of words. Who is
That's
saying
exactly
that?
what you guys
That's
are saying,
not,
basically.
No, it is not.
You guys want me to give all the credit to Jalen
No,
Hurts when I'm like,
that's
listen,
not what
it
we
was a
wanna do.
combination of these
No,
things.
That's not what we want you to
We're
do.
just
That's
We
what I'm
want you to
saying.
stop
No,
taking a microscope
Yes.
and
'Cause
overlooking and overanalyzing
You're
everything.
super negative about Tua and about Jalen Hurts. You always pick out the negative, and
Bro,
there's
I'm
all the other
sorry. I'm
quarterbacks. You
sorry.
only pick out the
Bro,
positives.
I'm sorry that when I watch film, I don't just press spacebar on the play, look at it, and like, good play.
I don't know.
I actually pause it,
I'll
and I'm
be
like,
honest.
what coverage
If
are they
you've
running?
watched Tua
How did the
and
play
Jalen
go?
Hurts this year and have not been impressed, I don't know what you're watching.
Who said I wasn't impressed? Who said I was? Who said I wasn't impressed? You said this year. Was I impressed by Hurts versus the Colts? No. It was an all right game.
He had like 270 total yards, 70% completion percentage.
To me, watching
Won the
it
game,
was an
game-winning
all
drive,
right game.
game-winning touchdown.
But Jalen Hurts has definitely been impressive. And we even, with Jordan Schultz, I don't know if you guys heard me, but I would take Tua over Jalen Hurts because in obvious passing situations, I do believe in Tua more than Jalen Hurts.
That's a fact.
Jalen Hurts to me still feels like when there's a big time moment, he's pressing a little bit. We haven't seen that much this season because the Eagles have been dominating games. But versus the Commanders and versus the Colts, we saw that, and I didn't come away with, wow, Hurts just has this clutch gene. I didn't come away with that.
I mean, against Commanders, sure, you could say that. Against the Colts, they won the game, and sure, he had no passing yards, but he made the two most important plays of the drive. Jalen Hurts, we got to stop thinking of quarterbacks as just these guys who are going to stand in the pocket. This new generation of quarterback, you are a playmaker. You're not a passer. You are a playmaker. Why did we fall in love with Zach? The ability for him to get out of the pocket, make throws off platform, his mobility. Being a playmaker at quarterback, which is what Jalen Hurts is, you have to take that into account when you don't see the passing numbers just fly off the screen like you do with Tua. What he brings with his legs makes up for his deficiencies right now with his arm. He's not an elite passer like Tua right now, no. But he's still completing over 65% of his passes, 72% against the Colts. And that's what we're looking at Jalen Hurts saying, no, he's still got to be better. That's when you know he's taken a significant leap because he did this last year. This would be his best game of the season.
Yes, there's no doubt. He's taken a significant leap. So pardon me for holding him to the standard of the great quarterbacks that we revere in this league. We know Hurts is just above good. Now, when I watch him, is he franchise top level good? And now he's under. Why wouldn't I put a microscope on that when I'm analyzing it? Why I literally write every drive that happens.
It's a Week 11 game, and he won the game.
Looking at
the road against the Colts,
looking at the
playing
drive,
with some momentum. He came down the field and won.
I'm looking at
they were
the
down
drive.
double digits,
Okay.
and he was able to come back. Also, you ignore the fact that A.J. Brown did fumble after the Philly was actually getting some momentum after Jonathan Taylor.
and then the Colts fumbled right after, so it kind of negated.
No, it
anything.
was actually Colts fumbled. A.J. Brown then
correct.
fumbles.
You're correct.
So now this is 2 weeks in a row that his receivers let him down while they're moving the football.
Looking in the middle of the
Joel,
game.
let me finish. You've spoken a lot. All I'm saying is we need to pump the brakes on taking a microscope when this was a a challenging game. Every week is challenging, especially on the road, especially when you're riding high on an 8-1 record as of before the win. To win this game being down double digits, let's speak on that.
I'm going to continue to be objective. I look at the drives here. In the fourth drive of the Eagles' fourth drive, Jalen Hurts made the wrong read on an option play. There was no room up the middle for Gainwell, and Hurts should have kept it, and that stalled the drive. On their fifth drive, Hurts was about to throw. Defender bats the ball down, and he fumbles. That Jalen Hurts fumble. You didn't mention Jalen Hurts also fumbled because it took too long to throw and didn't sense pressure. That play also happened.
Like his fucking third fumble of the year?
Oh, but that's not a bad play. Come on. Oh, now we're just going to ignore it?
Because he has so many more positive plays than negative ones.
On the sixth drive, he made the wrong read on an RPO. Sirianni went for it on 4th and 10. I thought that was a bad play called on the Colts 39-yard line.
Bad.
Hurts had pressure, but he also had A.J. Brown wide open on a crosser.
Yep.
He didn't see it. He didn't make that throw. He actually ran out of bounds and didn't even give the ball a chance to be in play. 7th drive, Hurts, another bad option decision, 3 and out. The 8th drive, I wrote it here. Great drive by Hurts. Use his legs to extend the drive. Quez Watkins beat Kenny Moore. There was miscommunication on that play by the Colts in the secondary. So it was a great throw, but I also say the Colts kind of messed that up.
I'm just done listening, man.
And then the Eagles' 9th drive, the A.J. Brown fumble.
Why am I listening?
That was crazy, bro.
There was a miscommunication.
Why?
But it's still a great throw. It's still a great throw. But I still also look at the other stuff that happened. So for me, I'm not disregarding the game-winning drive, but I also have these other drives written down here where I'm like, Hurts didn't look good. He was the fumble, missing A.J. Brown on an open crosser on 4th and 10 when he was open. He had about 2 to 3 yards of separation. I look at those plays too. You want me to mention how great he's been, how phenomenal. I bet you wasn't about to be up here mentioning that fumble, not even once. Why can't I mention the bad plays? I just got to talk about rainbows and sunshine.
It took like 15 minutes for you to mention the fumble.
Because I went back in my notes. I have it written here. Yeah.
The fumble was bad. It was really fucking bad. It happens.
It happened. Josh Allen's leading the league in interceptions.
Oh, so when he makes a great throw, it happens. So what are we doing here?
What happens more often?
We can't meet in the middle.
What happens more often this year?
I'm just saying with this subject, we cannot meet in the middle and say, was Hurts great in this game? Was he phenomenal? Was he excellent?
No, he wasn't great. He wasn't great.
Was he all right?
Yeah, he had a fine game.
That's all I'm saying. Did I say he was bad?
But it's like a fine game for him. He completed 70% of his passes, 252 touchdowns.
Okay,
he made a couple mistakes. Like, okay, sure.
If he's much better, we can blow them out.
Like Mac Jones completed 80% of his passes, 250+ yards passing. Was he?
A lot of that is just the Jets couldn't tackle.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Is it not true? We both watched every snap of the game.
Do you see this double standard that's going on right now?
Is it not true?
Come on, bro.
Mac Jones had.
I'm not saying it wasn't true. But I'm saying I could come up here and say, yo, Mac Jones had an amazing game, 80% completion percentage.
Who made more impressive throws,
yards?
Mac Jones or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts, no doubt in that game.
But we're not.
But what I'm talking about is that you can look at Mac Jones and say, oh, he completed 80% of his passes, but he was just all right. But because the stats say Hurts was better than you think, I can't just say he's all right. That's all I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'll come. I'll be a Jalen Hurts fan the remainder of the show. The remainder of the year.
And you was about to come out here, and you was about to come up here and act like Matt Ryan was bad. Matt Ryan played good. He played good.
Your boy lost, bro.
He lost, but he played well.
Okay,
doesn't matter. He played well. He made some big boy throws. He made some big boy throws.
Bro, he had a chance to be Matty Ice and he folded.
Yeah,
he's no longer Matty Ice.
Yeah, you act like you weren't biting your nails through the entire game because the Colts had them on the ropes.
No, because all I was told was the Eagles can't come back if they're losing and
they did it against Washington. They didn't.
And they did it the next week against the Colts.
Oh, the Colts suck though, in your opinion.
They're pretty mid.
Okay, so why are you hyped about this game?
It's hard to win in this game, in this league. The Vikings just lost 40-3. It's hard to win in this league. You take a win on the road any day. You take a win,
both of them,
period. The Vikings lost 40-3. The Jets beat the Bills. It's hard to win in this league, bro. Was it the most pretty win? No. The Eagles have plenty of fucking blowouts on their resume. Now they have a close game win because everyone said they can't come back in the fourth quarter. They can't win close games. They just did.
How many? Okay, and
he was down 11.
Winning. Okay. Nice comeback. Beating the Colts is your basis now for saying, oh, this team could definitely come back if they're down against San Fran. Oh, this team can definitely come back if they're down against Dallas. I don't view the Eagles in that tier.
No,
I'm
because
looking at when they face the better teams, can they do that?
No,
beat Dallas
obviously,
already,
but
though.
for the Eagles,
Without Dak
for the Eagles to beat those teams, they have to be on top of their game. There's 17 games in the season.
And
You're not going to be sharp 17 times. If you win when you're not sharp, you have a pretty good football team. You have a pretty good coaching staff.
Okay, so you're sold on the Eagles playing from behind. You don't have any concerns about them.
I don't think they're going to play this bad, I hope, in the playoffs when it's the big time, big moment.
You have no concerns about them playing bad from behind.
I definitely think they can play from behind, for sure.
So you think they'll excel?
No, I thought the same thing before this game. The Commanders game was weird, bro. They had 3 fumbles. 2 of them on
Just a
huge
bad
plays
day.
for the offense. One of them was an interception. Sorry, that wasn't Jalen Hurts' fault. The other one was a fumble. 2 on explosive plays, 40-plus yards down the field. It's a weird day. And this game, they had a bunch of penalties. There was one drive. They were 1st and 35 at one point. Like,
We had that a few
It
times.
was a weird game. Like, the play calling on some of the third downs was weird. I don't know. But they played a bad game. They weren't up to par to the Eagles, we know, and they still won on the road. You have to give them credit for that.
They deserve credit. I am just not sold on the Eagles now coming from behind because they beat the Colts. To me, this is exactly what I have here in my notes. Eagles concerns. Not sold on them when they play from behind. Feels like they press under pressure. When the easy stuff isn't there, what does Hurts do? That's exactly what I have written. Nick Sirianni went for it on 4th and 10. A better offense.
Disagree.
A better offense with that field position takes advantage.
Better offense. What's their 2 in the league? We talking.
No. A better offense than the Colts.
Oh, my
takes
apologies,
advantage
my
of that
apologies.
field position.
So
Maybe
do you
Nick
think we're still
Sirianni.
favorites? Come out the NFC, or now it's like you're not.
After
thinking
these
about
2
them
games, I have kind of been like,
over against the
A
Commanders
2-week,
and the Colts.
NFC is wide open.
slump in weeks 10 and 11.
I
bro.
think the NFC is wide
In
open.
the 2 week slump, you go
So if we
1-1.
beat Dallas, are we back to being favorites?
It's just so much change from week to week.
It's a road game.
And the
But I'm
NFL
saying
things
it's
change
tough,
week to
man.
week.
But if you after these 2 weeks against the Commanders and the Colts, you have your doubts, and then we go and we beat Dallas.
Is that who you played next week? Oh no,
Not
Dallas
next
plays
week. We
New
play them
York.
soon.
I know I don't like to live in ifs and buts. Obviously, that's just not how I like to function. But the ball to AJ Brown was a dot. That's a minimum of
I know, I
40
agree.
yards.
I agree.
That's on AJ Brown, right?
No, I agree. The
All right, so
Commander
that's-
game was just
that's
weird.
There's just moments in a game, especially in the regular
It's just
season.
go your way.
Sometimes things just happen.
No, facts.
17 games.
But I'm saying
Quez
like
Watkins gets a dime pass to him. This is like 40, 50 yards down the field. He fumbles the ball. Like, these are things that just happen through the course of the game that can easily change the outcome.
I agree, but I think the Commanders game was weird, which I think you can bypass that one. The Colts game, we didn't look good. I'm not gonna say and act like we did it, but
You weren't your normal self.
But he said you think your idea of us changed after 2 games, 2 stinkers, with the Commanders one more on the receivers and the Colts game is just as a whole. So I'm asking, if we go out and we beat a good team, does your opinion go back to, oh no, the Eagles are legit just like we was before?
Not necessarily. For one, I think the problem with the Eagles is that the entire schedule before the Commanders game, outside of Jacksonville and now was weird weather conditions, it's been dominant performances. The offenses are getting stifled by the Eagles. The offense of the Eagles, I mean, everything is there. Nothing is taken away by any team. Even Dallas couldn't take it away. I now see that Dallas looks better defensively. And I do think in another matchup with Philadelphia, Dallas will be better
I
prepared
agree.
for what they have to throw at them. So I think that game is a much closer game. And in that game, I'm kind of like, okay, Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts, who am I going with? I think the Cowboys and the Eagles game is a toss-up. Right now, I don't believe there's a favorite in the NFC. I've brought the Eagles lower, and I think the teams that can make it out the NFC are the Cowboys, Niners, Eagles,
Do not.
and the Vikings are fringe for me.
Okay, that's fair statement. Fair statement.
They just
Fair
scored
statement.
3 points.
I just did not want him to say the Vikings.
Oh,
But
They
fringe
just-
is fine.
The Vikings just scored 3 points
That was an embarrassing performance for sure.
in a game.
listen, I don't disagree. The
Remember when
Cowboys
the
have a
Saints
really good
smoked
team. The
the
Niners have a
Buccaneers?
really good team. But I
Remember
just
when the
don't like
Saints
2
smoked the
weeks and now
Buccaneers?
like the Eagles are brought
Give
down a
Tom Brady.
notch. Like we
I've seen
have
some
a
things that have
9-week
concerned me.
sample size
point.
here.
Against teams that I don't respect much.
They smoked the Vikings.
Yeah, they did.
Everybody
they handled,
smoked the Vikings.
They handled Cooper Rush. I get it. They handled Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush beat the Giants.
I think the Giants are not good. That doesn't move me.
I'm just saying it's like a game that a team that's performing well right now. A well-coached team lost.
I mean, what do you think I'm saying about the Eagles here? I just think that the NFC's open. I do.
No, but you didn't think
I don't view the
I don't view the Eagles as the Chiefs of the NFC either.
I don't either.
No,
but I think
don't.
your opinion went
What about
from
the
7
Dolphins?
games showed you something, then one game doesn't. That's
What
weird.
about the Dolphins?
What about them?
You're saying the Chiefs of the AFC.
after
I'm
the
just saying.
Commanders game, we
I
didn't
think
do
the
a
Chiefs are,
podcast.
True.
like, very clearly.
So you felt that way after the
So
Commanders
after
game.
the Commanders game, we didn't do the
That
podcast, not
defense is
entirely.
fraudulent.
Then after
Yeah,
the Colts
the
game,
Dolphins, I'm not
we're
sold
doing
on
the
either, the
podcast.
defense.
So
I'm
this
with you
is
there.
me of 2 weeks of teams that have given the Eagles a fight. You know, this is me
Yeah.
of two games that I've looked at and I've
Who
not come
they play
away very
next week?
impressed.
I think Green Bay.
Let me see.
I don't know, man. That's tough. So now we're
And I feel like Dallas is finding their rhythm. I do. I
Yeah, you
think
play
they are.
Green Bay, Titans, Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Saints. Some tough teams.
I say 3.
Yeah.
Giants. Well, Giants are banged up, but Titans. Then you got the Cowboys. Then we play the Commanders again, I think. Then the Giants. That's another game. That's a division game, so it's gonna be
Yeah, you
tough.
play the Giants week 18.
Oh, we might sit everybody the way
There's
it's
a
looking.
chance. There's a chance.
Looking at Mojo, biggest risers and fallers in Week 11. The risers, Mike White, plus
Wow.
8%. Zach Wilson might get benched. This is most notes from Mojo that I've got.
Yep.
Isaiah Pacheco, plus 8%. He's up that. 15 carries, 107 yards.
Great game.
Josh Palmer is up 6.5%. He had a 100-yard game, 8 receptions, 2 touchdowns.
Good old Joshy Palmer.
Tony
man.
Pollard, 5.29%. He's up 15 carries, 80 yards, 6 receptions, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He's him.
And these are the fallers. Kyle Pitts, down 7% because of his injury.
Heartbreaker.
Zach Wilson, down 7%. And Wan'Dale Robinson, down almost 9% because of his ACL injury.
Injuries are so rude.
He's now out for the season. But it
They
makes sense.
destroy prices.
So rude.
Destroy prices. Tua went down $10 because of his concussion.
Yeah, it makes sense, though, because this is a career projection, and ACLs have shown in the past how much they can impact a career.
I wonder how long, Drew, do you know a torn MCL? Because I know ACL, obviously, you're done for the year.
They were talking about 4 to 6 weeks, but
That's if this happened in September, is he done for the year? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know.
Kyle Pitts? No.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
That makes me feel good.
So based on these risers and fallers, who are some risers that you feel like this rise is not sustainable, and fallers that you'd buy the dip or you're not going to touch that
Okay,
player?
so the obvious answer, we're going to agree, Mike White, not
Yes.
sustainable. All
Mike
right.
White's not sustainable. Also, I like Isaiah Pacheco. He runs
do.
really hard. Kansas City, I feel like just each year is going to have a new leading guy. They drafted Clyde in the first
Isn't
round.
Clyde
He's
out for the
obviously
year?
not. Now he got hurt.
They're banged up.
They have Jarek McKinnon who gets involved.
Wow.
Pacheco,
Hamstrings are
7th round pick.
aggravating.
They don't have the draft capital. He doesn't have the draft capital behind him. So I don't think he's going to be a long-term solution for KC.
And,
I don't know. I
Pacheco?
like Pacheco.
Pacheco is.
I like him
Pacheco
too.
Gives
Don't
me
get me
a
wrong.
lot of like. He's not Tony Pollard, but
Tony Pollard
Just-
vibes.
yes,
I like
think
him, but-
Pacheco. And I tweeted this early in the year. Pacheco's going to eventually be the lead back in KC.
Yeah.
Clyde lost his reps because Pacheco is really
And
good.
Clyde was playing well at the beginning
Jarek
of the year.
McKinnon also gets burned.
Yes,
like,
he
we
does.
Can't
Yeah.
ignore
More on
that
the
either.
receiving
It's because they're
game
more
typically.
explosive running
Yeah.
the ball than Clyde. Clyde is.
sure.
It takes a while for him to accelerate, and
It does.
Pacheco and Jarek McKinnon hit the holes. The thing with McKinnon is that he kind of is over aggressive. He doesn't really see. He's not patient for things to open up. Where Pacheco, he has that patience to his game.
Another riser, Samaje Perine, after having a 3-touchdown performance.
Yeah.
That's another one that I'm not looking at and overanalyzing. That is definitely not sustainable. He had an unbelievable performance. Credit to him. But ultimately, it's not one that I'm looking at and thinking that I want to invest long term. And Joe Mixon's still there. If Joe Mixon's gonna miss time, it's not gonna completely impact Samaje Perine's production because Samaje Perine, we understand and know who he is. He had a great outlier performance.
Tony Pollard for me.
Well, no, that's
Yeah,
one that's
the easy
sustainable.
one.
That's one
That's a
that's
W.
sustainable.
It's a W. Pollard
Pollard's
has
my
been
guy.
unbelievable.
Been saying that for years too. I got to give you credit on that.
And I'm
one.
glad he's finally showing out. I
I've
am.
been saying
He's
that
a
for like
stud.
3 years
amazing.
now.
For fallers, I definitely buy Kyle Pitts now that he's lower.
Yeah.
I definitely, because I do think with the better quarterback, he's gonna go back to
You
being
see
a
the
top tight
talent.
end.
May
You
I
see the
ask,
talent with
how
Pitts.
does Arthur Smith use him as a form to what other people want him to be used as?
So Arthur Smith uses Kyle Pitts as a decoy, and that's why his production hasn't been there in fantasy.
It's actually insane.
He uses him as a decoy.
Genius.
4th overall pick they used.
Tell me it's not genius.
As a decoy?
How many wins do they have? How many did you think they'd have?
Like 2.
Exactly. Credit to Arthur
Yeah,
Smith.
I know,
defense is keying on Kyle
but-
Pitts so much that it leaves these other guys open,
We're using Tyreek Hill as a decoy.
and they're using him more as a blocker.
I mean, isn't that
Because
opening
two
up
is
his game
actually
now?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Now he's
but
learning
still.
how to be a blocker type shit.
Yeah, he's been a good blocker this year, but for people that are into like stats and production, and even for himself, it's not the best way. But I do think that the only reason why they're using him that way is because the Falcons don't have a game changer on offense that a defense can key on that's not him. You know, like Drake London
London?
is not that yet. He's not that yet.
Almost, not yet.
He's not that
But
yet.
it just doesn't make sense to use arguably your best player on
Have
offense.
you ever
London's
seen
been a
this
stud.
before?
When have you used? I just said Drew. Does Tyreek Hill get used as a decoy? No.
But I answered that question very easily.
Okay, yes,
Tua
and no.
is his quarterback, and Mariota is not one of those guys that you're going to blindly put
Is
your
Garrett
faith
Wilson being used as a decoy in New York?
in. I mean,
No.
who's getting him the football?
But outside of last week, Garrett Wilson's been eating.
No, for sure.
So
Yeah, there's no doubt. But where do you think the Atlanta Falcons offense ranks right now?
in terms of scoring,
The rushing really
Top
has been
7?
huge.
I was gonna guess middle of the
Top
pack.
7?
I was
no
gonna guess,
way.
like,
They're 11th right now.
Okay.
Or-
And they're
that's
rushing-
not terribly off.
Their rushing offense is third in the
Yeah,
NFL.
no,
What's
the
their
rushing's
passing?
amazing.
It's 31st.
Word.
But
Who's
that's
32?
gonna-
Panthers.
Rushing has been huge
Jets.
for them.
Jets.
31st is
Because
Jets.
it's Algier,
Who's 32nd?
it's
Jets?
Cordero,
I don't know. He didn't say.
it's
Who's
Caleb
32nd?
Huntley.
Who's 32nd?
I didn't say. I don't know who's 32nd. Probably the Panthers. But, I mean, they have
Let's go
an
with-
offense with Mariota is
not?
going to be that. You know what I'm saying? Like, an offense with Mariota is going to be the worst ranked.
Who's their quarterback next year? Can't be Mariota.
That's what I'm saying. I think if they get a better quarterback who can actually make these
This
high-level
year's they're
throws.
gonna be
Because Marcus Mariota,
the 10th or 12th pick.
just
You
watching
think
that
they're going to
Chargers
Lamar
game.
sweepstakes?
Lamar's not going.
When I went to watch that Chargers game, Mariota missed Kyle Pitts like 7 times.
Yeah.
There were times where Pitts had a one-on-one. He didn't even give him a chance. There were times where Pitts got behind the defense. He overthrew the ball. I was astounded. That to me was a 150-plus yard game
Yeah.
if Mariota's a good quarterback. So that's why I'm not worried about Pitts, and I think Arthur Smith is using him well. If the Falcons can get one more receiver that threatens the defense, that will now open up Kyle
Get a
Pitts.
quarterback.
Yep, and a quarterback.
Quarterback will do it.
Zach
Fix
Wilson,
everything.
he's dropping, and I don't know if I'm touching him.
I am
He even
not
dropped
touching
more
him.
from this podcast.
I actually
because-
just sold him.
Yeah,
My
The-
last $24 I had in him.
$24.
I'm sorry,
was it.
man. I know that must have been tough.
Yeah. Well,
You heard-
actually,
you heard? Did it hurt
I'll be
you?
honest, not even a little bit.
Oh, damn, wow.
He was at
Daniel
what,
Jones
like
or-
$33.
You know, I've never seen a polo horse in the middle of the hoodie.
Fuck with it?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I
it's,
actually
it's
do like it.
bizarre.
It's very
when
rare.
you first got that, I was like, yo, what
is it real?
that?
It is real, right?
It is really. I got it from like Macy's or something.
Very rare. I've never seen it in the middle of the hoodie.
I remember
crazy.
seeing it. And I was like, I said the same shit.
Very different. I've never seen
I'm
anybody.
trying
else.
to check my tag. Bro's calling me out.
No, of course not.
USPA.
I hope not. If it is, oh no, you're good. Ralph Lauren.
Or
He's
Ren.
lit.
Ralph Lauren.
Gotta do
I
accent.
know a woman named Ren.
Ren?
Yes.
She a nice woman?
She's okay.
Okay.
She's from California.
I mean, can't. Not everyone can be great.
We didn't even talk about JT's one and only good drive.
Jonathan Taylor?
Mhm.
His touchdown?
The first drive of the game, he had 40-plus yards rushing.
Yeah,
He
they
ate.
were
And the
eating.
Eagles, after that, just took away the run.
They did.
Yeah.
I shut it down quick.
Paris Campbell.
He had some good plays. He had a crucial drop.
Nah,
What was
Par-
your What was
yeah.
your
He did
agenda
have
for him?
a
Just
bad
to be
job.
good?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
he's solid.
He's
solid.
been solid.
He
Yeah.
he's been exactly like he's been a perfect wide receiver 3.
Yeah, he's solid.
Damn.
Yo,
That's all I thought he
That
was.
just reminded me of the throw that Matty Ice made to
Alec Pierce.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a dart.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's still gutsy. He still got it. He's
If
gutsy.
there's anything he is, it's gutsy.
The last drive, I mean, he took the sack, but, I mean,
Why win the game?
That
Sack
sack
on
was
39.
so bad, dude.
No,
Like,
it's
He's
just
a-
nobody's open.
He's a
now.
team player. Get the L. Better draft pick.
Damn.
Player.
Yeah, I mean, look, Matt Ryan, he gives them a chance to win every single week.
Ah, that's tough.
not incredibly
Christ.
wrong.
He gives them a chance to
And a
win.
chance to lose.
Except when they got.
You try to come on this
Scorched
show and
by
act like he
Jaguars.
played mid.
He's
know he
Matt
was
Ryan,
solid.
dude.
You
He's
saw
Matt,
him and you said, damn,
He's Matt Ryan.
Matty
He's
Ice.
What he's been.
Nah,
all
Matty
offseason,
Matty
all
was
year.
for Matty's standards in 2022. Good
Good Matt Ryan.
for sure.
The Cowboys beat the Vikings 40-3.
They did.
They're now 7-3. The Vikings are 8-2. And I have some questions written down here. Micah Parsons, DPOY, and just recapping the Cowboys win. But I kind of want to speak on more of a tweet I saw from Drew yesterday during the games, and he
Shout out
said,
to Drew Hand.
he said, the Cowboys, they're legit, and the Vikings are frauds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the summary of your tweet,
Okay.
right? And I want you to speak on that.
Okay.
You think the Cowboys are legit,
Okay.
and the Vikings, you think they are frauds, complete frauds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So speak on that tweet alone.
Yes.
All right. So last time we were here, I spoke on the Cowboys and their loss to the Packers and how it wasn't a loss that I'm looking at and overanalyzing because it is in Lambeau. And of course, it is Aaron Rodgers. And he's good enough to win against any team at any given moment, particularly in Lambeau Field. And not only just that, the fans were into the game. They really wanted this win. And the Packers came and showed out. Did the Cowboys blow the game up 2 scores? Absolutely. But it wasn't something that I was looking at and going to put the nail in the coffin on me taking the Cowboys and throwing them away as contenders. This was a resounding comeback, bounce-back win against a team that we sat here last week talking about, are they legit contenders now? A 40-3 ass-kicking start to finish. It wasn't even a competition. Another thing that I feel like I need to highlight, because we gave Jettis all the praise last week, deservedly so. Now it's time to give Diggs the credit he deserves, only allowing 2 catches on him. He was unbelievable against Jet. But to continue talking about the Cowboys and the ass-kicking that they gave the Vikings legitimately could not do anything. They did have a bunch of injuries to their offensive line. That's something that we do need to acknowledge. Micah Parsons was able to have his way, was absolutely all-world, did emphasize his case to be the defensive player of the year. But realistically, I cannot look at Minnesota as a true contender when there are teams more complete than them and teams that I trust simply more than them. I may not be as trusting as I am with Dak Prescott or other quarterbacks in Jimmy Garoppolo, but I understand that he has done it and gone to the playoffs and won games. So that's allowed me to have more faith in the Niners than I am in a team led by Kirk Cousins. Because Kirk Cousins in primetime is simply not good. When there's pressure applied to Kirk Cousins, for some reason, Kirk Cousins does not play like the typical Kirk Cousins we see at the 1 p.m. time slot on Sundays. Now, overall, this defense, it's shaky from time to time. Some weeks it's decent. Other weeks, like the last 2 weeks that we've seen, they give up a bunch of yards, a bunch of points. It lacks consistency. I cannot trust Minnesota. But as talking on Dallas, the defense and the running aspect of the defense has been the issue. It looked very good this past Sunday. And against the pass, they're going to continue to be great. Dak Prescott with these weapons, potentially Odell Beckham coming to join them. We see the tweets. We see the recruiting they're trying to do. And Tony Pollard. I'm wearing a Zeke jersey because this is the Dallas jersey that I own. Ezekiel Elliott is my guy. But I'm here to give credit where credit is due to the Dallas Cowboys. When Dak went out and I thought he was going to be out for an extensive period of time, I was worried about this team. Cooper Rush came in. They won some ball games, shut us up real quick. The defense had done a great job of carrying the load while Dak was gone. Now Dak's gone. He's kind of struggled a bit since coming back. But this past week, he definitely looked more of himself. Tony Pollard has been unbelievable, both in the run and now that Zeke is back playing. They got him involved in the pass game, which we thought prior to the season was going to be where he'd make his most impact. But Tony is a dual threat, can do anything you want on the field. He could be a better blocker, which is why people love Ezekiel Elliott so much. He was able to get into the end zone twice, but it speaks to the versatility of this offense. You get the power back with Zeke. You get the explosive, more acceleration type of player with Tony Pollard. And then CeeDee Lamb, potentially Odell coming. Jordan Schultz didn't have a great game, but he has been playing well since Dak Prescott came back. It's just a team that you have to be looking at and say, this is a true contender in the NFC.
For me, I don't overreact either way. When it comes to this game,
Dallas is a contender.
They are for sure. They've been a contender.
I have been very adamant week to week that I believe the Cowboys are a contender.
For sure.
They can make the Super Bowl.
For sure.
I think the Cowboys have been complete, and for me, the biggest concern was when is the offense going to find its consistency? I feel like they found it versus the Vikings. The Vikings, to me, I still view them similarly to when I viewed them last week. They're a team that when they play close, they play those games well. But their 2 losses have been to the Eagles, ass-whooping, Cowboys, ass-whooping. Part of me I actually don't look at Kirk Cousins in this game and say he crumbled. I don't look at it in that way because the pass rush just overwhelmed
For sure.
Minnesota.
For sure.
The first drive of the game, Micah forces a fumble on Kirk. That play was Kirk's fault. Christian Darrisaw, he did a good job on Micah. Micah's one of the best players in the league.
For sure.
Kirk had time to throw the ball away, but he held it on for too long, and Micah got the sack. And he's somebody that I think is in the lead of the DPOY race. I think it's Micah. Then I have Chris Jones second, and I have Quinnen Williams
Where's
third.
Judon?
No, he's not here for me.
Dude, leading the league in sacks, top. I think he's tied with tackles for loss with Micah. Is top 3 in total pressures.
Judon's been bowling.
No, he's been great. I just think Chris Jones has been better. I think Quinnen Williams has been better. I
Quinnen's
think
been
They
spectacular.
take
Micah
sacks
Parsons
into
been better.
account tremendously,
Yeah.
and the Patriots are in a position that no one thought they would be in.
Yeah, but my 3 right now are Micah, Chris Jones, and Quinnen. I do think Micah has a cushion right now,
He is the favorite
but
right now.
I want to give Chris Jones his flowers because Chris Jones has been the best defensive tackle in football this season. Even better than Aaron Donald. I know that it's crazy. Aaron
It
Donald's
doesn't
been the
matter.
best.
It doesn't matter.
I look
to
at
me.
Chris Jones, and he's been out of this
He's
world.
been number 2.
Yeah, to me, number 1. But the discrepancy in this game, Cowboys 458 total yards to Minnesota's 183. And the pass rush just overwhelmed Minnesota all game long.
Absolutely.
And when Christian Darrisaw went out, they had their backup left tackle, and this made me question Kevin O'Connell's play calling and just his adjustments in game because he left his left tackle out there on an island by himself with Micah Parsons routinely.
That's food.
The offensive line could not protect Kirk. Kirk would get out of his 3-step drop, and there would already be somebody in his face. The running game was not going either. And Dalvin Cook, even later in the game, you could just see the frustration. He had a big-time run, and it got called back because of a unnecessary roughness call that he had. They were already out the game anyway. But to me, it's just, I look at the Cowboys. I look at the Vikings, and 1 for 11 on third down. The offense was stale. They couldn't get the run game
do
going.
anything.
And I do think that they leaned into it a little bit too heavily in the game. A lot of the drives started out run, pass, and putting Kirk Cousins in those situations isn't favorable on third down to be Superman on third and long. Kirk Cousins is what he is. He's a system quarterback. He's a great system quarterback, but he cannot make plays out of structure. So if everything around him isn't perfect, then we do see performances like we saw versus Dallas where the offense looks completely stale. I know that the primetime numbers don't look great because he's lost a lot in primetime. I think a lot of that is due to just when you're playing 1 p.m. games, it tends to be easier opponents. And in primetime, it's better opponents.
That's very true.
And
also.
Kirk Cousins usually doesn't have the offensive line that can contain defensive lines. And if you can win up front, you wreck the entire game for a quarterback. Kevin O'Connell didn't impress me this game. And I left this game saying that Minnesota has to do whatever they can to get Odell Beckham. Because when Jettis gets taken out the game, KJ, Thielen, Hawkinson, they cannot consistently win one-on-one. You can't trust them. Hawkinson is a great option, third option, not a second one. I think Minnesota needs one more option. And then their defense. Pollard was amazing.
Ugh.
But let's just break down 2 of his touchdowns. The first one was Dak hitting him in the flat. Pollard just straight lines to the end zone, 30 yards, untouched. He gets a touchdown. I thought that just was poor effort from Minnesota. I don't know how he was that open. And then the other touchdown was a wheel route. He beats Jordan Hicks, and he just smokes him. Dak lays it right on him, and that's a touchdown. I thought those were breakdowns by Minnesota defensively, and that's why I can't trust them consistently, because they'll have these breakdowns. And then they were getting gashed in the run. You had CeeDee Lamb before halftime have a big-time play that set up a Brett Maher field goal.
60-yarder.
And you look at that, I'm like, how does Minnesota let something like that up with such little time? And then later in the game, Noah Brown beats Andrew Booth on this double move, and they get another big-time play, and Zeke gets a touchdown there. I look at those plays, and Minnesota is going to let up a ton of yards. They already do. But they have been a defense that situationally they have been better versus Dallas. They weren't. Just all around an ass-kicking, though. The defense was giving up big-time plays left and right. The offense, it was 3 and out consistently. And Dallas, they were passing the ball well. I thought the run game really was a catalyst for them. And using Dak Prescott in designed runs. Dak was much more mobile this game. And Dak looks back. I think last year after he had his ankle injury, you can kind of like see he was a little bit limited. it looks like Dak is completely healthy and they're trusting him on these quarterback design runs, and that opens up the Dallas Cowboys offense.
This Cowboys team is starting to remind me about the early years with Dak, where Dak, while he is the quarterback and he is the star, especially now compared to his rookie year, now it's really relied on this running game and this defense, who's number one in scoring defense. Even, at Dallas's best years, they weren't number one. And you have Tony Pollard really break out and be that superstar running back, which is what the Cowboys really founded on those first couple of years with Dak. Dak put up crazy numbers, great efficiency, did not turn the ball over, but Zeke came in that same draft class and he was carrying this offense. Now Zeke, a few years older, they have Tony Pollard who could do the same thing. It feels very much like when Breece Hall broke on for the Jets earlier this year, and all of a sudden they have a guy in the backfield who at any time could take it 50, 60 yards and get you easy touchdowns. Now, while the offensive line isn't as good as it was in 2016, I mean, we're talking about one of the best offensive lines we've seen in the last 10 years. It's getting there with this team. Tyler Smith probably just had his best game of the season so far, allowing 0 pressures, his highest PFF grade. Micah Parsons on the defensive line, back-to-back games of 8+ pressures. I agree. I think he's the clear-cut favorite right now for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, having 2 game changers like that on defense with him and Diggs. Diggs, who, wasn't lined up against Jettas the entire game, but to hold Jettas, regardless if you're lined up against him or not, to under 50 yards has to be a win as a defense. And right now, they're top 3 in terms of turnover differential. They're top 10 in terms of takeaways. Their defense is making plays. They're getting the ball back in the hands of the offense. And I agree, Dak looks much more comfortable now than he did this time last year. The ankle injury, not only the rehab and, all of what goes into that, but just the fear, honestly. Like, these are grown athletes. These are guys who are some of the most fearless players, in the world. You're going out there, you're colliding every single play. But I feel like that's probably taking a backseat too now, where he's not as worried whether it's taking a weird slide or getting hit strange or falling a certain way. He feels much more comfortable, not only in the pocket, but moving as well. He looked not as mobile, for lack of better terms, last year than he did this year. So overall, I mean, I've always been on the Cowboys this year. The way their defense is playing is not what I was expecting. I would not expect them to be this great, right? I know they had a couple good players with Micah and Trayvon Diggs, but overall this defense is playing exceptional.
Lawrence,
DeMarcus Lawrence as well. So right now, Drew, I agree with you. I don't look at Minnesota. We got crucified in the comments of the last time we talked about Minnesota. Oh, you guys didn't watch the game. What are you talking about? And what we said came true. Like, this team against elite teams, what is Minnesota's identity going to be? How are they going to win these really important games when Kirk's a great statistical quarterback, but he's not an elite quarterback. He's not someone that you can't trust him to win consistently against elite teams, elite defenses, especially in these primetime games and eventually in the playoffs. That's just not how you're going to win. Do you want to hand the ball off to Dalvin 20, 25 times a game? It's not a bad game plan, but it's not something the Vikings have also shown a consistency in doing. And we saw the defense just let 40 points to the Cowboys offense, who, don't get me wrong, it's a really good offense. It's not in that top 3 with, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Eagles, those type of guys. So I do look at the Vikings as I said they were in the same tier as the Giants. I think they could be first round's exit very easily, just like the Giants can. I would take them over the Giants, but I don't trust them like I do 3 or 4 of the other NFC playoff teams.
Yeah, I agree with you to a degree. Offensively, just the Vikings walking into the playoffs, they don't have an offensive line. And when you don't have that against certain matchups, like you said, they can be bounced out. We just seen what Dallas did to them. We seen what Philly did to them. I mean, they beat the Bills. It was a great, impressive win. But we all watched that game. It was more the Bills making a lot of mistakes that they usually don't make. To briefly talk about, the Vikings, they had a great season. They'll probably win a division, but in the playoffs, they're just not that scary team that you're looking like. They're not the Niners if they're healthy. They're not the Cowboys if they're healthy. They're not the Eagles. They're just not in that tier. And it's okay, though. They've had a great season. Talk about Dallas. Oh, man, I hate this shit.
You worried about them?
No.
You're worried about them?
Keep it stacked.
They're scary. This is the best game I've seen from them all year. You talk about Odell to Minnesota. If Odell goes to Dallas,
it's a dub.
That would make, because
now I'm back in on CD.
The one worry with me for Dallas was their wide receiver room. Like, can they consistently get guys to make plays or become? Because when you look at the Rams last year, what they had on defense, 2 game changers. And I'm not saying Diggs is Ramsey, no. But he can be that. And Parsons and Donald, right? Like right now, Parsons is just as dominant as Donald right now. Like they have
easy.
Parsons got me.
He's him.
Yeah,
he's him, but he's not Donald.
They have 2 game changers on the defensive end. So when you have 2 game changers, you don't need as many pieces because those 2 guys make you consistently better. They make you work. The only thing I'm not too feared because I think our offensive line is much better than the Vikings. So being that it's better than the Vikings, I think we have the people that can contain. You watched that first time we met him. Lane Johnson versus Michael Parsons. Lane Johnson did a phenomenal job against Michael Parsons before he went out. So I think offensive line, that's why I'm not too scared, because our offensive line is just as good. But offensively, like if they get a guy like Odell in there, you got Odell, you got CeeDee Lamb, now Gallup and Noah Brown become the third and fourth guys. It's a tough team, man. I truly think Dallas should definitely go in that Odell sweepstake. I think he should go there. That would give him an easy chance. But this Dallas team is really fucking good.
I would like to see him in Dallas for sure, but I'm
him
sure
in Dallas is nuts.
all my Giants supporters would not be happy.
And I don't think
for
we're gonna have Goddard for that second matchup.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
He'll be
got
back
placed on
by the
IR,
regular
right?
season, but I don't know how long.
Do you know what week you playing?
They said late.
Goddard has been very essential for you
Yeah,
guys.
we love tight ends over here, man.
I mean, rightfully so. I mean, Goddard's legit.
Goddard was nice even when Ertz was there. People were talking
Wentz?
huh?
When
When
Wentz?
Ertz was like above
Oh,
him.
yeah,
I'm
well, he
saying.
was, but Goddard was him.
Let
Yeah.
me see. Is Goddard locked top 5? You have Kelsey. You have Andrews. You have Are you putting Kittle or are you putting?
I would say
Kittle.
respect.
I think Kittle and Goddard is very close. I think it is.
It is a conversation.
Putting Pitts or
Kittle
Goddard?
has not done
Goddard.
anything to separate.
I
themselves.
like
right
Pitts
now,
more.
yes.
Like in a vacuum,
Yes,
I would take
yes.
Pitts,
I
but like the
understand.
production was not.
And
there
like in
for
our
Pitts.
offense, Pitts or Goddard.
Pitts. Oh my
That's right.
god.
Yeah.
Put a
Who's-
6'6" person. Oh my god, 6'6", 4'4".
Who's up, buddy?
Yo, I'll
He
be
did his
honest.
rookie year, bro.
Sleeper name, David Njoku.
Joker's been balling.
Yes, he's been amazing. I love the joke.
David Njoku is
Hawkinson's
legit.
not in
And
that
when
conversation?
next week when we talk about Deshaun coming back, Njoku's name's gonna need some respect also.
What about Hawk?
Hawk, nah, I would take
Goddard.
Njoku. I would
I think
definitely take
Goddard's
Respect
Respect Cleveland.
Goddard.
Respect my boys.
I'm definitely gonna respect them. It's gonna be interesting to see how they close out the year with Deshaun coming back.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how Deshaun plays.
We're gonna talk about it more next week, I'm sure.
I told you.
We're about to be in week 12, right?
Next week, not this week.
Yeah.
The following.
Who's winning? Cardinals or Niners?
The Cardinals are getting work.
Yeah, Niners are up 24-10.
Nice. I
Nothing
love
is-
that. I will say, I think
Almost.
to what you guys said about OBJ to Dallas, I think that's the perfect move.
It is.
That to me, if I'm OBJ, you have a better chance to win it all with Dallas than you do Minnesota.
What about the
I'm
Giants?
not.
Who?
The Giants.
I'm not
Those are his
all
two
the way
teams.
sold on Kevin O'Connell. I know the record
go to
looks
Buffalo.
nice, but let's be serious. We all thought Kevin O'Connell was going to come in to this Minnesota Vikings offense, and Kirk Cousins was going to be statistically top 10 quarterback at least.
Locked.
That has not happened. And I don't blame that all on Kirk Cousins, because for the past couple of seasons, we've seen Kirk Cousins succeed with Kevin Stefanski, who's a great play caller. Then Gary Kubiak took over, who's a great play caller. Then Clint Kubiak, Gary Kubiak's son, he was still great with him. He was also great with Pat Shurmur. I just view, or I think that was Case Keenum, my fault. I just think, I don't know if Kevin O'Connell's getting the most out of Kirk Cousins. And that to me is worrying. I don't know if Kevin O'Connell is by far solidified as a great coach. I think he has a lot to prove still.
Them forcing the run this past weekend, I'm not completely angry about, because one, we've seen Dallas over these last couple of weeks get kind of torn apart in the run game. You have Dalvin Cook, who has been eating these last few weeks, getting into Dalvin Cook territory of how we're accustomed to seeing him. So I'm not against it, especially because Dalvin's been very good so far. But I also can see where you're coming from. If it's not working, cut your losses, get the ball moving, draw something up completely different. If Jettis is getting clamped up, get the ball to Thielen, find a way. Thielen's good enough to get open, but it doesn't seem like he was doing that this past weekend. So
Yeah, it's just really, like you mentioned, identity. They
Yeah,
don't have a real
they don't.
identity. And it's also predictability. They're predictable.
They
And
are.
that is the worst thing you want to be.
And how can you be predictable when you have a top 7 running back in Dalvin Cook, top 7, top 10 lock? Dalvin Cook's one of the best in the league. You have Jettis, arguably the best in the league. I have him 2 or 3. Tyreek's my number 1 for sure. How can you become predictable in that
Depth.
sense? But even still, we mentioned it.
Offensive
Hawkinson's
line.
now in there. The offensive line's not great. I'm not gonna say-
Thielen's okay.
But
He's good.
Thielen still, last year he had double-digit touchdowns. I understand he's getting older, but
He is
he
getting
still
old.
should have some type of production.
Yeah, I get it.
There should not be a sense of predictability.
But does Odell go there and you view the Vikings differently? Now they're
No.
a Super Bowl contender?
I think it
Me
should
personally, no.
be. I think he
Okay,
should. I think
yeah,
he should
so-
go to Dallas or the Bills. Personally,
Dallas.
There's
Oh,
more
yeah,
room
no.
for error with Odell.
There is.
That's what I allude to. With Odell in Minnesota, there's room for error where just the talent alone on that team can negate some of the predictability Kevin O'Connell has.
The Cowboys are just closer, so Odell, really moves the needle for me because they're ready. Like their defense is already locked.
And
Literally,
Texas has no
top
state
one in the league.
taxes.
There you go,
Hope you're ready to see the 1-3.
No state taxes.
I'm
Make me
copying it.
sick.
Dallas.
Immediately.
You're insane.
On the topic of the
Sorry.
NFC East, Taylor Heinicke right now is 4-1 as a starter of the Washington Commanders.
4-1 is actually tough.
Are you in or out on Taylor Heinicke leading the Commanders to the playoffs? Now, the teams that are in the playoff picture are the Eagles, Vikings, Seahawks, Bucks, Cowboys, Giants, and Niners.
I have a sneeze.
A
coming.
team's going to have to drop out. I look at this playoff
Remind me of the
picture
record. What's Washington right now?
is
Five?
they're 6-5.
6 and
It's
5.
actually really.
I
good
look
for
at the teams that are probably going to drop out. I don't see anyone dropping out outside of New York.
that schedule and them injuries are gonna hit them hard.
Injuries really are insane, dude.
What were the other 6 teams? You said
Xavier
Niners.
McKinney's out
The
too.
Eagles,
Jordan
Vikings,
Jackson's
Seahawks,
cooked.
Bucks, Cowboys, Niners.
What's the Seahawks and Niners record?
Seahawks are 6-5.
You can't see one of those 2 teams possibly.
I believe in Seattle.
Yeah, well,
So-
we know that.
So I'll say this. All right. I formulated this statement in my notes very clearly. I am out on
6-4.
I am out on Taylor Heinicke being the reason. I am in on Washington's defense being the reason. Right now, they are tied for the 10th most sacks. They have one of the best defense overall in terms of total yards given up against opposing offense. Excuse me. I don't know how to word that. But they've just been one of the best defenses as a whole. Their pass defense could be a little bit better for sure. The amount of points that they give up per game could be better, but in terms of yards, they give up very few yards against offenses. This defense has been without Chase Young the entirety of this year.
He's expected soon, right?
They have till this week to designate whether he's going to return or not. If he
Won't
does
return
not,
against the Texans.
if he does not return, then he's
There you
shelved
go.
for the rest of the season.
Chase Young?
Yes, my belief is that they'll activate him. If he doesn't play, that's a different story. But I'm sure they want him to.
It's day to day.
Because he's getting close. And even still, you look at what this front line is doing, they have been a pest, and just the amount of pressure that they're getting on opposing quarterbacks has been scary. One of the main reasons why they've been in games. Taylor Heinicke has come in and given the locker room a jolt. He's been game managing as well as he can. He's made definitely some decent throws. He's just doing what is being asked of him. No more, no less. And sometimes you do need that jolt in the locker room to get your team going, to get a sense of confidence in the building. And so that for that, I give Taylor Heinicke respect because he plays with a different type of cadence than maybe a Carson Wentz will. And the players on the offense are taking more of a liking to Taylor Heinicke, and they feel like he's more one of the guys on the squad, and they feel that they got something with Taylor Heinicke. So maybe it's a difference in mindsets with Taylor Heinicke, but I'm not looking at Taylor as a reason. I'm looking at that defensive front as the reason why they will go to the playoffs if they do.
I disagree a little bit. You watch that game against the Eagles. Heinicke and Scary Terry were making some big plays. They
Not going to
they made
disagree.
some very on point, very timely plays. I'm not disagreeing all the way. I don't think he'll be the main reason. I think the defense will backpack. They will carry this team to the playoffs. But I think Heinicke has shown the ability where in time situations where you need him to make a big time play, he can do it here and there, some stretches, especially when you got Scary Terry on there on the other side. He has those opportunities to make some big plays. So I think, if you ask me at the top of him, who's the reason? The defense, of course. But I think Heinicke will be second or the third reason because I think he's just good enough to where, he has those intangibles, that ability to galvanize the troops, to get that offense going. And, whatever he doesn't have in talent, he makes up for it in the locker room. He makes up
That's
for it
true.
with on-field presence, So I think with that, you look at the Giants, to talk about them briefly. Their schedule stinks. Like they're the end of the
So
year.
does Washington's,
Yeah,
honestly.
they're ending of the year. But the difference is, I think the Giants are more banged up.
I'm not
and
disagreeing.
They are more injured. And with Washington, they got a groove. They're 4-1. I think Giants losing to the Lions, that stink. That was supposed to be a gimme win. But all those injuries sucked. And now they're kind of on their back heels. They got to win a lot of games as opposed to the Washington Commanders. They're on hots right now, winning 4 of the last 5. Heinicke's hooping, Terry's hooping. So I think they got a little bit more momentum. I'm not all the way sold on the Seahawks and the Niners making the playoffs. I think only one of them could possibly make. I
So?
think the Commanders could still steal one of those spots. So those are two situations I'm looking at. I'm looking at the Giants, and I'm looking at the Seahawks versus the Niners. Those situations Commanders could capitalize on. But I think it will come down to this defense backpacking and Heinicke making just some key plays in and out.
I'm shocked you didn't talk about Logan Thomas.
Bro, I'm glad you mentioned that
Oh,
because
yeah.
he had a fire game.
He had the best game of his
He
season.
had a fire game.
Yeah,
he
no,
made
that's
some
good
good
QB
catches.
turned TE?
Yeah, he was a quarterback like years ago.
Hilarious.
I'm not in on Taylor Heinicke. Not even a little bit. Listen, he wins games. The guys like him. He's got some mobility.
Correct.
He can make some throws here and there. But in terms of a long-term solution for Washington, no. And
This is for the playoffs.
as for the
Make it this year.
playoffs, I don't think so. I do like the Niners. I think are locked. I think the Seahawks are as well. The Giants' schedule. You mentioned it. You mentioned it a lot on the show. Down the stretch, it gets difficult. I don't know if you're gonna pull it up.
I will.
But this is the first game Daniel Jones really struggled basically all year. I mean, he's had some games where he hasn't been as impressive, but this was his first multi-turnover game where the defense confused him a couple times. He made a couple bad reads, which is really what he's been avoiding this whole season. I still like the odds of the Giants offense just figuring out, and this isn't really what it's going to be, but you could let me know the schedule.
Who, Washington? I
The
got
Giants last
Giants.
6.
Oh.
They're 7-3. Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, Commanders, Vikings.
That's tough.
A
Colts
lot.
and Eagles.
tough.
Very tough.
NFC East a lot and the Vikings.
But I will say this. The Commanders' schedule is not a walk in the park by any means. Atlanta, winnable game, no doubt, but Atlanta's been playing decent football. New York, bye
two
week,
games against
New
New York. Two games.
One
Those
more
those
against Philly.
That's going to decide
Yeah,
whether
those
one
two
of the two
games.
get in. San Francisco, Cleveland
tough
with
one.
Deshaun back,
Tough
and then
one.
Dallas. This is
not easy
extremely
either.
tough.
So
It's
whoever, it's the one of them ones.
Yeah.
It's not easy for sure.
This also allows wiggle room for Detroit, who's been playing some decent football
Detroit's
recently.
next 7 games are the Bills, Jags, Vikings, Jets, Panthers, Bears, Packers.
And what's their record?
They're 4-6.
They'll lose to the Bills.
4-6.
If they can beat the Bills, then it puts everybody on
She
notice.
gets hilarious.
If they beat the Bills, that is insane. Lock it. They're making the
Getting to
playoffs.
the
if they
point
beat
But
the
where
Bills.
the Lions lose 2
Bills,
games
right.
in a row.
Let me. So you read it extremely fast. If you could just slow it down a little bit.
The Bills,
Okay,
the Jaguars,
could win.
the Vikings,
L.
Division
the Jets,
Winnable game.
winnable,
the Panthers,
more winnable for sure.
the Bears.
Winnable for sure. Listen, things could
Packers.
get interesting. And
Packers,
another one.
I think Aaron owns you.
No, but they just won.
That's true.
Jordan Love start that game.
You think so?
No,
I'm
he
positive.
he's not.
What week is that? 17, 18?
I guarantee you Jordan Love starts in like 2-3 weeks.
Aaron
Once
Rodgers
He
is playing
finishes the
fine.
season.
I know once they're eliminated, though, they might just see what they have.
I think we know what they have.
You think Rodgers will allow himself to be benched for Jordan Love? Be honest. Just be honest.
Probably not.
No.
But if Rodgers, how sold are you that Rodgers back next year? And football on the Packers.
All right. Honest number, 55%.
Exactly.
38.
If Rodgers is kind of checked out mentally,
That man cooked up.
can't hurt.
He'd be mad
Taylor
as hell.
Heinicke hasn't been the best. He's only completing 61% of his passes, has 5 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 81 passer rating, but he's been better than Wentz. And it's really as simple
Yeah.
as that.
Wentz.
Wentz this year ranks 31st in completion percentage on throws where the wide receiver has
Wentz or
3+
Wilson?
yards of separation. Or Russell
Redo.
Wilson?
No, Zach Wilson. Redo.
I still take Zach Wilson. Yeah, I would.
I would take Carson for sure.
I'll take Carson Wentz in a heartbeat.
I would still take
What
Zach
are you
Wilson.
doing?
I had to react, make
Well,
sure
Carson
the receiver
Wentz
has that.
isn't somebody that,
No, Zach isn't good.
I'd
either.
rather just take whatever Zach Wilson has left to offer at this point.
Nothing.
Dude, you're wilding.
Yeah, I would, to be
You're
honest.
bugging out, I'm not going to lie.
But Heinicke has been making layups.
Heinicke
He's
or
been giving
Zach?
his wide receivers chances, and there were chances Wentz wasn't willing to take. They weren't.
Listen, the issue is the Commanders can't find a quarterback. Every year they've been good enough in a bad division. They made a playoffs a couple times with bad record. And last year Dotson in the first round, who was good when healthy, but Jamin Davis, Chase
Jamin.
Young, obviously you can't really be
Jamin.
mad. Haskins the year before. They haven't been able to find that quarterback. They thought it was going to be Haskins. Unfortunately, he didn't work out as a franchise guy. And right now they're kind of stuck in that QB hell with Carson Wentz
Rest in
and
peace
Taylor
to him,
Heinicke.
too.
Of course,
Yeah.
rest in peace to Haskins.
Jamin Davis?
Yeah,
Jamin, you said Jamin.
Jamin.
Yeah, Jamin.
Did I say Jamin?
Yeah, you said
That's
Jamin.
embarrassing.
Look, I'm going to just say this. I think the Commanders will finish above the New York Giants.
Oh, we
You look
just
at
whipped
their-
Boston ass.
You look at the
That's fine.
defense.
121-107. You was talking
The Commanders
shit the
are
other day,
12th
too.
ranked.
November.
They're 12th against the pass. They're 6th against the run. We saw the Commanders' defense show up against Philadelphia. They neutralized their entire run game, and that's one of the better rushing teams in football. The Eagles only had less than 100. They had less than 100 yards
Jalen
against
Hurts led them
Commanders.
in rushing.
I look at the Commanders' last 6. The Falcons, I think they'll beat them. That defensive front will be too much for that offensive line. I think they beat the Giants. They faced the Giants, and they're on a bye week and face them again. If they can win that first game and off a bye week have extra preparation to play them again and win that, I think that for them is where they can really solidify themselves in the playoff race and as a team that can take up that last spot. Because you look at the division games, the Giants are 0-1, Washington is 1-2 right now. Those division games are going to be crucial at the end of the year because I think there is a high probability that Washington and the Giants both finish with the same record. If not, it's a one win, one loss difference. Because of that, those division wins, the tiebreaker is going to matter a lot in this instance. And to me, I think Washington is better geared to stop the teams within the division, like the Giants, like the Eagles and the Cowboys. Although the Eagles games are finished, now they have Dallas. I believe in the Commanders. I like this team. Taylor Heinicke, he's not wowing you, but that's not the reason I'm picking them. But one thing that can be said about him is that in crucial moments, he does make plays. He does make plays.
That's something you got to like about him. He'll try.
Yeah. And this, like the NFC East, this division has had the easiest schedule in football. The Giants faced it early in the season. Now the harder part is coming later. The Commanders, it's been the middle stretch. For Dallas, it's been some games in the beginning. And for the Eagles, it's been, for the most part, the first half of the season. Even later, it's not like the toughest teams. So this division has benefited from an easy schedule, and that's why every team, at least I believe, is in a playoff race. You may have missed it, Week 11, something that we're going to talk about on this segment that we haven't talked about. It's not on topic list. What did we miss?
So Jameson Williams actually set to return from the torn ACL injury that he did have in the national championship game. This is super exciting, especially when we just talked about it. The Lions are starting to win, to string a couple wins together. Now you add their number one, I guess, their second first-round selection that they had in this most recent draft, Jameson Williams, who I've been extremely high on, who I still believe has the opportunity to be the best receiver in this draft class. And that's saying something with how great Olave has been this year. I still believe that Jameson can come in and still be the best. So it's going to be exciting to see him come back, and I'm definitely looking forward to his return.
I was actually going to talk about the rookie wide receivers. This past week, you have Christian Watson scoring, 5 touchdowns in his last 6 catches, something ridiculous. Olave over 100 yards. Treylon had his breakout game over 100 yards. George Pickens over 80 yards as well. This rookie wide receiver
You're
class.
gloss over that?
What?
We knew that was coming, Treylon Burks?
Oh, yeah. Day one supporter. Treylon was starting to get going before his injury. He was starting to kick up a little bit. Then he got hurt, missed a month, came back, had a big game against Packers. Talked some shit to Jair Alexander. I don't know if he has deserved that yet. I don't know if Treylon has earned that respect.
Definitely
in the
adds a
league
different
yet.
element to the Titans offense.
But yeah, no, he's an explosive player. You know, when they've targeted him, he's been making things happen. But yeah, the rookie wide receiver class has really been going off. Now you're gonna add Jameson in a few weeks. He's probably the most explosive out of all of them. So very exciting if you're a Lions fan. Him and Amon-Ra are going to be a deadly combination.
You're talking about rookie wide receivers. I want to talk about an established wide receiver. Devontae Adams. He got the best of Pat Surtain.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Why'd you mention
7
that?
receptions, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Raiders and Broncos are both 3-7 this season.
Game-winning touchdown.
And I don't know if you guys heard Jordan Schultz, but the way he was describing the Russell Wilson Seattle situation, it kind of sounded like Russ was the problem in Seattle. I don't know. I didn't want to mention it there because I kind of feel like we all picked up on that, but I'm glad that Shane Waldron's able to open up the offense for Geno because Russ was holding him back. And, you know, maybe he's holding back Nathaniel Hackett. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe Nathaniel Hackett is somebody who has great schemes, but Russell Wilson just, wants to do it his way.
Looking forward to 2023.
Type shit. You may have missed it. Eagles fans, hold your horses. Jordan Davis will be back for the Tennessee Titans
Thank
game.
God.
He comes off IR. He will be back for that game.
That's
and Dallas Goddard. I don't know. Goddard. Thank you.
Like, Goddard, the dog, the robot dog in Jimmy Neutron.
Ooh, I like that dog.
There it is. Goddard. Bang.
You know you said Goddard. You said Goddard like you would say Gobert, but with the D.
I have no idea what you just said.
You said Goddard, but you said Godare.
Oh, like
his name
Gobert?
was
Like
Gobert.
Gobert?
Not like spelled.
Oh.
Not even the same.
God, yeah, who
It's
cares?
GOEDH, right? Some weird like
D E
that.
R
I
T.
don't think there's an H.
It's GOEDERT.
GOEDERT.
D. There's not
Gobert
ART?
is
No, there- I was gonna say
GOBERT.
there is an H. I'm almost 100% positive.
Okay, so
No, it's
big-
not. It's
Oh, wow. Okay.
GOEDERT.
It's so
Okay.
Gobert is GOBERT. So it's essentially the same with no E and no D.
So
I
completely
apologize.
different.
I don't know why I thought there was an H.
Goddard.
Silent H.
He will also be back towards the end of the season. So I know we just picked up some guys from free agency, but Jordan Davis comes back. He was playing really well before he went down with an injury. And Dallas is going to be back soon. So we'll be ready to make this playoff push to the Super Bowl.
Good luck, man.
Good luck with who?
With the Eagles going to Super Bowl,
We don't need it.
it'd be awesome.
We don't need it.
All right.
I
Good luck with
also
Denver.
want to
I
mention,
guess
you
it's
mentioned
fucking.
Jameson.
It is with that jersey on. It is indeed fucking.
Lions are 4-6.
They are.
And since firing their secondaries coach, they're 3-0 and have allowed 19 points per game.
They've been lit.
Yeah, that change has made a big difference to their defense, and it's changed their season around. Maybe they make a late push.
Never know.
Shout out to our boy Jeff Okuda, man.
He's good.
We were praying on his climb to the top, and
He's a good player.
playing well.
I like him.
2
Reading
road wins.
tweets.
Oh, go ahead.
This is one of our favorite segments that we do on the show. You guys, we tweet on Twitter. Week 11 takeaways. Give us your hot takes, and
sweets are mean sometimes.
fans come in and they tweet stuff. And also, recently on Twitter, we've been getting a lot of people adding us when they win their first Boom Fantasy contest, which is always a deserved
Boom
round of
Fantasy,
applause.
shout out.
Because I know how hard it can be. I went to Atlanta, played Boom for the first time, and lost my first 10 bets
Oh my god.
until I finally hit one. I was thinking like, man, am I going to come away with this trip with no W's? There was getting to a point. I was doubting myself, but you continue to believe, and it makes a difference.
You know what's great about Boom right now?
What?
I know you said you lost your first few bets. Right now, you have 100% risk-free bet for your first one. So you go ahead, you deposit, $10 or more risk-free on your first bet. Use the link in our bio. Maybe you win. If you lose, you get another chance.
And some
Like my odds there.
people have also been commenting on the YouTube comments that, are we going to talk about the World Cup? Right? And I'm not a World Cup guy. I'm not a soccer guy, not even a little bit.
Watch soccer.
But Boom Fantasy does have World Cup
do.
They have World Cup
Yeah,
player
one of the
pops
games was
up.
at like 8 a.m. today.
They play it
It's
early in the
crazy.
morning.
Yeah.
People be up. I'll be waking up. I'll be seeing tweets from like 9, 10 in the morning. They be
Yeah.
going crazy.
But
for
yeah,
the
we
soccer.
have World Cup questions. We have goals. I think there's like a Harry Kane goal in there. Or no, Bale scored today. Bale scored for Wales today. Shots attempted. All the regular stuff you would see. Have it at Boom.
Wales.
And we have college basketball coming soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
They have college football already.
College football's in
NFL,
there.
NBA,
Yep.
NHL,
NHL.
MLB, college football,
Not
college
having
basketball.
CBB is such a
now the World
crime.
Cup.
We're gonna have
Boom
it
Fantasy has it all.
dangerously soon per
Yeah.
source.
What does that mean?
You
Hey,
know.
you can throw
Soon.
me an estimate.
And if you use the link in our description, if you do use the link in our description, you'll also be entered into an NBA League Pass giveaway.
Yes.
So that always
And
helps.
we had our giveaway winner for Boom,
Yes.
who was supposed to win Modern Warfare 2. He has told us he doesn't really play video games, or maybe just doesn't play Modern Warfare a lot. So he's actually giving it away to another person who I already emailed you. Let me congrats on your win.
Of this holiday season.
His
That
name was
guy,
Isaiah.
legend.
I don't remember his last name. Let me look it up.
But also, what you failed to mention an important thing there, Joe, is that Jackson Rogers, the person who won the Modern Warfare 2 giveaway, he doesn't have a console to play it on, so that's why he's not accepting the game. But he reached out to us, and he's very into sports cards, and he said, "Could I be on the show?" And we said, "Absolutely."
We're for the people.
Real.
For the
Yes.
people.
So that means
Yeah.
that if you do win one of these giveaways and you don't want the prize in that giveaway, you could be on the show. So that's another incentive. You can skip the
Oh,
prize.
looks like no
and you
more
could be on the
prizes
show.
for people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot
gotta
of them
make
are
it
gonna
a
want to
big
be
deal
on the
on the
show for sure.
But I think it's a good way to connect with people that support the show. And of course, anybody that likes, comments, and subscribes to the podcast, we appreciate the support so much. But when you do help our sponsors, it helps us tremendously. And that type of support, I think, deserves to be recognized.
Absolutely.
And we're a show that we do a lot of stuff every different week, so we can't always bring people on. But I think this allows us a chance to bring people on that do win these giveaways when we do the spin the wheel thing.
Mhm.
I think it's fair. So I love it. I love that we can interact with people like that.
Sounds good.
Sounds very adorable.
Reading tweets. This is from @RTLFaith. If Patrick Mahomes wins another Super Bowl and another MVP, he will enter the top 3 greatest quarterbacks of all time ranking already.
Okay.
Who's the top 3 right now? Montana, Brady,
So
Peyton?
he automatically leapfrogs Peyton. Like
Yeah, who is he kicking out?
I do think
it's
that.
it's Brady, Joe. That's the lock too.
Well, if
You
Mahomes
can't
gets a
kick
Super
Peyton
Bowl,
out.
then he
Same
matches
amount.
Payne.
He has the same amount. But Peyton
Peyton
has 5 MVPs.
That's what I was about to say. Like Payne is a regular season
He has the record
god.
for most touchdowns in a season, most yards in a season.
I say not yet.
He's
My
going to.
opinion, I
He's
think
going
not
to.
yet. Eventually, but not yet.
Yeah,
I'll give it another
I'm
one.
just saying, after this year he does that. No, I promise you, I'm not putting him over Peyton Manning.
I guess
I'll be dead before I say that shit out loud.
the accolades of
Yeah.
Mahomes may not be up to par, but he's already the best quarterback I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. I think he's
do
the best
agree.
quarterback I've ever seen.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sadly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Why
You
do you
know?
Actually, not-
why do you
I don't know.
sadly
I'm sure people
agree?
thought Joe Montana was
Feel
the
bad
same.
for
Dan Marino was the same when they was. you know,
Patrick Mahomes has way more.
No, I'm saying when they was
since-
growing up watching it, they probably thought
Yeah.
Dan Marino was the
Well,
greatest.
yeah, there'll
I've
be
ever seen.
someone,
Yeah.
50 years from now better than
There'll
Mahomes.
be somebody 30
No, Tom
years,
Brady has he's
He's a
not the
winner.
most mobile quarterback, but he reads defenses at such an elite level that he's become the greatest of all time, and he has the accolades as well. I just look at Mahomes, and he's a combination of Brady and Aaron Rodgers. He has the Aaron Rodgers talent, but then he has the Tom Brady ability to read defenses at that high of a level. So that's why Mahomes, to me, he's just the best I've ever seen play, ever.
He is the best.
And I said
I'll make
that
him
back
the
in
GOAT, though.
2019.
Second, man.
Back in 2019.
He got to win. He got to
How
win.
many
Two,
Mahomes is
guy.
he got to win
Abby?
2
I'm a
more
Mahomes
to be
boy.
over Peyton. For me, he got to win 2 more.
Super Bowls or MVPs or both?
So both.
Both?
Yeah. Peyton
I
got
just
5.
I guess.
No, because it's just because he's the best you've ever. Don't mean like greatest is everything. Like what you've done in totality.
Yes.
So he's nowhere near what Peyton has
Yeah.
done in his career. in
He just doesn't have
totality.
the longevity stats.
He don't even got the MVP. What he got? 2 MVPs, 1 MVP.
One MVP.
Payne got
He'll
5.
get his second this year, though.
It's like Payne got 5. You know, like
Mahomes is like,
And he has the record for
26?
most touchdowns in a season.
that's what I'm saying.
And
Yeah,
Mahomes
wait.
almost
We don't
surpassed
gotta
that
put.
his
We don't gotta
second
put him
year.
up there
Didn't.
yet. We don't gotta put him
Wasn't
up there
even
yet.
close, actually.
It's 5 touchdowns off.
Exactly.
That's pretty close, bro.
That's like 2 games, maybe 1 if he has a great day.
I mean, he's had 5 touchdowns in the game before.
I don't know, but Payne.
Is that not close though? 50 to 55?
That's close.
Yeah,
That's close.
that is close.
We don't gotta put him up there yet, though.
Nah,
You know,
he's
so
not,
we-
he's not, he's
We
not.
could wait.
This is from at Alex
You know who
Maldo.
else? I lied. Payne through 49. I'm sorry. I forgot.
The AFC East is actually overrated because the Patriots and Jets offense is unwatchable. Only 2 teams out that division going to the playoffs. I'm guessing he's talking about the Dolphins and the Bills.
The offenses are indeed unwatchable.
At least
I'm
the
gonna
Pats
be
have
honest.
Ramondre, though, so
The
like,
Dolphins.
they can make things
I
Your
happen.
don't- I don't-
defenses, both defenses are elite.
Elite, yeah.
I don't think it's overrated. I think it's underrated.
I feel like he's underappreciating the value of defense in the National Football League.
Yeah.
I think I don't care that the Patriots beat the Jets. The Jets are a better team. It's as simple as that.
I don't agree with the statement
We're
at
a
all.
better
They
team.
beat y'all twice,
I don't
not just
disagree.
once. They beat y'all twice.
We're a better.
I'm sorry.
If you
dude.
want to
I'm
say we
sorry.
have
You
a
lost.
If you
better
split,
roster,
it makes sense. But
okay, I can get behind
If we
that.
had
They're
better
lost
not bad.
twice.
you lost 2
Don't go out
times.
bitter.
You lost in your home
Joel,
and in their home.
Joel, man to man.
Yeah, come on.
Don't go out bitter.
If you
Hey,
if you'd have
listen,
split, I would have
As
gave you
much
that.
as I do,
I look at both those
as much
games
as
and
I
say
do
we should've
agree,
won.
But we just didn't, though.
But
sadly.
how?
How do you?
Well, the
how do
first
you-
game I think we should have won. Zach just made bonehead.
Zach just made
Zach-
fucking 6 mistakes, so.
Zach made mistakes in the second game. He
I
wasn't
know.
good in either.
I know. If we had average quarterback play, we won both those games.
That's on him, not really.
It's not how it works, sadly.
I don't think you could do that, bro. Stop disrespecting the Patriots. Bro.
Listen, I got no respect for them. I
Damn.
love Tom Brady though. That's my guy.
I get it. How you can't love Tom Brady and not love the Patriots?
Why not? I love his Bucks tenure.
You love the New England 10 year more, I think.
When did I say that?
I mean, he was there for so long.
You're
You've been
freak.
a
It
fan.
wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you do like the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Nah, when he went to Tampa Bay, I was all in on Brady. I became a Brady fan.
Oh, so you weren't a Brady fan before that?
No,
Oh,
he
okay.
was the quarterback for the Patriots.
So you're a Brady fan when he went to Tampa. Okay.
I became a huge Brady guy.
In a
Huge
year.
Brady guy. Yeah, huge
Bandwagon.
Brady guy. Wow. This is from at NXTE30__. The Lions will sneak into the playoffs and they will surprise Buffalo this week and extend their winning streak.
That
That's a
would
Drew take.
be
You
nuts.
tweeted that? Is that your
This
burner?
is burner facts.
I'm
I
glad that my
disagree,
burner snuck onto
unfortunately.
the
I
show.
don't, yeah.
But Detroit is a nice team to watch, but I disagree.
Josh
Exciting.
Allen,
That was one of my takes before the season. They would be better than last year. That was an easy statement to make.
They
They
won
have
3
been.
games.
yeah, the number 2 pick last year.
I said exactly.
Come on,
I said they would double. I said they would double their win total. I said
What was
that
their
they
win
would.
total? 3?
They have 3 games.
So they get 9. You think they'll get 9 wins?
My brother,
You
double.
know what double is?
Oh, I'm fucking tripping. 6? So you
Yeah.
6? Okay. Well, there are 2 less.
For sure. And the offense has been very good. The defense has been mid, but these last couple of weeks they've looked pretty solid.
Playoffs, though?
I
don't think they beat the Bills.
It's a tall
I
task.
don't.
I don't think they'll beat the Bills either, but there are games on that schedule that are winnable.
Especially the Bills playing at Ford Field. They don't have to travel this week, so they're there already in the city.
I heard some of them went home.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Thanksgiving. Makes sense.
It's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, but, I
They're
I
playing
think
on
the Bills are
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know.
And the Bills have been great on Thanksgiving. They have. Lions are always on Thanksgiving. It's a tradition.
Lions always lose.
Yeah.
It's also tradition.
This next tweet is from @iMarquette. And shout out to @iMarquette because he commented on the YouTube channel and he said, I hope that one day I get my tweet read. And I saw it and I said, you know what, we're going to read your tweet on the next show. And he tweeted and we're reading it right here. So his tweet is, the Dolphins have just as good of a chance to take down the Chiefs as the Bills do. And their chances are minimal. This is Mahomes' league.
First thing I'll say, I appreciate the Dolphins' respect.
Mahomes.
The last part of the tweet can go. Shout out to this guy for tweeting and commenting in our YouTube section. That being said, we shall see.
I think the Bills' defense is better than Miami.
Definitely,
Hence why I wouldn't give them the same chance. Even though Miami's offense is extremely explosive, Bills' offense is explosive, and they have a great defense. So I would give them a better chance than Miami to beat the Chiefs.
That injury for Josh Allen's bothering him. I feel like the easy things aren't as easy, especially
So
last
he
couple
threw the
of
ball
games.
and fell?
Yeah, things just a little off. So it really depends on, is Josh Allen going to be 100% at some point in this year?
He said he was fine.
When you're playing through that injury, it's hard to play through it and recover at the same speed if you were just sitting out. Now, it doesn't seem like he's going to sit out anytime soon, but that does worry me in the playoffs when you are playing the elite of the elite teams if you have a deficiency in your elbow, right? Elbow or shoulder,
UCL,
right? UCL,
that is.
which I think is in your elbow.
Somewhere in your arm.
First responder.
Talk to us.
Correct.
Elbow.
Elbow?
It's going to bother you a bit. But, yeah, I mean, Miami's offense is explosive.
Ulnar collateral ligament.
The only reason I would give the Bills the benefit of the doubt is because I've seen them go into Kansas City and win, and I know Josh Allen in the playoffs, he's going to get it done. I don't want to say I doubt Tua being able to do it, but Josh Allen is in a different tier. We know this.
I think the Chiefs take was spot on. This is Patrick Mahomes' league. Everybody that watches football knows it. Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest.
You called Josh Allen the best in week 5.
Oh, he was playing better.
This was a month ago.
Yeah, like a month ago. Like,
This is my Patrick Mahomes shirt. I've had it for a while.
We did a midseason playoff bracket. He picked the Bills over the Chiefs.
I also did that.
I know.
But I've been doing that.
I know.
Man, it can be wrong.
Man.
You were not.
The Bills could beat the
We
Chiefs.
missed
It
you.
could go either way. There's no doubt. But I think right now the Chiefs have been the best team in the AFC. And
Dolphins.
week by week, it's not only their offense that's been great, but their defense has been very good too.
Not impressed.
The Dolphins, to me, if they face the Chiefs, it would be a very electric matchup. I
Couldn't
think
agree
it's
more.
two of the
40
top
points.
Could not
offenses in the
agree
NFL.
more.
That's all you could ask for.
You did mention a good point. I think the Bills, it feels like they're a team that's built more for the playoffs. I don't know how Miami's going to look if they have to travel to Buffalo or they have to travel to Kansas City in cold weather. So
It's
there's a
icy
factor
up
right
there in
there.
Buffalo.
Fucking freezing.
And also, I'm not saying that there's a way to neutralize Tyreek Hill, but the Chiefs, who have had him for years,
It would be the ones to do
defense
it.
have practiced against him. They kind of might know his tendencies a little bit. That might be a game where Tyreek Hill wasn't
That's
Tyreek
a Jalen
Hill.
Waddle game for sure.
Yeah. So the Chiefs though, yeah,
So who do you have more of a chance to win, the Miami against the Chiefs, Miami or Buffalo?
I have Buffalo right now. Yeah, I do. But Dolphins' schedule in the second half is going to tell a lot about them.
will.
They got to come to Buffalo. It's
gonna
going to
tell
be
us the
cold.
truth.
I'm telling you.
I'm excited, yeah. Well, this week could be
Because
cool.
the Dolphins beating the the Ravens.
Oh, they didn't
and
beat the
Bills
Bengals.
mean nothing.
Joe
No,
Shiesty
that mattered.
was there.
It was hot
No,
weather.
I'm just talking to this dumb
sorry.
man.
Sorry. That mattered for me. You guys are I'm a
Joe Barrow.
little timid,
Yeah.
you know?
Tua had one of the craziest injuries we'll probably ever see. So let's take it easy there. All right.
Josh Allen's elbow is messed up in his throwing arm.
This is from @JRilla15. Takeaway is Travis Kelce is putting together the resume to be the best tight end ever. And hot take is the Eagles get bounced in the first round regardless of who they
We'll have a
play.
bye.
All right. The
so
takeaway is a fair.
stupid.
It's a fair takeaway.
Who
But
tweeted
Travis
this?
Kelce.
@JRilla15.
First of all, J Rilla 15. We'll have a bye, so we won't play in the first round. Clown. And yeah, no, that's all I wanted to say.
That's
Hater.
fair. I like
He's
that.
a hater.
You
Was
know
that
what
the
he
one,
means,
Kelce?
though.
Huh?
You know what he
Like
means.
round 2. First round for
Their
you guys.
first
round
game of
two.
the playoffs, they'll lose.
Listen, you got to be specific when you tweet out at
happen.
us.
It could happen. I don't know. What if they
We're all
match up
about
with the Niners?
semantics on this
Yeah,
podcast.
you got to be very specific out here.
The takeaway is
There's
fine.
nothing in here.
Yeah, no, you've done it like 3 times. The takeaway is fine. I understand it because we see Travis Kelce week in, week out do Travis Kelce's things
Gronk
and scores
different,
touchdowns.
man.
That being said, there's an aspect of being a tight end that people fail to evaluate sometimes, and that's the blocking aspect of things. And Gronk is by far and away the best at blocking and receiving that we will ever see. There's a reason why people wanted to put George Kittle at the top of the tight end ladder because George Kittle is one of those that is elite at blocking and elite at receiving. Kelce can block, but it's not at the level of Gronk. And Gronk's production, although Kelce does have him in yards and receptions, the touchdowns are just, I think he has him beat by 22. Gronkowski is an end zone machine, and where I can respect Kelce and his resume and the things that he's accomplished in this league, there's a different level that Gronk's at.
Respect. Talk your shit, twin.
Like, I
And
think it's
as for the
close.
Eagles,
I do think Travis Kelce has a case. The longevity, he needs to have that in order to be on Tony Gonzalez's level. Shannon Sharp, it's close with Travis Kelce too. But Gronk is the guy that, I do kind of favor Gronk, I do, because he's a great blocker and he's just as good of a receiver as Travis Kelce. But Gronk is not going to have the longevity.
Nope.
Just because he's racked up a lot of injuries in his career and he's chosen to retire
So wait,
early as
I'm
well.
asking you, Gronk isn't the best of all time?
Is Gronk the best tight end ever?
Correct.
He has a case. He has an argument.
No, I feel like it's signed and sealed. People consider Gronk the best of all time, which is why
Your answer gave me you have room for somebody
correct.
else.
That's why I'm wondering.
I don't really favor anybody either way.
So,
Interesting.
Who?
No, I'm not hell bent on giving my best tight end of all time. I don't have an adamant opinion on it.
Interesting.
Where I'm just like Gronk. He's the best.
I really
honestly.
value the tight end position, especially in today's NFL.
Yeah, I think Gronk has a case. His numbers when he's played.
How
he's
many
been
people
matched
do you
against
think
Dennis.
have a
That's
case?
what I'm saying. That's what I'm wondering. That's
how
what I'm
many
wondering.
people do you think have a case? Like, I'm very curious on that number.
Because Antonio Gates hasn't even entered this conversation, but even still, I'm fine with
I'm
it
I'm
as
taking
long as you
Gronk.
only mention Gronkowski.
Yeah, Gronk is one for
If
me.
you knock me off 6 names that says has a case, that's gonna be crazy.
No,
Gronk-
here's the
Gronk
case.
at his
it's
peak
it's
was-
Gronk number 1. You have Tony Gonzalez. You can have Kelce in that conversation. Antonio Gates, Shannon Sharp. That's it.
For me, it's Tony Gonzalez, Kelce, Shannon Sharp, Gronk.
Okay, so the names I just listed.
How many years do
He's-
you guys
he-
think Gronk had 1,000+ yards?
4.
I'm gonna say.
I guess you could put Antonio Gates.
I'm gonna
in
say.
there too.
I'm gonna say. Ooh, 4 is not a bad guess.
I hope I get it right.
I'm gonna say it's 2 or 3.
7.
He had 4.
Good shit.
Gronk.
4 years, 1,000+
They
yards.
called me a madman.
Good shit.
2011, then not again until 2014,
I didn't wanna-
2015,
I didn't
and
wanna swag jack you when we were
2017.
both
Kelce has 1,004 times
okay.
as well.
Good shit.
How many
No,
double
Kelsey has been insane.
how many
He's gonna
double
have
TD
1,000
years
this
he
year
has?
too, so that would be 5.
5.
Makes sense.
But like I said, Kelce has
50.
the longevity. Gronk doesn't have the
He's
longevity.
92 for his career.
No, I'm saying that's just 50, like just alone.
Just Gronk at his peak. I don't know if we'll ever see a
92?
tight end do that.
How many years
that
he
was just
played?
crazy.
A lot. 11.
11? Well, even because his games plays is funny looking, so maybe like
Yeah.
And
He
bro,
has-
what's nuts about
he
it is
has
that
2 games under
last year he
7
missed.
games.
Last year he missed
so
what?
maybe
7,
like
you said?
7, 8 seasons in full.
How many games did Gronk miss last year?
Last year, he missed 5 games.
Yeah, and he had 800 receiving.
So realistically, he has like 8 full seasons and 92 touchdowns.
He's a savage.
Okay, big guy. And he's a
he's-
partier.
He's
You
a
guys-
big
do
and
you
he's
guys
a big game tight end too.
Do you guys
Don't
ever
train.
watch Undisputed when Shannon Sharp talks, like whenever Tony Gonzalez has been on the show?
Yeah, they got like funny, friendly beef. It's actually really funny.
Whenever Tony Gonzalez is on the show, Shannon Sharp is just like, Gronk is better than you. He's like, I think Kelsey's better than you too. He's like, you're not the best.
That's hilarious.
Tony
Where does Shannon put
Gonzalez,
himself?
I don't even know. He probably would say Gronk is the best. Probably.
The way Shannon talks, you would forget he played tight end on Undisputed. I'm gonna be honest with you.
But Tony Gonzalez put in up big numbers with Trent Green in Kansas City.
Yes.
And I think quarterback play, you take into account, Kelsey had Alex Smith, then
And
Mahomes. Gronk had Tom Brady, and he didn't play with anybody but Tom Brady.
Facts.
So, if you put Tony
No,
Gonzalez
Tony
in
needs that respect and
he
acknowledgement.
does.
Tony's my number 2.
so you have him over Kelsey.
Well, yeah, Kelsey still has room to be
gonna say.
number 2.
Is that a just Kansas City thing?
Unbelievable. No, Tony's number 2.
I know. I'm saying Kelsey. That's the reason why he's not.
I think
number 2.
Kelsey will finish top of all time in yards, receiving yards for a tight end.
Yeah.
It'll be him. It'll be Gonzalez, Witten, and him.
Shout out to Antonio Gates, man.
Witten played for so many years. Oh, my God.
That's why he's, he has the longevity numbers. And this is the last tweet from @Matthew Jimenez. Shout out to Matthew Jimenez.
Jesus Christ, you give him a question.
The Vikings are the same as last year's Cardinals. Great record, superstar players, but in reality, they have just gotten lucky the whole season.
This brother Matthew Jimenez just spoke facts.
Lucky the whole season's
I
hilarious.
wouldn't say lucky, but he spoke some facts.
No. The lucky the whole season's wrong.
Spoke some
but
facts in
obviously
that comment. I'm not
saying
gonna
that they're the Cardinals. Hey.
Hey.
I batted 1 for 3.
Why?
Your lay?
Yeah,
Not great.
fortunate.
Lucky the whole year is crazy. They're a really good regular season team.
Correct.
That's all it is. The Vikings are better than last year's Cardinals team. I think I could say that pretty confidently. That second half of Cardinals season was not good. It was very ugly.
I don't know about that.
You think the Cardinals of last year better than the Vikings of this
They
year?
were mad good.
The second half of the year they fell off.
They were, but they were beaten up. The defensive line was beaten up.
Regardless, they fell off a cliff. They
They
were
did.
what?
They
I
did.
mean, who knows? The Vikings do the same thing, right?
I can say you're wrong.
The Cardinals are around.
K1 also got hurt.
He did.
Didn't come back the same.
I think this Vikings team is more complete than that Arizona team.
I agree,
I
yeah.
think the Vikings have more talent.
The Vikings
What was
defense
the bad thing on Arizona last year? Bad O-line?
Their O-line's always
It's
bad.
always been bad, but their
Yeah.
D-line
They don't
got
have
hurt.
Hopkins got hurt.
The difference is they have a
secondary was
running
ass.
quarterback. So
You
he's
don't
kinda
have a
like,
consistent wide receiver outside of DeAndre Hopkins.
Hopkins
You don't
hurt.
have a running game. Your offensive line is not that good.
Isn't that kind of the same with Minnesota in a sense? Maybe not everything,
Oh,
but,
They
you
got
have
a running
Dalvin
game.
Cook.
but you don't have a consistent number 2 week by week outside of.
AJ, Adam Thielen's better
but,
than AJ
I was
Green.
gonna say Jettis, Thielen, Hawkinson. I mean, they got Ertz halfway through the season last
Yeah,
year.
Ertz
He was
is
a
good,
big
yeah.
pickup.
He's good. I agree.
True, yeah.
We'll see about the Vikings. This is a wait and see for me. On to the last topic of the show. Justin Herbert. I think we have to talk about him. We had a thrilling Sunday night football game. The
Phenomenal.
Chiefs beat the Chargers 30-27. The Chiefs are 8-2 and the Chargers are now 5-5. And because their record is what it is, 5 wins, 5 losses, there is a legit question of whether or not the Chargers are making the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, that would mean Justin Herbert has missed the playoffs in each of his first 3 seasons. And I'm wondering from you guys, how do you feel Justin Herbert will be viewed if he misses the playoffs again? And should he be excused from missing the playoffs?
I think he'll get a lot of disrespect. I think he's even missing the playoffs over the last 2 years. I've seen people give him a lot of disrespect, and a lot of it is from guys whose quarterbacks just aren't as good as his. I've looked at it from Miami fans. I've looked at it from a lot of Bengals fans. Guys just that stack up with Herbert, like you guys that he's always being compared to. And you look at Justin Herbert's career, you look at over the last 2-3 seasons, he's been amazing. He's been top 3 quarterback in the top 3 to top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But he has valid excuses. I think like this year his team's been banged up. And even still, he still has them. Even him, he's hurt. He still has them fighting for a playoff spot, possibly still able to get in. But I think when you look at it, eventually, as much as the excuses he has, you got to look at it and be like, damn, when are you going to get in the playoffs? As talented as you are, as great as you are, top 5 in the game, top 4 in the game. I personally have him number 3. I think he's behind Allen and Mahomes. You're this great. When are you eventually going to see the playoffs? Year 3, no playoffs is still, no matter how many excuses, whether they're good or bad, you have, that's not good. And that's going to get a lot of disrespect and a lot of hate towards Justin Herbert. And even though he has those excuses, I still think it's going to get a lot of bad image on his, on his career and on his image.
As a Dolphin supporter and as an avid
Wow.
Dolphin
And Denver fan.
I'm gonna for sure.
And Cowboys, man.
And Giants.
No,
Giants.
Cowboys, no way. Giants,
Lions fan also.
love my G-men. Again, so we're associated Giants.
No, we're just going your ass real
I'm
quick.
just wondering. So that being said,
Don't pause.
as a member of
Oh, for this that.
as a member of FinFam, especially on Twitter, I see a lot of people within Dolphins Twitter being extremely, extremely critical of Herbert. And I have to understand this. And I'm not someone who likes to criticize Herbert because I think that when it comes to talent, there are very few more talented than Justin
Literally
Herbert.
only 2.
But the Dolphins fan the average Dolphin fan, I should say, or majority of them, they will group Herbert and Tua till the day they die because that was picks 5 and 6. Now, and Chargers fans love to say how thank you Dolphins for giving us Justin Herbert. So I understand why they will constantly try to bash Herbert as much as they can. But being someone who is in Dolphins Twitter, I am not going to be one to do so because I understand circumstance and context. Rookie season, Justin Herbert was absolutely amazing, had one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Defense still wasn't that great. Year 2, he was sensational. Just unbelievable past every metric you would want to see from a quarterback. In the last game of the season, he puts his team in position to go into overtime, has an amazing drive, amazing passing touchdown on 4th down to Mike Williams. Just you could not have scripted it any better. Justin Herbert was all world, was not able to come away with the win. His coach, honestly, is the reason why they did not go to the playoffs because he was over-aggressive, called the timeout, tried to ice the kicker, not ice the kicker. He tried to do something to mess with the clock, and then I'm just off the top of my head, I'm failing to remember it clearly, but it ended up forcing the Raiders to be a little bit more aggressive, ended up coming away with the win and not taking the draw. Now this year, no Keenan, no Mike Will, or not being together at the same time for a while. Keenan Allen just made his 3rd appearance this season last night. I just can't look at Herbert this year, where even still he's top 10 in yards, top 10 in touchdowns, and still be super critical of him. Has he thrown interceptions to end the game a couple times this season? Yes. This last night was a tip ball that was a great play made by the defender, was a questionable decision. I will give you that. Should not have probably made that throw on the run, but there's less than a minute left on the clock. You do have a couple timeouts left, but you did just take a sack. You're trying to make something happen, and Herbert is the offense. He's trying to make something happen, fails to do so. I cannot be overcritical of Herbert. I believe that even still, where the team is better, the defense still is not there. The rush defense is still not great. And you're playing the Chiefs. If this is the game that you look at and we highlight to say this is why the Chargers aren't going to make the playoffs, I disagree with that. The Chiefs come in as one of the hottest teams in football. The offense is clicking on all cylinders. You had to know that the last drive, you give Mahomes a chance, he's going to go down the field and score. It seems like it's every time with this guy. I'm not blaming Herbert, and I'm not going to look at him and change my perspective of Herbert. I know who he is. I understand his skill set. I understand what he can achieve. So I'm not going to be one of those that's going to add fuel to the fire and say that Herbert is overrated and should be overanalyzed and criticized more than he already is. He's already receiving criticism because he's not playing to how we've seen in the last 2 years, and that's due to circumstance. And even still, he has his team in a position to make the playoffs. That's a testament to how great Justin Herbert is.
To answer the question plainly, how is he going to be viewed? He is going to be viewed as a quarterback that doesn't win. It's as simple as that. That can't will his team to the playoffs. I think there's a lot of similarities with Justin Herbert to Matthew Stafford in Detroit, where Stafford was miscasted as a quarterback that was a losing quarterback because of the line situation. I do understand the line situation is better. The line situation was worse than the Chargers, although you did have years with Calvin Johnson. You did have some years where your defense was great, and that was the years that made the playoffs. Justin Herbert was phenomenal versus the Chiefs. 280 yards, completed 76% of his passes, had 2 touchdowns, a 113.2 passer rating. The interception was with 38 seconds left in the clock. It was a bad decision, there's no doubt. But the drive before, he led the Chargers down the field.
Sure.
Got a touchdown. If his defense holds up, they win that game. And that's kind of been the story between these battles with the Chargers and KC. The Chargers play them well, but it's always Mahomes who's making the last and final play. People will mention Herbert's late game interceptions as a reason as to why he's not clutch. His week 2 interception against the Chiefs, where Gerald Everett ran kind of like a stick route, he was gassed on the route, and he didn't finish the route. Herbert threw it in anticipation. It was a pick 6. I don't blame that on Herbert. Week 10, interception against Talanoa Hufanga in the 49ers. Charles Omenihu hit Herbert's arm, and the ball came out horrible. But Herbert was about to hit the open guy, but just his arm being hit led to the interception. This was the interception versus the Chiefs where I thought it was a bad decision. He threw it into double coverage, and then Nick Bolton came up and picked up the scraps of that play because it was tipped up in the air. You look at the AFC playoffs, you have the Chiefs, Dolphins, Titans, Ravens, Bills, Patriots, and Bengals in it right now. I have a feeling the Patriots drop out, and the Chargers' next 6 is going to tell a lot about this team. You have Arizona, who just got smoked by San Fran.
Jimmy G, 4 touchdowns.
You have the Raiders that you're going to face. They have a horrible defense. You have the Dolphins, then the Titans, Colts, Rams, and Broncos. I look at Arizona and the Raiders as games you should win. I view the Colts game as a game you should win. The Rams as a game you should win now that Stafford is even more hurt and John Wolford might be playing. Stafford is in concussion protocol, I believe. He was out. He was ruled out with a concussion. So even if he comes back, the Rams have been a mess all season. That's 4 wins in itself. That puts them at 9. I think the Broncos should be a Week 18 win for the Chargers. The toss-ups for me are the Dolphins and the Titans. The Dolphins because their offense is explosive, and the Titans because they're just well coached, and you can't count out Mike Vrabel and what that team could do on a week-to-week basis.
Amen to that.
So it's, to me, 5 games you should win. And this is going to determine their season.
What was the question again? We've been talking for a while.
How is Justin Herbert going to be viewed if he misses the playoffs again?
And you did say that you think eventually he's going to start showing as not being able to will his team to the playoffs.
I said that.
You did.
I said that's how they
No, I'm
view
just
him.
saying right now. Do you agree with that, though?
No, I don't. I didn't say I agree with that. No,
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
I just want to make myself clear
But
before
that's what the narrative is going to be.
But you feel that's not it.
Yeah.
No, that's what I said. That's what the narrative will be around Herbert.
But in my opinion, or let me say this really quick, and I'm sorry to cut you off. Does that really matter?
The narrative around
Their
him?
perspective.
I'm not saying it matter, but that's what it's going to be.
But does it matter? No.
For me, it doesn't. I think Herbert's a winning
That's why
quarterback.
it's ridiculous to me.
It
That
does
we're even
feel
sitting here
ridiculous.
talking about
it. Really does. Because we know how great Justin Herbert is. This game against the Chiefs happened. I mean, the interception against Gerald Everett and the pick 6 kind of sealed it. But regardless, he was making plays all game. And then last year against the Raiders in the playoffs, he had that team in position to win. That's kind of been the story of just the Chargers, though, right? Everything seems to not go their way, whether it's injuries, it's field goals, just weird stuff happening to them. They were talking on the broadcast last night that it feels like the Chargers always have a quarterback, right? It was Phillip Rivers forever. They had Drew Brees for a couple of years. Dan Fouts back in the day was one of the better quarterbacks. And now you have Justin Herbert, who everyone views as a franchise guy. And they've been doing this basically ever since I've been a fan of football. And they've had some good teams. You know, they've had the Antonio Gates years. They've had these years with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, where they've had offenses that should be explosive and should be able to get things done. Austin Eckler, LT.
Gates.
Yeah, I mean, like, the list really goes on and on where they've had these talented rosters and have just always come up short. For whatever reason, it feels like it's a new weird reason every year. When you look at Justin Herbert play, though, Drew said it, you said actually, there's 2 guys who are better than him. It's Josh Allen, Mahomes, when we're talking about just arm talent as a quarterback. Those are the only 2 guys. And Patrick Mahomes even said he makes some throws that I can't make. Yeah. That's how special Justin Herbert is. I mean, he's a one-of-one type of quarterback, and any team other than those 2 teams would be taking Justin Herbert. You're taking him over everybody. I know you're a Joe Burrow guy, but I would rather have Justin Herbert in a vacuum over Joe Burrow as
close.
well.
He's also
It's very close.
Justin Herbert could just do some special
If
things.
you want to lean Justin
They're all in
Herbert,
the
that's
AFC.
fine, but Joe Burrow, he's right there.
Burrow's.
And so is Tua.
So it hurts.
Tua needs more time. We have multiple years of Burrow.
You know what,
and
man?
Tua. Burrow.
That is a
Herbert.
very I'll meet you in the middle type of statement right
listen,
there. Thank you.
Statistically,
When have I
you
said
can't,
anything
you
different?
can't, deny it.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know that quietly this season, Jimmy Garoppolo has a 100 passer rating.
He's been good.
11 touchdowns to
good.
4 interceptions, and today had 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions
high.
and a 131.9 passer rating.
I need my brothers right now. Next week, playoff start in fantasy. I'm torn. Jimmy Garoppolo or Tom Brady? I don't know. Brady plays the Browns, and Garoppolo plays, off the top of my head, I'm blanking.
Dolphins?
No. Damn it. Who does he play? One sec. New Orleans. This is one of the tougher decisions I've had to make.
Garoppolo this year has had a 100 passer rating 5 times. His worst passer rating game was against the Broncos, 81.3.
I need my brothers right now. Brady or
I don't know.
Garoppolo?
That's tough.
No, it's a 2.
Neither of them play Thursday, right?
I would go with Brady.
I think that's what I'm leaning to.
You have Godwin too, right?
I do. I'm starting Gotti.
Yeah.
Gotti's an
Gotti
insta
is
start.
actually a firm nickname.
Yeah, I know.
Very
I call him
fire.
Lil Gotti.
But to the Chargers, if they miss the playoffs, Brandon Staley should be fired.
Ooh.
It's as simple as that.
He probably will be.
100% agree.
Everyone, all the coaches who are out there, can look at the Chargers as the top job to get.
29th in points allowed. They're 19th against the pass, 30th against the run.
Defense is dog shit.
He has not fixed the defense, and that's the side that he should be an expert on. And I'm looking at coaching candidates. Sean Payton is the one that jumps out to you. But maybe the Chargers are a bit hesitant because you do have to trade something to get Sean Payton. You just can't sign him. Yeah. Wow. He's under contract with the Saints, so you have to give them a draft pick or something to get Sean Payton.
So what is he like? He's just not.
He's under contract until 2024.
Yeah, but they could easily do it behind the scenes where Sean Payton's basically like, I'm coaching for the Chargers and no one else, and they'll take a 6th-round pick.
I doubt that's going to happen.
I mean, what else? You're going
trading
to
a
tell Sean
coach is
Payton,
funny.
no, you're not going to coach for another team?
You think that Sean Payton is really going to do that? He's going to fuck
Yes.
over the Saints organization?
I don't
He's
think
not going to
that's
fuck
not
him over,
fucking
but
over
he's
the
just
Saints.
going to tell him straight up, like, yo.
But I
this
think
is my
Sean
decision.
Payton is a respectable guy where he'll be like, I want you to maximize your value on me too.
What do you think they have to trade for Sean Payton?
It's a head coach.
I think a
bro.
2nd-round pick.
Saints don't have.
What?
their
I'd
first pick.
be shocked, honestly.
You wouldn't give a 2nd-round pick for Sean Payton?
I just when's the last time that's happened in the NFL?
They don't have their first.
Bro, do you
That's tough.
understand? It's a head coach. A second?
That's
When-
what Sean Payton is worth.
When's the last time a head coach has been traded in the NFL?
Let me check.
That's actually
NFL
funny.
5 coaches that have been traded.
Yeah, it's like never.
Bill
happens.
Belichick to New England.
That was the Jets.
Yes. I'm looking at
And what did he give up, or what did they give up? Nothing.
the Jets' 5th-round pick.
Exactly.
John Gruden.
They'll get a day 3 pick.
So Raiders owner Al Davis didn't want to give Gruden a big-time contract and traded him to Tampa Bay for a 1st-round pick in 2002, a 1st-round pick in 2003, and a 2nd-round pick in 2004.
That's just never going to happen in the history of football again.
It's Sean Payton.
It's not
If it
gonna
happened for John Gruden, why wouldn't it happen for Sean Payton?
If they trade 2 first-round picks for Sean Payton, I would be fucking astonished.
I'm not saying that, but you made it sound like 2nd-rounder was too much for Sean Payton.
Bro, it happened once in NFL's history.
When have coaches been traded? It
Doesn't happen. I know.
Yeah, but this would happen because he needs to be traded in order
Dude.
to go to another team.
It's a day 3 pick.
A day 3 pick, that's it.
Yeah.
The Patriots demanded compensation from the Jets when Parcells went from the Patriots to the Jets, and the Patriots got a 1st-round pick, 2nd-round pick, and 3rd-round pick, and a 4th-round pick.
Would you, if you're the Chargers, and you don't make the playoffs, you have a top 15 pick, you're giving up that first for Sean Payton?
I think about it, yeah. What are the options? Oh, would you rather give a 1st-round pick for Sean Payton or hire Shane Steichen, Kellen Moore, Frank Reich, Eric Bieniemy, or Mike Kafka as the head coach?
I'll be honest, you're not getting up a 1st-round pick for Sean Payton.
Why do you act like it's disrespectful to give a 1st-round pick for Sean Payton?
It just never happens.
He's one of the best coaches in NFL history.
It never happens.
There hasn't been situations where a coach has retired and still been under contract with a team.
How much longer is he under the contract for?
2024. But also, I don't think that contract starts going until he comes back to the team. You know what I'm saying? So if he doesn't coach, it'll be up to 2025 that his contract's over. So the Saints are going to get something valuable from him. That's what I'm saying. A 6th-round pick? Are you kidding me?
I think it'll be like a day 3 pick.
You want to bet?
I'm not in the market to bet on coaching.
You know,
trades,
actually,
honestly.
Big O sent me documents of our NFL football takes and our bets. We actually have a $100 bet on Gabe Davis, 1,000 yards over under. Yeah. We do. I just want to make you
I'm very
aware
well
of it
aware.
because Gabriel Davis, man, he's on pace for that.
He's probably on pace for right at 1,000, I guess.
I'm looking at it right
He
now.
could
Right?
change it.
He has
2
612.
games.
He's on pace for 1,040.
Let's say it's right around there.
Gabriel.
All he needs is 4 games.
The other coaching candidates, Shane Steichen, who was Justin Herbert's OC as a rookie. That reunion would be cool, but I don't know if they'd make him a head coach after letting him go. That would be a huge turnaround. Kellen Moore is going to be in the conversation.
Did you mention Frank Reich already?
Yeah, I think Frank Reich is a good option, but
Seattle's OC, Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron, yeah.
Waldron.
I do like Frank Reich, but if I was the Chargers, I'd also be hesitant. I feel like it says something if you failed in one place as a coach, and I know he'll have Herbert, but, I don't know. The Frank Reich
It would be
thing.
intriguing,
I'd either, if I'm the Chargers, I'm either going with Sean
of
Payton
course.
or going with Kellen Moore. He's proved something to me this year. I think the offense is
Really?
better. Yeah.
What a complete fucking turnaround.
Yeah. He's really been
Interesting.
improved this
I'm
year.
shocked.
Yeah. Kellen Moore has been better this year.
Is it because he's actually involving Tony Pollard, or
Not involving just Tony Pollard, because I think the Pollard and Zeke situation is more about money. I think just implementing a lot of easy stuff into the offense, using Dak more as a runner this year, and just there's just more easy stuff in Dallas's offense. Everything isn't so hard, and you have less talent, and you're still producing your offense at a high level. Last year was Amari and CD. This year you don't have Amari, so I think he deserves credit for that. And he was somebody that was going to be a head coaching candidate last year, but the second half of the season soured his name a little bit, and especially that 49ers game where he was running curls with offensive linemen. But this year he's been better. So, yeah, he'll definitely be in a conversation, and he'll get a lot of head coaching interviews, I believe.
I'm with you.
NFL Pick'em Week 12 predictions. First game up, the Bills at Lions.
Go on Buffalo.
Buffalo, cleanly.
It's a tough one, man. This is a tough one.
I can imagine.
The Bills should win.
Yep.
But
Possibly.
something about Thanksgiving.
It's a trap game.
It is a trap game.
Just pick the Lions, man. I know you want to do it.
What do I do?
Dude, pick
Go with
the
your
Lions.
guts.
Sean Payton.
Damn it. All right. Make a decision, Drew. I'm going to go with the Lions.
Make a decision.
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in this one. The Giants at Cowboys.
Give me Cowboys.
I'm going with the Cowboys also.
Really?
I
Is
am.
this also on Thanksgiving?
Injuries are fucked, man.
I know.
Bro, Giants really might miss a play.
Should be, yeah.
Should be.
I'm scared.
Dallas usually plays on Thanksgiving.
They do, yeah. They
It
played
is
the
on
Raiders
Thanksgiving.
last year?
Okay.
No, it is. They all literally
These
every
first three
year
games
they
are
will
all
play on
Okay, cool.
Thanksgiving.
So, yeah, give me the Dallas.
take Dallas,
I hate
too.
to watch them on Thanksgiving.
I'm going with the Dallas
That's what I'm
Cowboys
gonna
as
eat.
well. If they dominate Minnesota, they'll dominate the New York Giants. Patriots at Vikings.
Horrible last game.
Give me Minnesota bounce back.
At the Vikings.
At Vikings.
At the-
Primetime Kirk. Thanksgiving. Uh-oh.
I'm going with the Patriots. And it's making me regret taking the Lions over the Bills because this is two upsets,
This
honestly.
is an embarrassing loss for the Vikings. But you
They
have
have to bounce back.
yeah.
Belichick, I'm telling you,
I don't
The defense is
disagree,
lit.
Drew, but
Jettas
to
versus
get
Belichick's
embarrassed like that,
defense.
they
I
have
think the
arguably
Vikings
the
have
best
to bounce back.
corner duo in the league.
Take
Let's
Minnesota.
see.
You know what's funny about this is that it's just funny that the Vikings are on prime time. This is where Kirk struggles. New England has been playing better. They can run the ball. Mac Jones is a good quarterback. I know that people after the beginning of the season are already out on him. They're ready to call him another just, throwaway pick. But I think Mac Jones is good. And last game against the Jets and against a tougher defense in cold weather, they were able to move the ball. He had 250 yards passing, I believe. And this Vikings defense is worse than the Jets defense. I think I'm calling the Patriots upset here. I have them beating the Minnesota Vikings. That's right. And I think Mac Jones has a big-time day. I think Mac Jones throws 250 plus and 2 touchdowns in this game.
So let the record show that last week, Joel's Avi was him with a Vikings hat
It
on.
will be Mac Jones. This week.
But I'm
Now
just,
it's him with the Chiefs.
I'm just saying, yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. So Vikings agenda's done.
No, it's not done.
It'll be a new guy this
So
week.
it's on hold.
It's not on hold.
So it's going
I still
on.
have it. It's funny that you mentioned that because somebody commented how I'm such a Vikings fan, but I had them this is my third time picking them to lose because I had them losing against Buffalo, the Cowboys, and now the Patriots. I just kind of sense the momentum right now with the Vikings that they're kind of on a slump, and I think that slump's going to continue, and it's going to take an easy opponent for them to get back on track. And I think the Patriots, their defense is legit. They're one of the top defenses again in the NFL. If Christian Darrisaw is not available, Matt Judon, they can move him over to the left side. It's just a bad matchup for the Vikings,
is.
and that's what it's about.
I'm with you.
Matchups for me. Texans at the Dolphins.
Dolphins cleanly.
Come on.
Miami.
Fin fam.
It should be the Dolphins for sure. It should be.
Miami.
Davis Mills was absolutely horrible against the Commanders. The Dolphins' defense is easier to be fair, and I
Not
don't
anymore.
think
It's different now. Telling you,
I
the
don't
tides
think
are changing.
I don't think the Texans' defense is bad. I really don't. The run defense is horrible.
The run
gonna
defense
pick
So
sucks.
I think the
Texans?
Dolphins. No, hell no. But I think the Dolphins will get the run game going and that'll open up the pass game. I think the Dolphins win this. Bengals at Titans.
This is one of the
Good game.
toughest
Playoff
games of the
rematch.
week.
You know what? I'm gonna take the Titans on
Bro,
this
was
one.
mid though, right?
It's a good
I'm
pick,
gonna go.
man.
I'm gonna go upset. I'm gonna take the
Jamar
Titans.
might play.
Don't care.
I'm also
move me
going to
one
be
bit.
selecting
Treylon
the
Burks
Titans
plays.
to win this game.
Ball nowhere.
I got Titans.
The Titans are one of those teams that they just always find a way to be in a game, so I never want to count them fully out. Looking at the Packers game, I just really do think that Joe Barry is not a good defensive coordinator. He plays so much soft coverage, and that allows Tannehill to totally demolish your defense when he has no receiving weapons. I think the Bengals are different. They have Lou Anamoru, who's a good defensive coordinator. Joe Burrow, I mean, are we kidding ourselves? This guy's the man. Joe Burrow's the guy. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Shut up.
And he's a winner.
Pick
I got
one.
Joe Burrow winning on the road. It's easy for me. Joe Shiesty's coming away with a W.
I'm taking the Bengals as well. This
thought they were
Titans
frauds,
team,
though.
this Titans team really doesn't move
Respect.
me. They could be frauds, and this is not a great Titans
Respect them, please.
team. But no, I think
He not
I think
respect
they'll
them.
win.
Respect Cincy, man.
Oh,
You.
Bengals are a good team, man.
Pick
They
your
do.
Burks guy, bro. Ride the wave.
Huh?
It's gonna
Because
carry.
I like Burks doesn't mean I have to like the Titans.
Broncos at Panthers.
We should win. I'm
I
going
don't
with the
know
Broncos.
who would win.
Should have beat the Raiders, too. The Seahawks.
Yeah, this is actually
Hey,
a tough pick.
Russell left the field winning. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is a
He
tough
was
game.
let down.
Could go either way.
I'm
Defense,
taking the
man.
Broncos.
Need them to step up.
We don't even know who's starting at quarterback for the Panthers.
I don't think we care who's starting the quarterback for Denver. I'll go Denver though.
I'm going with the
about you
Denver
eat one?
Broncos, too.
Hey, eat what?
One.
Should I have him write down
What?
my picks?
Whatever you want, but eat it.
I'm going with the Denver Broncos here. Bears at Jets.
Jets.
I'm going with the Jets, man.
If Fields isn't gonna play right.
Even
Jets.
you know what's crazy? It doesn't matter if he plays, man. The
Tough.
Bears just aren't good.
No, I think it doesn't matter if he plays.
No, Fields is so
Bro, it
electric. I
didn't-
think he can get him a
It
win.
does not matter. The last 4 weeks he's played exceptional.
Sure.
All losses.
Jets can't score.
And the Jets defense is still elite.
Yeah, sure. I got the Jets though.
I think if Fields is playing, this is a much different game. I probably would favor the Bears, or at least take the spread on them for sure.
That's a defeated Jets.
I got the Jets.
Fucking out.
There you go.
Defeated.
I got the Jets in this
Jets,
game, though.
Jets,
We
Jets.
should win this game, baby.
JTS.
The coin has us losing, though.
The coin does have us losing.
Yo, that is spooky.
That's nuts.
Really?
up, turn
Losing?
Yeah.
You know,
Am I riding the coin?
You
Turn
should.
up,
the
honestly.
Raiders. The Raiders had a thing similar to that last year, and they kind of lost around this point in the season.
I remember that. Yeah, we had a topic about it.
Yeah, we did. Falcons at Commanders.
I'll take the Commanders on this.
Commanders.
Playing well. Yep. Give me Commanders.
I got
Chase
the
Young will be
Commanders
back.
as well. Buccaneers at Browns.
Browns been playing well.
I'm going with the Bucks.
I'll take the Bucks.
Browns have low key
The
been
Bucs-
playing well.
Bucks are turning it around.
Sorry,
but
Cleveland. I got
I'll take the
Bucs.
Bucks too. I think they found something in that Seattle game.
I think the Buccaneers turned the tide. Bye week helped them out. I got Tom Brady in this one. Ravens at Jaguars.
I'll take the
Ravens 4-game win streak, 5 of the last 6.
I'm going to tell you what.
Come on, man.
This one is
Upset
a
week for
tricky
you?
one. They looked shaky against the Panthers.
They did.
Yeah.
And the
Just
Jaguars
look it
have been playing decent football.
Lamar ain't been spoken about in weeks, man.
You know? He really
Yeah,
hasn't.
He's been
They've just
very
been winning.
He's been managing.
They've
very-
just been
I'm-
winning.
He's been
I mean,
very.
that's going to happen when you have an offense that isn't
yeah.
explosive.
When they have nothing. Yeah.
So you want Ravens? What are you
yeah,
going, Joel?
Come on, dude.
I'm going with the Jaguars. I got the upset. And they're at home, too.
Damn it.
I think Trevor Lawrence plays well.
Go two.
Yeah,
two
you
versus
know
two,
what?
yeah.
Let's do it, Joel. I'm going with the Jags, too.
Fucking casuals.
Yeah,
Raiders
but not
at
Baltimore.
Seahawks.
Raiders
Seahawks.
at
Seahawks. I'll take the Seahawks.
Seattle.
I'm going with Seattle.
I'm going with Seattle as well. You know, Geno Smithian. Chargers at Cardinals.
Going with the Chargers.
Going with the
Every
Chargers.
time I pick the Cardinals, they fucking lose. I'll take the Chargers.
Should pick them
Sick
again
of
so
this
they
shit.
can
Starting
lose.
to
Nah, I'm
find
sick
a
of
trend.
this. Yeah, I'm sick
I'm
of
going
this
with the
shit.
Chargers in this game as well. This should be a win. Kyler Murray, who knows if he plays or not.
Facts.
The Chargers should win this game. Saints at 49ers.
Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah, Niners. for sure.
Niners. They're 3 games in a row not allowing a point in the second half.
And the Saints pass defense is bad. You know what that means? Jimmy Garoppolo stat inflation in another game. I'm telling you, Garoppolo is solidifying himself as a statistically a top 10 quarterback this year.
Funny
Again.
enough.
Very similar to somebody's production. And
It's definitely not similar by any
Not
means.
similar.
It's,
but-
not, it's really not far from similar.
it's not far from similar. What does that
No,
mean?
you mean it's very far from
It's
similar.
very far from similar.
You don't think there's no similarities?
Look at Tua's numbers and look at Jimmy G's numbers. They're not that close.
And 2 less games.
Yeah.
Actually,
He didn't-
Trey Lance
What-
played some
I would
games.
say, yeah, Garoppolo didn't play first week.
Play tougher defenses.
Well,
The
Garoppolo's
Broncos, that's
benched.
always
Just
tough.
different.
Come on, wake up.
Tua couldn't play.
But the Cardinals, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 131.9 passer rating.
Tua
Come
has
on.
the best
That's
quarterback
Jimmy
game of the
Garoppolo.
season.
Okay, we'll see if that lasts.
It probably will. He put up fucking 6 touchdowns and 4
I wonder how much
yards.
hate you're gonna have on Thanksgiving. when
What do you
wake
think
up.
the discrepancy between Jimmy Garoppolo's pass rating at the end of the season versus Tua is going to be? Like, if you were to give me like a spread.
It's irrelevant to me because Tua is the
What's
only
Tua
quarterback in the
8.5?
history of the game. to have
Right now,
130
Jimmy's
pass
at
rating in 3 straight games.
100, and he just had a 131.9 pass rating, which means it'll probably go to like maybe
Yeah,
103, 104.
I mean, Tua is leading the league in pass rating.
Yeah, Tua right now is at 118.4.
I'll keep it at 8.5.
Don't play with his name.
It'll
Hear
be,
me?
it'll be
Hey.
within like 10,
Be
15.
comfortable.
Don't play with his name.
So you think Tua's going to have a 110 plus pass rating for the entire year?
I don't see
It's at
why not.
118
10 this
right
season.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, around that. Maybe it's like 107, 113, some shit. I don't know.
We'll
Hey.
see. We'll see. Tough second half of the
Drew's blowing
set
kisses
schedule.
at Joel.
It was
He
tough.
knows why. He knows why.
Tough second half. I got Dolphins fans in my mentions.
You literally wake up hating them. It's actually really
Nah,
funny.
I
I didn't.
Actually.
I didn't make a Dolphins tweet today.
No,
Was
not
it
today.
Sunday or
but
Saturday
It was
that
Sunday.
you-
I think he just woke up.
Or
He
was
just
this, no, it was Saturday.
Saturday. He just
No,
chose
bro, because
violence.
for no reason at all, the Jets lost, and somehow, some way, he just had to mention to his name.
It was
You want to
hilarious.
know
Yeah.
why? You know, I'm not going to say it because I think they all know why.
Leave it at that.
Mic drop.
No, I don't know why. Can
I
you
don't know why
explain it?
either.
Don't know why.
I
actually
think the
have no
idea
clue.
was to think we know why.
Yeah.
Just all right, mic drop.
No, yeah, I said it because I tweeted about Zach Wilson, and then Dolphins fans swarmed my mentions. So, I wanted to get my get back at Dolphins fans a little bit.
Understand.
And I said I may have lost the battle, but I won the war. Tua is still Jared Goff, and the
That-
Dolphins have not been to the AFC Championship since 1992.
But how have you won that war?
That killed me.
Hashtag
Bro said
loser
if Twitter
fins.
goes away, I just want to let you know.
Oh, you know
That
what was
shit
great, though? You know what was
hilarious.
really great? When I ratioed your ass and said that you're a broken man and you need to find
You
God.
did
Ratio.
ratio
Did
me.
ratio,
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody
it's-
ratioed me on that tweet. It's a Dolphins
Did they?
tweet.
You got like 120 likes on it.
130 likes and 76 quote tweets.
How much did Daddy get?
That was crazy.
Let me see how much you got. I'm looking it up. I just can't find it.
225.
Yep. You got way more.
It's a calm,
But-
it's a calm,
Tough ratio.
calm ratio.
But that was easy. Zach was just had a bad game. You're kicking me at my lowest point.
Well, you brought in my boy's name for no apparent
But
reason.
that Joe Burrow tweet, nobody's ratioing that. 602 likes. Joe Burrow had a much better game against the Steelers.
because people love him.
'Cause he's
for whatever
shiesty.
reason.
A defense that
Dude
Tua
wears
struggled
Cartier
against.
glasses. Automatic legend.
Cartier glasses.
called him a
don't even
legend.
Pikachu.
Yes, you did. You called him Joe Shiesty.
That I probably did because it's cool. That's cool.
Hello, Ferrari, like Pikachu.
Rams at Chiefs.
Chiefs.
KC.
I got the Chiefs in this
I'm
one.
waiting on
Packers at Eagles.
Eagles. This is easy. Let's roll.
them boys.
What you
man.
got?
You
I
gonna
have
pick
the
another one?
Eagles.
Oh, okay.
Am
Took the Colts. I mean, you took the Colts over
Took
the
the
Eagles
Jaguars
last
that
week.
week
Well,
too.
to
Don't
be
forget.
fair,
Casual.
I did think the Commanders were going to lose, and the
The
Colts were
Eagles.
going to be the team to upset the Eagles. I do believe if the Commanders lost, the Colts would have won that game.
I'll be honest, it doesn't
doesn't
matter.
really-
And I'll be honest, if I knew the Commanders were going to win, I would have picked the Eagles to win because I feel like it's
Joel,
kind of a
what
wake
type
up.
of
Keep it
call.
pushing, bro.
logic
Keep
is
it
this?
pushing. You can
So
tell
I got
yourself
the
that
Eagles
when
in
you
this
go to
game,
sleep.
though. I got the Eagles in
That's
this
fine
one.
with me. Yeah. Okay.
Steelers at Colts.
The Colts. I think. No, yeah, I would take the Colts.
Steelers put up points. They just shot up 30. It's at the Colts.
I did my thing.
This isn't the
10
night game,
wins
right?
this past week.
10 wins?
Yeah, 10 wins. I'm going with, without a doubt, the Steelers.
This is easy for me. I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts.
What's the reason?
You stop counting on Matt Ryan.
Matty Ice.
Monday Night Football. He's a prime time.
it's
That's
player.
on
it's
Monday night?
bro.
He's won on Thursday night already.
I'm going to be honest with you.
I'll take the Colts.
I find
at
myself
Pick
flipping right now.
Steelers?
I'm a chancla. I think that I'm going with the Colts, especially at home. Jeff Saturday seems to have the vibe different.
Vibe is indeed vibey.
I'm going with the Colts.
I got 9 wins this past week. It's a shame.
Damn. It's just not 10.
How many did I get?
It's not 10. That's going to do it for episode 231 of the Pick Aside Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Pick Aside Podcast, on Twitter at Pick Aside Pod. Thank you guys for listening and or watching, and we'll see you next time.